Karna must defeat the legendary Earth Dragon and bring back its eye as proof of success. It's a difficult quest for sure, especially given the size of the beast compared to a human. The huge talons tore into the ground to turn the boy into a sacrifice for the Dragon King. Laughing in triumph, it proudly announced that the day they rise to the surface is near. This won't seem to be the case, as it suddenly sees its arm turning to dust. The monster screamed in pain, not knowing what just happened. On the other hand, this exchange gave Karna an idea of how much power he needs. Using the Wind of Decay, he attacks his enemy and allows a strong gust of power to engulf it. The dragon's body began to crumble, devoid of any life, and its prized eye fell off its face and onto the ground with the rest of its body. With the target in his hands, all that's left to do is bring it back to the guild and be rewarded. Just then, the eye turned to dust, just like its body, meaning Karna has nothing to present to the guild as proof of his success. If this goes on, he won't be able to send any money to his grandparents. Up until now, he was promised a stable income, so all he can do is wonder how and why things ended up this way. The 13-year-old boy's job is a wise man with a talent for necromancy. In his world, those his age are considered adults and are bestowed with a seal from God, deeming them one of the gifted. His job and talent combination was quite exceptional, so the hero's party randomly showed up on their door one day, inviting him to join and use his power to subjugate the evil demon king. Back then, he wondered if it was really okay for him to take on such an important role, but the hero assured him that it's something only he can do. Piling it on, he spoke of bountiful rewards, in addition to 200,000 gold monthly. The boy's eyes sparkled upon hearing how great the pay is, and his quick acceptance makes his grandparents chuckle endearingly. Calling to them, Karna promised to make a lot of money to help them live comfortably, but they insisted that he just worry about living for himself. Nonetheless, it's what he's always dreamed of doing. They took him in and raised him all by themselves, back when his parents passed away. Now, he's determined to give them a happy life in return. They gush with tears and affection for the child, who makes them feel nothing but great pride. And so, he became a member of the hero's party and journeyed together. During their adventures, the monsters were often tougher and stronger, so much so that the members struggled. Karna did his job and supported his teammates to the best of his abilities. He showered the battle master's enemy with sludge bullets, making it melt away without an ounce of resistance. However, instead of joining him in celebration, she backed away and frowned in disgust. Later on, the team was surrounded by an entire horde of orcs, so he leveled the playing field by summoning the undead to fight with them. Like the master, the holy knight gagged and nearly vomited in repulsion, unable to watch the zombies move. One time, the hero dashed into battle, excited to show his magnificent swordsmanship to the team, but Karna swept in to handle the monster himself and allow his comrade to save his strength for later. A single spell from the boy takes the enormous enemy down, leaving the rest of the party stunned and speechless. The hero just praised the boy, who did his very best to earn a lot of money, as weak as he thought he was. Unfortunately, he was completely unaware of what was brewing in silence. This came to light later on, when the hero apologized and asked him to leave their party. He was shocked, of course. While he says that he'd be in big trouble, the master argued that it'd be them struggling if he stayed. She can't attack because of his disgusting sludge, which she refused to touch. The knight chimed in, saying she also has qualms with his power. It's unreasonable, but she just can't stand his necromancy on a physiological level. All they wanted was his revival magic, but the knight has already learned it, making him obsolete. As they walked away, he asked for the reward he was promised. Turning back with an apologetic smile, the hero says there won't be one, as the probation period hasn't ended yet. Seeing the boy's devastated face, he apologizes that things turned out this way, and hands him a couple of gold coins as a token of gratitude. Just like that, he was fired from the hero's party with barely any money, and became an unemployed wise man. On top of that, his bad reputation spread like wildfire, leading others to reject him completely. As he couldn't find any jobs after that, he had no choice but to become a freelance adventurer. While remembering his story, he suddenly heard voices calling to him, saying they found something here and there. A spirit under his control says the reconnaissance unit was reporting something. This cheered him up. In case he didn't get any loot, he sent them to look for other things that could serve as a reward. Acting as his eyes, he scans through whatever the other spirits were seeing. There was nothing much, that is until he sees something that makes him run as fast as possible. After a while, he stopped and looked up in both confusion and amazement as a huge castle stood before him. Inside, a demon knelt down to Cecil, reporting that there is a human intruder by the front gates. Given how rare it is, the dark and alluring being smiled as her mind was filled with intrigue. Reaching his hand out, Karna feels a barrier protecting the castle gates. With that said, such protection can only mean great and valuable treasures hidden deep inside. The barrier sparked and resisted upon being touched by his power, but it eventually broke down along with the actual gate. Instead of directly destroying it, he actually just sped up the barrier's time. While skipping through the entrance, the wise man suddenly sensed something coming and jumped back just in time to avoid getting hit by an attack. Belf watched from above, surprised that the boy dodged his lightning in an instant. The demon acknowledges his reaction speed while preparing another spell. His kind receives a mark from an outer god, as opposed to humans who receive it from the gods in heaven. In other words, they are residents of the dark world. Karna wonders why such a being was in a place like that, but Belf shoots the question back at him, curious what a human child was doing there. Moreover, breaking through the barrier and intruding was unacceptable, as the castle belongs to Cecil, one of the 7 great demon lords. The boy was confused at the mention of the demon lord, as there's no reason for a castle of that caliber to be accessible through a regular quest. Thinking he's playing dumb, the loyal servant of the Lord prepares a powerful attack to punish his ignorant wrongdoings. A raging burst of violet lightning is shot forward to kill the human, and the entrance nearly explodes from the sheer energy in the spell. As expected, the weak species is nothing to the violet bolts, which is bestowed by the old god, Nodens. However, the being thought to be reduced to ashes was still standing, completely unharmed after taking a direct hit of the formidable spell. Just then, a voice spoke, saying the miraculous power he granted will not be allowed to harm his precious master. The old spirit had turned into a mighty-looking old man. Belf is shocked as it was actually Nodens himself. He questions why the old god was siding with a mere human. Karna is surprised that his spirit was such an amazing person, but he says it's from a long time ago. A human commanding a god was simply unthinkable, so the demon can't help but wonder just who the boy was. The old man asks his master to lend him some power, and as soon as the two hold hands, his body bursts with unimaginable strength. As purple bolts spark throughout the area, Nodens calls to the demon, saying it's a good opportunity to show him the true despair of violent thunder. A powerful blast hits Belf and sends him flying into the air. The demon eventually crashes into the castle, charred and still spasming from the electricity moving throughout his body. Meanwhile, the god turned back into his small spirit form, and the two joyfully continued their journey into the castle. However, Karna isn't able to take more than a single step, as Cecil appeared to commend him. Feeling the danger in her presence, he instinctively jumped back to save his life. She insists that there's no need to be so on guard, unless he wants to hurt his older sister's feelings. Her aura was so overwhelming that even the god was worried. The demon lord smiled while looking at the intruders of her castle. Asking what his name is, she does something unexpected, and offers him a role of serving under her. He's stunned by the proposition, but she wants him so much, just based on the way he fought Belf just now. Gently taking her hand off, he says he doesn't think that it'd be a great idea. After all, his creepy magic, necromancy, is what got him kicked out of his former party. Understanding his sentiments, she takes his hands again, calling the humans fools who have no eye for talent. In contrast, she believes that his power is the most wonderful magic in the world. Enamored, she asks him to stay by her side and show more of it. He hesitates as this might mean betraying humanity, including his hometown. Besides, all he wants to do is earn money for his family. With this, she offers a signing bonus of 2 million gold, an annual salary of 20 million, and the safety of his family guaranteed. His eyes sparkled with greed and, like before, all hesitation faded away. As such, the young man found a new job. With the young boy's acceptance, Cecil invites him over to the castle, but there's something to do before that. She hands Karna an odd dragon mask and asks him to wear it. While she personally scouted him, many demons would still oppose human presence. It's just the way it is, and he didn't do anything wrong. As if proving her point, Belf calls out, still injured from the attack earlier, and asks if she's sure about what she's doing. Understanding his sentiments, the kind-hearted lord commends him for a job well done, but as someone who directly fought the boy, he must know how strong he is. As such, she asks that he keep the human's identity a secret. The ever-loyal servant hesitates but gives in eventually. Meanwhile, Karna then asks if demons hate his kind for some reason. The two realize that humans must not know, so Cecil decides to tell him a story from the past. Long ago, gods descended to the world and defeated the dragons that ruled humanity. People worshipped these gods, but eventually, driven by greed, they stole the power of their saviors and sealed them away. Bastet created demons out of hatred, just before she was sealed away. In other words, demons were innately born to take revenge on humans. Seeing the sadness appear on Karna's face, Cecil says he shouldn't just see the bad side of it. Because humanity forged its own path, a lot of wonderful culture was born. The boy doesn't know what he can do, but he'll do his best, at least for the sake of sending money back home. As enthusiastic as one can be, he asks for the first thing he has to do. For now, they entered the castle and, with Belf's loud voice, announce the arrival of a new comrade who even commands an old god. The other demons were confused, even noting that he smells like a human. Hearing this earns them a fervent scolding from the primary servant. Cecil ushered him forward with a smile, saying she wants him to eventually become a demon general who leads the army. He'll be staying by her side and gaining experience for the time being, and his first task will be tidying her messy room up. The boy is stunned by the piles of clutter inside the small room, and gives a blank but judging look at the demon lord. Karna asks if she isn't good at cleaning, and she shamefully silences the newbie. She says she does it properly, but somehow gets worse anyway. Moving on, the demon leaves it in his hands, and designates it as his workplace. It's still odd that she didn't choose someone from her kind, even when they would all probably be glad to do it. She suddenly took his hand and put on puppy dog eyes, saying he's the only one she can entrust it to. The sense of value makes his determination spike, so she leaves him to the special task. Calling to his spirits, the necromancer gets ready to start. To their surprise, he picks up a book and begins his job by reading it. He isn't playing around, and is reading to understand demon culture, which will in turn help with organizing Cecil's ideal room. The ghosts are called to help, and they immediately fly around the room. Everyone was reading, while Karna used his skill to absorb all the information they were getting. Seeing this, Nodens discourages him from pushing himself too much. After all, he can't memorize everything at once. His words are quickly proven wrong, as the boy suddenly announces that he's finished. He thanked everyone for their help, and now it was finally time to clean to their heart's content. A little while later, Cecil is delightfully surprised by how clean everything became after just a few hours. Again, Karna attributes it to all the help he received from the spirits, so the demon lord extends her thanks to them as well. Their performance reassures her of her decision, but he says he's just glad to be of help. The young man then mentions that she must also read human books, based ones he found under her bed. There was a wide collection that even included romance novels, and the mention of them makes her flustered and red. He asks if she actually likes humans. Caught red-handed, she asks him to keep it a secret, adding that her dream is to create a world where humans and demons can live happily. For that, she's doing her best to study human culture, which has a lot of unfamiliar things for demons, especially love and marriage. The dense boy says it must be why she has so many romance novels. She frowns in embarrassment and puts the books back where they belong, saying she's seen everything she's hiding. As it feels a bit too unfair, the demon lord drives him to a corner and insists on knowing more about him as well. Cecil prods him on. Bearing down on the flustered boy, Cecil asks how he possibly ended up making a contract with the old gods. Karna is surprised that this is what she wanted to know, so she teases and questions what he imagined in his mind. The boy says the old gods used to be his neighbors, which is even more confusing. It happened right after he received his mark. His grandparents apologized for being tricked into buying terrible land. If they can't expand the farm, they might struggle to make ends meet. They tried to keep it a secret from him, but he heard about the problem and planned to do something about it on his own. Working on filial piety, Karna snuck out while they were sleeping at night, determined to make them happy by somehow expanding the farm. Repaying them was the only thing in his mind, so he stood in the middle of the cursed soil. As necromancy can't purify curses, he'll just have to gather and disperse the evil spirits. His power was unleashed and spread throughout their land. However, the ground beneath him suddenly cracked open, causing him to fall into a deep hole. A drop from that height would have been strong enough to kill him. Fortunately, he was able to fill the bottom with sludge that then softened his fall. It was a close call, but he still didn't know why a hole suddenly opened up. The boy took a look around, and was shocked to find a dungeon hidden deep under their home. He ran toward it, thinking it might be the cause of the vengeful spirits. He's suddenly ordered to halt by Nodens, who imposingly stood before him with his violent thunder at the ready. Asked what they are, the old god says he and those with him are divine spirits, resting in the graveyard. This shocks Karna, who's then told to leave as it isn't a place for humans. The boy rejects the order and insists on lifting the curse from the land. Seeing a human defy a god felt nostalgic to Nodens, who then moved to teach the boy a lesson. His thunder roared as he told the child to show them his power. The young gifted had no choice but to face it with everything he had, but the lightning simply tore through his wall of sludge and reached his body. He sent flying as the electricity coursed through his veins. Meanwhile, the old gods turned to leave, feeling like the intruder was done. To their surprise, Karna got back on his feet and shot mud bullets. The attack obviously doesn't even get through, but he was already spent and panting. As he still had a bit of strength remaining, Nodens decides to get serious to knock him down for good. Their back and forth went on for quite a while, although the god naturally dominated the battle against the weak human. Nonetheless, Karna never gave up and continued to stand amid the continued beating. He can't get the image of his sad grandparents and was willing to do anything to make them smile all the time. With that in mind, he's going to lift the curse and purify their land. Nodens takes a good look at him and is convinced by the brilliance in his eyes. In fact, if he follows the boy, he might just witness something interesting. This is the story of how they formed a contract to help each other out. They've grown beyond that, of course, and the gods now treat him like a grandson. Cecil is surprised, as there were no mentions of the gods' graves in any of the texts. Even so, the fact that Karna unsealed them and remained unharmed is a testament to his strength. Her serious expression makes him worried, but she just thanks him for sharing his story. It only reassured her decision and belief that he'll eventually make a great demon general for her army. The next step is to give him his own territory to rule over, so she opens a portal to inspect his new home together. In the Demon's Cavern dungeon, a bunch of soldiers ran from an enemy they can't defeat. Seeing a captain stay and dare to defy him, a huge ogre laughed, saying fools like her are worth killing. The knight stood her ground, unwilling to forgive his crimes against her kingdom. With this, she charged in to slay her opponent. Her sword clashes against his thick and hard bat, but the strength difference is so overwhelming that she's sent crashing into the wall. Just one exchange nearly takes her out, and he lifts her head by the hair, intrigued by the taste of a trained woman. To the demon, humans are nothing more but food. Seeing his sharp teeth bared and told to give up, the knight's skin turns pale with terror. Just as he was about to rip her apart, necro bullets hit the ogre's back, sending him flying away. The woman thinks reinforcements have come, but Karna stepped forward, saying he's just there to take over the dungeon. After all, he's an enemy of humanity now. A while ago, Cecil explained how the dungeon belongs to the Greed Demon Lord's territory. His mission is to defeat the demon general governing over it. They're taking the land from the ogres living in the cavern, as they've repeatedly attacked the kingdom and its people. Given their joint goals, they can't really allow that to keep happening. The Lord doesn't want to go against her kind and peer either, but it's the first step towards creating a world where they can live together. Now, General Bello laughs at the absurdity of the unknown demon's objective. With his invincible might, he'll crush him in the Greed Lord's name. Karna was already worried, given the ogre's size and power. The formidable foe raised its club to crush the dungeon challenger, but before he could swing down, the spirit of Vol is called on to fight back. Gusts of wind surged through the cave as the two powerful beings clashed. To Bello's shock, his attack was completely blocked by the human, whose hand was engulfed in flames. Both of them were seemingly confused. As the boy looks at his flaming hand, the old god tells him to be confident against a mere muscle brain. On the other hand, Karna wants to be more cautious. He believes that the recent attack wasn't the strongest, and it'll come even harder next time. Doubting it but wanting to convince himself, the general raises his weapon again, saying it's impossible for him to be stopped by a mere kid. As he doesn't want to underestimate his opponent, the wise boy goes all out. Fire raged in his hand, and the flames of Kagetsuchi shot towards the enemy, scorching and turning everything to ash, including Bello. Karna is left perplexed when he sees nothing in front, and wonders if the ogre was hiding. The enemy is a general under a demon lord, so he can't be that easy to beat. While ordinary ghosts are sent out to search for the missing enemy, the human knight hid behind a large boulder in fear. The terrifying presence and image of the black demon was burned into her mind, so she quietly retreats to inform the hero. After all, there's a possibility of a new demon lord being born. Karna found it strange, as his ghosts couldn't find Bello anywhere in the dungeon. Oblivious to his own power, he says he might have actually escaped, and makes a mental note to report what happened to Cecil. As he says this, his demon lord appeared with a satisfied smile, praising him for a job well done. The new recruit apologizes for letting the target get away. Although she knows what actually happened, she playfully scolds him being careless. Humoring his apologies, she silently thinks about the forbidden spell of Vol Hinokagutsuchi, which even she saw for the first time today. His power seems to know no bounds, and the mere thought of what he's capable of makes her skin tingle with excitement. Getting back on track, they discuss his journey towards becoming a demon general. The symbol of being a dungeon master, the dungeon core, is given to the boy. He stared at it in wonder. With this, he's free to create a maze, a castle, or any dungeon structure worthy of his position. From today onwards, the land is his territory, so he has to create his ideal room there. The thought excites him, and so he gets right to work on it. Holding the dungeon core up, he used its authority and willed a bunch of gravestones to rise from the ground. Redecoration goes on for a short period of time, but he soon announces the completion of his room, which looks like a small hill on a graveyard. It's quite bizarre, but necromancy can only do such things. He invites his master in, and she's surprised to find a surprisingly warm and cozy interior, which is far from how it looked outside. Jumping on a monster cushion, he says he's glad that she likes it, then is asked to hand the dungeon core over for a second. Easing his confusion, the Lord says it'd be troublesome if he suddenly disappeared, and she's left alone. As such, she pushed her arm toward the floor, and imbued it with a huge magic portal. The entire room glows with the power, and Cecil just casually states, that she's given him a direct route to her personal room. The boy turned beet red out of embarrassment. He sternly opposes the idea of having unlimited access to her room. Silencing him with her finger, she says she trusts him, and asks if he's so flustered because he's planning to do something. Like before, the sight of the demon lord towering over him makes Karna panic and flustered, so he just fervently insists that he wasn't thinking of going anything like that. Later on, the Royal Capital Guild gives a new subjugation quest for a formidable enemy who defeated Bello with a single strike of fire. After all, only one person is capable of defeating such a target. Norris smiled and readied the rest of his hero part to complete the subjugation request. That said, he tells the guild master to prepare a generous reward for their group. Before they could finalize it, Esha called out and encouraged them to reconsider the danger of fighting an unknown enemy. The hero sighs and assures her that there's no need to worry. Thanks to the convenient stepping stone that is Karna, their member learned resurrection magic. It was finally his chance to shine by challenging and defeating a big shot. He asks if she's still angry about him firing the necromancer she recommended. The assassin stood there with a stern gaze, sitting put on his couch. Karna wonders why his demon lord was late. They had planned to have breakfast together, but she seems to have overslept a bit. He walks to the portal to do his job of attending to her, and excuses himself for entering her room without permission. To his surprise and embarrassment, Cecil was sprawled out on her bed, still in nothing but her sleepwear. As her eyes opened from the presence of another person, she said good morning to the boy whose redness permeated through his mask. Completely uncaring about her revealing look, she just apologizes for oversleeping. As if he wasn't already dying of embarrassment, she calls him over to join him in the cozy bed for 5 more minutes. The demon lord apologizes again later on, and to make it up to him, a bountiful spread of human food is laid on his table. To satisfy his palate, she personally spoke to the chef and requested a human meal. He starts chewing happily but stops as he notices something odd. His master was eating a bowl of dark and unappetizing sludge. To his surprise, she takes a spoonful and basically squeals in delight over how delicious it is. Seeing his face, she says he must be curious about it. Demon food is mainly meant for absorbing mana, which is why it doesn't look good. She uncharacteristically looks apologetic for how it appears. Meanwhile, Karna remembers the hero's condescending face. He stood up and excitedly asked to try a bite, eager to taste demon food. While Noddins tries to dissuade him in shock, Cecil was already feeding him just like he asked. The spoonful was accepted with a big smile, and everyone looked in anticipation while he chewed. A while later, the young man's eyes sparkle over how good it tastes, which makes the demon lord even happier. On the other hand, the old god is confused, as he remembers how it used to taste terrible. She says demon culture evolved over the years, resulting in improved flavor overall. Even if they don't look nice, there are many good people, and food is just the same. Karna makes Cecil's heart race by asking for more, so the two decide to share their breakfast with each other. A while later, the two are full, and it's finally time to build the dungeon. He's asked if he's aware of a dungeon's role. It is a valuable place where demons can replenish their mana outside of eating. The mana used by humans who enter the dungeon is absorbed by the core and turned drinkable. If the core is destroyed, mana used to create the space returns to the earth, making the land fertile for humans. In other words, the very existence of such areas give humans a reason to challenge them. It is important to note that his dungeon is at the border of territories, meaning more frequent attacks. Given such an important task to improve everyone's lives, Karna decides to do his best and wills his spirits to start moving. In the forest by the mountains, monsters fell as the hero's party proceeded with their job request. They just need to travel a little farther to get to the target dungeon. Just then, he hears his team members arguing behind him. Ruth is mad that Maya got hurt, but the knight argues that it's because she rushed in without thinking. Esha silences them both, saying demons might notice if they keep their noisy fight going. They watch the assassin approach, but the anger is directed to her for introducing a supposedly useless person. She thought that a necromancer with a gold seal would be a valuable asset, but they flatly refused to work with someone just because his skills disgusted them. On the other hand, Norris agrees that he was strong, but stood in the way of him shining as a hero. With this, the three proceeded with their journey, while Isha stood behind, judging them for their irrational decision. The hero has the power to enhance all abilities with his skill, but he's just an attention seeker, who chooses his companions based on talent and looks, even letting a promising recruit slip away. She joined the party because of the great pay, but now she was stuck babysitting the brats. Just then, a terribly dark feeling struck her heart, and she questioned the divine aura emanating from the dungeon. Even the others couldn't believe that the graveyard-looking place was their destination. Esha wants to reconsider their strategy, as it looks different from what they heard, but the three were already rushing in without a care in the world. She tries to stop them and ends up entering as well. Inside, the spirits feel the presence of new challengers. They send signals to Karna, who jerks up and announces that the hero's party has entered the dungeon. Even Cecil and Nodens are surprised, as no one expected the hero to be their first challenger. With that said, he has no intention of holding back against them. Karna raised the dungeon core and called to the grave keepers, telling them to rise and fortify the defenses to the eternal coffin. As commanded, the undead rose from their graves, crawling and lurching at the humans to defend their home. The party is surprised by the unexpected enemies, and the battle master squeals at the zombies as she always does. Cecil commends him for making such an impressive dungeon. He blushes, saying he didn't have a lot of time and couldn't make it elaborate, although Nodens silently disagrees with the sentiment. Such powerful defenses won't be breached so easily. Norris steps forward to defeat the first wave of enemies, and gets confident as he sees one fall from just one slash of his blade. Just then, they all looked up upon noticing a bunch of ghosts floating in the air. The little beings flew around, mocking the humans who entered their domain. The hero can't do anything against incorporeal beings, so he tells the knight to use magic. A bright flash comes from Maya's hand as she uses a spell to turn them undead, but it's void as that's what they already are. With this, the humans are just laughed at for being so helpless. Flustered, Norris tells the two to do their jobs properly, and grits his teeth in pure frustration. For a hero party, they're fairly disappointing, and lack the mere capacity to fight the undead. The leader specializes in physical attacks, which are ineffective against ghosts. Proving that she's much better than them, Esha started sprinting across the space, and spreading holy water to purify the area, forcing the ghosts to scream and run away in terror. However, they couldn't do anything as she dove in and pierced through their bodies with her holy silver knife. The material is effective against such enemies, and while she supposedly did great, Ruth scolds her for taking so long. If the assassin could defeat them, then she should have done so from the start. Their infighting makes the atmosphere in the team even worse than ever. Even if an assassin is skilled, the party won't last if the rest of the members are like that. Karna then announces that he's heading off to prepare for his part, so Cecil wishes him luck on his very first dungeon defense, and watches him put the dragon mask on like usual. Esha tries to convince everyone to retreat for now, and rethink their strategy. Unwilling to back down, Norris arrogantly claims to have the future of humanity on his shoulders. She insists, saying they're at a reckless disadvantage, but he argues that it's just a bad matchup, and that she can just keep using her items. Holy water is expensive and precious, not one to use so easily. The two others scold her for holding back, when her comrades are in danger, telling them to pay for it then. She silently decides to leave the party after this mission. Greedy for glory, Norris offers to pay for the water, and urges her to use it in the next fight. With this, she has no choice but to accept, but on the condition that they retreat now and only use it if they encounter enemies. The others are also convinced and accept, so the party moves with the assassin leading the way. They eventually reach the exit, but do so unbelievably fast. Something was wrong. It isn't supposed to be so nearby. Oblivious, the others rushed forward, just glad that there weren't any enemies. Steel gates crashed down to block their way. Both the entrance and the exits were covered, and now they were trapped. Feeling an odd presence behind her, Isha launches a dagger at a precise spot, but the mysterious being knocks it away with barely any effort. While she starts to get troubled, Karna commends her for being able to break through his illusion. The dungeon master appeared, saying he came to greet the hero and his party. While the challengers face the dungeon master, Vol asks why the boy isn't bringing Nodens out. Karna explains that they've actually seen his grandfather before, and if they discover that he's become an enemy, the humans might put his family back home in danger. For this party, he'll have to repel them with just the two of them. Norris greets the master, thinking it's their first time meeting. Given his appearance, he scolds the filthy demon for taking on the form of a human. Meanwhile, Isha was busy worrying about the fact that her holy knife was swatted away. She wants to work together and attack carefully, but the battle master is already rushing in, arrogantly thinking that she alone is enough. Ready for her, Karna signals Vol, who then empowers his fist with an unbelievable amount of flames. It travels from his fist to his entire body. Ruth was already above him. She releases a super combo to blow him away, but he just raises his staff to defend against each and every shot. It was unbelievable and downright ridiculous to her, but he doesn't was a second and retaliates by attacking with the snake on his weapon. It attacks her gut and sends her flying away. Just like that, the battle between them was already over. Even Karna couldn't believe that it was that easy and thinks it's just an odd strategy. On the other hand, Norris screams in shock as he watches his comrade fall. Since physical techniques weren't working, Maya steps in to fight with magic instead. She calls to her god and asks for the power to smite evildoers. A blast of pure magic shot forward, even with Ruth still in its path. While the young boy was looking at the fallen battle master, The spell made contact and exploded in the middle of the room. The knight grinned in triumph, not minding Esha, who scolded her for attacking her allies as well. Instead, she approached recklessly to revive the girl. A blast of dark magic suddenly shot forward and hit the girl, who didn't even have her guard up in the battlefield. She falls as well. Karna was somehow above all of them, standing on a wall he raised using necromancy. His physical technique and magic alone were enough to let Esha know that they were massively outmatched. If the boy wasn't there, then Ruth would have died from the attack for sure. Not caring about it at all, Norris let out a war cry, enhancing all his abilities with his heroic power. It seems he intends to attack again, even with his allies in the way. He confidently says that using hostages won't work on their party. After all, they have resurrection magic that can revive them. It might be a trap, and Karna has no reason to help the enemy, but having been abandoned countless times before, he can't bear to do the same and leave anyone behind. He's had enough and calls to Vol, willing the fire god to manifest entirely. The maniacal hero tells the demon to die, and unleashes a massive slash of holy light. Its power doesn't even make the old god bat an eye, and she just takes it on by releasing a blast of fire thunder. Their powers clash for just a second, until the raging flames completely devour the weak light and sped towards the target. Fortunately for the hero, it doesn't hit him, and instead vaporizes the wall behind him. In disbelief, he questions just what in the world the two of them are. Norris regains his hope, saying he still has his holy sword, but that very same sword breaks right in his hands. To his surprise, his holy armor also crumbles and falls off, leaving him a completely bare man. Seeing his equipment destroyed, he questions what type of magic the dungeon master is using. Esha explains that the hero's power to vanquish evil depends on performing righteous deeds. If he abandons his comrades without repenting, it's only natural for the equipment to forsake him. He argues that he hasn't abandoned his comrades at all. In fact, he paid Karna a small reward, back when he kicked him out for being unneeded. He's also preparing means to save his dead comrades. To him, none of that is selfish at all. In their world, souls are classified as good, which protects and nurtures others, and evil, which prioritizes one's own gain. The attributes are determined by one's actions and can change quite easily. Her goggles of truth reveal the attribute of the target, and it shows that he's currently evil and a fallen sage who's lost his divine revelation. Norris screams in horror. A normal human would consider it natural to not betray their comrades. Before being a hero, he's already been disqualified as a human. Finally understanding that he was hopeless in the situation, the fallen one runs away while crying for help. He foolishly trips over a random item on the ground and drops to the ground without any defenses. Karna sends a bolt of electricity at the target. Despite their differences, Isha rushed in between the hero and the spell. She catches the bolt with an odd bottle in her hand, which seemingly negates the damage to a degree. As he doesn't want to be too rough, the boy tells her to give up already. Unfortunately, she was still being paid, so she intends to keep her end of the contract and do her best. The assassin suddenly tosses another knife at the enemy. Unfazed, he watches it fly towards him and calls on his ghouls to appear under his feet. In the blink of an eye, he speeds forward and circles around her. A powerful spell isn't even needed, and he just physically knocks her out with his staff. Watching her fall, Norris's panic starts to come again, and he urgently tries to crawl away and escape. However, a foot suddenly kicked his back. A familiar figure couldn't believe that someone this pathetic is the hero. Still on his knees, he looks up and asks who she is, so the demon lord of lusts introduces herself with a smile. Realizing who his opponent is, he regrets challenging the dungeon in the first place. Unfortunately, he can't change the past and must face the consequences of his actions. If he hadn't committed such evil deeds, he wouldn't have lost his divine revelation. With a ridiculous smile, he asks to be spared, even offering to become her subordinate. She flatly refuses to have someone like him in her army, which he seems to be underestimating. Demons value individuals as evil, and this is why they work together to reach places unattainable alone. It's different from the mere selfishness humans always show. While Karna wondered if she was telling him something, Cecil says the hero doesn't even have enough value to be killed by her. With this, the boy waves his staff and commands his spirits to take them out of his dungeon. Screams filled the hall as they're swept away by the balls of fire. With the humans finally gone, the demon lord checks on how her subject feels. Karna takes his mask off and shares that he feels quite refreshed. From now on, he'll become a formidable enemy of humanity for his precious lord, who's done nothing but recognize and support him. Glad to hear his thoughts, she asks him to keep doing his best. Settling this matter, she turns to move to the next one, which is talking to Esha about a variety of things. In the land of violence, Kal Kazan, the hero's loss is reported. A goblin shook as he knelt, sharing that the lust demon lord also appeared. Guru, the demon lord of greed, sat on top of a dead dragon, saying he must settle things with the one who took over his dungeon and snatched the hero's head. Just like that, he sets his eyes on Cecil. In the capital city's Adventurers Guild, the news of the hero's defeat reaches the guild master. Norris lost his divine power, became a fallen sage, and was promptly but secretly executed by the kingdom. His two companions are also permanently incapacitated. Meanwhile, the mercenary assassin assigned to watch them hasn't returned and was most likely captured for information. That said, she's a Gold Seal veteran and likely won't leak anything important to the enemy. As they don't have the resources to rescue her, they're going to assume that she's dead and consider it a total loss. Outside, spirits watch the conversation to report back to their master. Back in the dungeon, Karna was stressed about the limitations of strengthening his territory. Nodin suggests that repelling the hero should consider it strong enough, but he firmly rejects it and argues that the party just lost out of carelessness. Veterans are different and would break through. For Cecil's sake, he's determined to do everything to keep the area safe. Just then, the site supervisor started to appear from a patrol. The spirit of Urtal, ancestor of all dragons and dungeon site supervisor, emerged and is asked how it is. He reports that the facilities the boy can create with magic has reached its limit. Necromancy creation is primarily used to enhance cemeteries and the undead, and isn't exactly suitable for strengthening a dungeon. As such, he must compensate with operations and propose an efficient arrangement strategy. Karna definitely has ideas, but carrying them out requires a lot of experience. In other words, they need someone who understands the perspective of adventurers. Seeing him put his mask on, Nodens asks where the boy is headed and is told that he's going to consult with a certain someone. In their prison, screams rang out, furious over how they're treating her. Esha cried and asked them to stop, as her quarters were filled with demon cats, adorable enough to disarm her. One hums and purrs at her, nearly knocking her defenses down in one go. The assassin steals her resolve, unwilling to fall for the cat who lays down and asks for belly rubs. Unfortunately, her will isn't strong enough, and she cuddles the soft and fluffy feline, even rubbing her face across its body. Karna catches her in the act, and is glad that she likes them. She questions how he found out about her love for cats, and is told that he used his necromancy to read her soul. Such immense power is unthinkable, as she can't even stop herself from leaking information. She's a 24-year-old mercenary, with the assassin job and the item's master talent. Her hobby is rescuing cats in the slums, even feeding strays food and potions. While he can't read detailed memories, he is able to understand her background and interests. Feeling intruded on, Esha argues that cats are all honest, unlike humans who always betray. He assures her that there's nothing wrong with that, adding that it's wonderful. Taking a seat, she regains composure and states that it's useless to try and curry her favor with felines. As she's already received her pay, the mercenary refuses to leak any information. Insisting that it isn't what he's after, the young man takes his mask off and shocks her by revealing the truth behind his identity. He's also surprised to hear that she's the one who recommended him for the hero party. More importantly, why was a human like him serving the demon lord? He unapologetically shares that he's betrayed humanity, mainly for pay and benefits. Additionally, working under Cecil is fun and a great learning experience. In demon society, strength is everything, and hierarchy is based on wealth and power, while cuteness is seen as a weakness. As such, the demon cats are cruelly used as training targets and food for other monsters. It's undeniably sad, and she wants nothing more than to save them. Karna wants their help with repelling adventurers and continuously drain their power. For that purpose, he's reached the conclusion of creating an area where cute monsters appear and designing a dungeon that seems conquerable. Hearing his plan, she questions why he doesn't even hesitate to betray humanity. It doesn't matter to him which side he's on, since there isn't much difference between the races. Isha realizes that their enemy is worse than the demon lords. To her surprise, Karna extends his hand, saying he needs someone who knows a lot about adventures, and asks her to become his subordinate under a formal contract. She knows it's a trap, but asks for the reward nonetheless. It's a 10 million gold signing bonus, and 10 more as an annual salary. It's twice the pay for the hero's party, but she's still able to hold on to her love for humanity. However, he offers to make all the cats her subordinates, if she signs now. Her resolve crumbles completely, and she asks to hear more about this clause. Convinced with the offer of cats, Isha accepts the offer to be a member of the Demon Lord's army. That said, she only agreed to avoid the risk and steal information by acting as a double agent. Nodin suggests showing the new recruit the current state of the dungeon, so he offers to tour her around the entire area. As it's a great opportunity to gather information, she accepts right away. Starting with the entrance, he gestures forward to introduce the gatekeeper, the enormous dragon zombie. The sight of the fearsome beast makes the veteran adventurer scream. He says it's an undead earth dragon that's motivated with the prospect of being revived, as if proving his point. It roars with praise for Karna and a promise to kill intruders. The beast is scolded, as killing isn't great for gathering the magic power of humans. It pouts in disappointment, finding it hard to hold back. Moving on, he opens a trapdoor that leads to the trap zone, which he's proud of. They haven't even entered, but she already knows that the dungeon is incomparable to others. It was a long and unending path forward. The small group spends ages walking, but don't seem to reach anywhere despite that. He reveals that he manipulated space to create a Mobius strip that can't be escaped without a countermeasure. It was far from a light stop, and someone who steps in unknowingly could actually die. The two insist that it's a 5-minute stop at best with teleportation, but only a few can do that. Excited to move on, Karna hopped forward and ushered her to follow. As their journey continued, it became even clearer that the dungeon was practically unbeatable, especially to a normal person. When their tour finally ends, the master obliviously calls his territory mild and embarrassing, but she scolds him for failing to realize that it's like a milder version of hell. Getting the wrong takeaway, he says he'll make it even closer to the real hell. Just then, a familiar portal opened, deeming the assessment harsh. As the engineer, Ertal is ashamed and asks for suggestions so he can make it better. Isha freezes from his presence, quickly understanding that he's an ancient dragon. To her surprise, he's introduced as the dungeon craftsman, who even politely bows to the human. He's the ancestor of his kind, whom the old gods fought a long time ago. Now, he just quietly follows Karna and watches over the world from its corners. While she's still awestruck, the boy notes that it must be difficult to converse in his form, so the dragon then rapidly shrunk to the size of the other spirits. She couldn't believe that the necromancer commanded both the ancient dragons and the old gods. It was unquestionable. The only reason they're quiet is because they regard there are stronger beings outside. If they learn that no such force exists among humanity, they could break out of the dungeon and drop all hesitation to wreak havoc on their weak race. Such powerful entities would laugh as they destroy their world. Karna notices her face turning pale, but she just moves on and suggests that he suppress the dungeon's killing intent. The current difficulty is too high for general adventurers and should be adjusted to a gradual increase. Finally, understanding the perspective they missed, the overpowered beings move to review and improve based on her suggestions. If the weakness of humanity becomes known, the world might just be destroyed. It's fine if the privileged royals are killed, but the slums in the capital are home to her friends, family, and several stray cats, so she can't let it be destroyed. Her plan is to infiltrate the demon army, without them realizing how weak their enemies are compared to them. A month later, a few adventurers walked through the graveyard, hacking at skeleton monsters and questioning if the hero was really beaten there. All they have to do is avoid the intermediate area, as the initial stages already have amazing loot. The image of the bountiful rewards being taken is played in Cecil's executive meeting. An angry demon bangs his hand on the table and complains about the items in the new dungeon being continuously stolen by humans. They demand an explanation from the demon lord. Belf tells his peer to compose himself, as he was embarrassing the entire board. Also present were Derek, Incubus tribe chief, and Borg, chief of the Orc tribe. Mammon found him pathetic, for even losing to the newcomer they know nothing about. The servant is unable to do anything but acknowledge his defeat. Meanwhile, Cecil and Karna were having some tea, as if there wasn't an argument happening. She encourages everyone to have some as well, but is told that it isn't the time. She seized another lord's territory without warning them, and it's been losing items instead of getting mana, so he wants to know how they intend to take responsibility. It's true that they're in the red, but it's more of a startup investment recommended by his advisor. Then calling on his advisor to explain, Esha stepped forward, wearing a mask to disguise her human identity. Having an advisor pop up from nowhere is suspicious, but Mammon humors it for now. The true nature of the Eternal Coffin's beginner zone lies in baiting adventurers into coming. When they joyfully take their loot, the dungeon finishes them off and profits. The screen shows two adventurers in a room filled with demon cats, which they found ridiculous but cute. Watching one purr under their touch, the men fall in love and continue to play with the feline. What they don't notice are the others approaching to launch a surprise attack. The rest of the cats pounced and knocked them unconscious. Their goal is to raise the weakest class of monsters with minimal labor. After that, they don't kill the adventurers, but simply siphon their mana while confiscating the items they obtained from the dungeon. Ghosts will then possess and devour their memories of the Phantom Cat Room before they're kicked out of the Eternal Coffin. Without the memory of the last room, they'll think they can win next time, and return over and over, allowing for a repetitive and endless cycle of mana harvest. They're currently in the deficit, but it'll pay off once rumors spread to the general public. Belf was stunned by the ruthless exploitation, while the two others are impressed by how far they've planned ahead. On the other hand, Mammon still refused and had more questions. He notes that the cats use charm magic, which they shouldn't be able to, so he accuses them of using a precious castle artifact. With a loud voice, he deems it as foul play. To ease his tension and curiosity, Karna puts his hands out and summons a bunch of succubus spirits, which then fill and fly around the room. While thanking him for summoning them, their presence immediately affected everyone, who started seeing the newcomer as an incredibly cute and attractive person. Borg nearly passes out from the sight of him, and even Belf has to remind himself that he's looking at a man. While Derek panted, unable to hold back, Mammon barely managed to retain his anger. The spirits unleash people's deepest desires and make those without defenses lose reason. Such is the true danger behind the dungeon's beginner level. The incubus wonders where he found such rare creatures, as even she, an incubus, can't. Karna shares that they're from a nearby graveyard, and were happy to help when he asked. This is the first time Cecil has heard about this, but she realizes that he must be talking about another sealed divine spirit. Some of the cats get the power to use charm magic when possessed by the succubus spirits. Still reeling, the entire room has no choice but to accept his method and operations. If things continue this way, the felines will be able to use charm magic on their own. Karna completes his presentation, but Esha looks troubled. She was against the plan in the first place, skeptical that the cats alone can fix the problem of discrimination against the weak. Still, he was willing to gamble on that hope. The girl was still worried about the little ones getting hurt, so he assured her that that won't happen. He believes in them, just like he's here now because Cecil chose to believe in him. As naive as it sounds, he knows that faith changes things. The boy really must be a soft-hearted kid who doesn't know how the world works. Just then, Cecil forbid the unjust treatment of low-ranked monsters in the dungeon, effective immediately. This gets quite a positive reaction from the table, who's glad to make progress with their world. Shocked, Esha realizes that the world might not be so cold after all. Karna rummaged through Cecil's messy room. She says he can clean up later, but the boy is insistent on doing it right away and thanks her for indulging in his selfishness. Carrying a demon cat in her arm, she reminds him that they agreed to improve their lives together. The choice to believe in him was hers, and he responded to her feelings much better than she ever expected him to. Now, she wonders if he's feeling their bond grow stronger, just as she is. With this, the demon lord asks the human if he's ever been in love before. The boy isn't sure about it, as there weren't any girls his age in his hometown. In other words, it might be a first for both of them. Her words make him turn beet red in embarrassment. Not minding it, she opens a portal to teach him about the countless things he must not know about. They step through the portal to study love, hand in hand. Demons lack the concept of love and romance, but there are some races that marry. He's brought to the village of the orcs, and is greeted by a familiar figure who's been waiting for them. Borg welcomes them to the settlement of his kind. Karna recognizes him as the one from the executive meeting. As he bows, Cecil explains that she's teaching him the demon way of life, and wants to inspect as well. He's asked to raise his head, as bowing to lower-ranked demons will have him looked down on. Originally, demons absorb magic to live, but orcs cannot and must sustain themselves with food. In other words, they're the dropouts of the human world. Karna assures him that he's different, and has no intention of fighting with demons. This gets a chuckle out of Cecil, while Borg's confusion is interrupted by a loud scolding, calling him a log that's just standing around. His wife tells him to cook dinner already, so he tells her that the demon lord is there. Her tone immediately shifts and she heads over to flatter the lord, even inviting them to their house despite his refusal. As the lord came all the way there, she insisted on entertaining her somehow. Cecil understands why he's hesitant and says she's grateful to have a glimpse of their life. With this, he ushers her in, saying he can't offer much and adding that a human-born wife is terrifying indeed. The woman before them is half orc and half human. As his kind cannot create offspring with magic alone, they must mate with humans. Truth be told, they are a species that would go extinct without humankind. This must be the reason why orcs are known to often abduct human women in the woods. In the house beside the sludge lake, the family serves their guests salted rotten meat with withered vegetables. While the children drooled in delight, the visitors couldn't help but cover their noses. Nodens admits that eating the dish would give him an upset stomach. Apologizing, Borg says they can't even make a field or get decent meat, as they live in a cave. Fresh ingredients overflowing with magic are a pipe dream. Even then, he dreams of one day feeding his children delicious food. Moved by his sentiments, Karna offers to help a bit and puts his hand over the bowl of orc food. With magic, they watch as the rotten meat and vegetables turn into a freshly made meal. The entire room is slack-jawed in shock as he explains that he rewinded its time. Wasting no time, the children scarf down the food, which tastes unlike anything they've had. Karna is glad that they like it, so he marches out with his two old gods. Borg is confused and doesn't know what he intends to do, But the boy just walks over to the sludge lake and releases the spirits. Nodens and Vol materialize to unleash their power on the barren land. As they work together, purple electricity combines with raging fire, willing the earth to awaken. In a matter of moments, life grew out of the dry land, covering it with healthy soil and a lush greenery. The water that was thick and black was now clear and as pure as can be. Just like that, the cave that had no life was filled with hope, and they can finally build a farm and harvest fresh vegetables all the time. This brings the orcs to tears, as their children can finally eat as many vegetables as they want. Calling Karna their savior and the Mage of Blessings, they carry him and toss him up in celebration, swearing loyalty to the new demon general. While smiling at them from nearby, Cecil is again reassured that the boy is the person she always believed he is. Back in the castle, a demon tells Mammon that the investigation results on the Adventurers Guild are in. According to the stolen adventurer list, the person in question's magic is definitely necromancy. Only one person fits that description. Gritting his teeth as he discovers Karna's real identity, he calls for the demon Lord of Greed. Groveling before humans is unforgivable, and he's willing to wage an internal war to stop it from happening. With their duty done, the servant and master bid farewell to the orc tribe. Cecil was stuffed from the delicious feast the villagers made for them, which of course would not have been possible without Karna's help. Despite his humility, it's undeniable that he's amazing. Still refusing the credit, he insists that it was only done with the help of the old gods. This makes her chuckle in amusement. The demon lord suddenly hugged him from behind and jumped on his back. He made pacts with the gods and is wielding their power, and that alone is remarkable. As this is the first time she's felt like this, she wonders if it's what people call love. Pulling himself away, the boy insists that he doesn't know either. While he still averted his eyes, she tells him to look at something and pulls her sleeve back. On the back of her hand is the seal of inheritance. Her demon lord title is passed from mother to child, along with the crest infused with Bastet's power. However, every time she uses her magic to create a child, her soul vessel deteriorates. Fortunately, he appeared. If it's a child with him, who has immense mana, it might be able to hold the great magic. As such, she asks him to fall in love with him. He blushes and says that he doesn't really understand love too well yet. Nonetheless, she accepted and acknowledged him, and he'll do anything to help her. Like with others, he'll work hard at love too, if this is what it takes to make her happy. Together, the three walked towards the main hall. It was finally time for his official enlistment into the Demon Lord's army. They have to do something about his race and name, as they can't exactly reveal that he's a human. He might pretend to be a mysterious demon who rules over old gods. Hiding his identity in the human realm would be impossible, but they're in the demon realm, so it shouldn't be a big deal. Additionally, Cecil is already the Demon Lord, and can essentially do what she wants to. Told that she's so cool for that, she tells him to fall in love with her if he feels that way. Suddenly sullen, he says he's going to try, but it won't come easy, especially for an inexperienced kid like him. Finding his sincerity adorable, she takes his hand and says that it isn't something given, but something built together. She's decided against rushing, since they have a lot of time together after all. With their hands holding each other, they can find happiness little by little. Isha hates to ruin their lovey-dovey moment, but it's time to head to the ceremony. Like they said, they head to his big debut hand in hand. The hall is filled with the followers of the Demon Lord, cheering loudly for their one and only master. All her generals were there, waiting for the glorious moment. Presented to the priest, they all hail the grand feast. He starts the oath, swearing to the old gods that he'll offer everything to Cecil. The boy is asked if he wishes and vows to become her loyal soldier. Their seals glow bright, and the entire hall is filled with the light of their bond. Looking into his new master's eyes, he starts to swear with all his resolve, but the entire castle suddenly shakes with unfamiliar power. An orc suddenly barged into the hall with terrible news. Their realm was under attack. Outside, an ogre swung his massive mallet and sent a shockwave strong enough to break the castle gates open. The orc soldiers stood their ground despite being outmatched and demanded to know who dared to barge into a demon lord's territory. He's hit in the face and sent tumbling across the ground, used as an example to the other pigs for thinking of fighting back. From that moment on, the castle belongs to the Greed Demon Lord's Plunder Legion. The ogres were openly invading the Lust Demon Lord's castle, and the barrier being managed by a general was for some reason not working. Chuckling at their confusion, one of the enemies raised its hammer to kill everyone. A bolt of purple lightning suddenly shot forward and consumed his body entirely. The raging electricity coursed through his body, making him scream in pain while being electrocuted alive. Belf appears and tells the orcs to arm themselves already. As a loyal servant of Cecil, he's willing to protect their home with his life. His appearance gives the soldiers newfound hope, and they now take arms to fight back. Their faith rebuilds his self-esteem, that was destroyed in the fight against Karna. Just then, he's told to watch out as a new and more powerful enemy appears, swinging his mace to the ground. It was a higher demon, which none of them expected to team up with Guru. Cecil is told about the invaders, and that Belf won't be able to hold them back for long. At this rate, the throne room will be breached and fall at any moment. The barrier should fend enemies off, but it seems to have been tampered with. There's only one person who could do that, and it was Maimon, who's watching the violence and chaos from above. She doesn't want to jump to betrayal just yet, and would like to hear his side. Unfortunately, they have to cut Karna's ritual short and ask for his help right away. Her crest now glowed on his palm, and he vows to protect the Lord with his life. For now, he summons Urtal and tells him to restore the barrier that protects the castle. Doing as told, the ancient dragon unleashed its power, forming a path of protection that traveled out to the gates. Just like that, he rebuilds the entire barrier in no time, surprising even those demons outside. The moment of distraction ends up with Belf getting a direct hit, and is scolded for gawking around when he has an enemy right in front of him. There were just too many of them, and his magic was already drained. When he was just about to accept defeat, a silhouette appeared above, refusing to give in so easily. Karna dove down to defend his lord's sanctuary, unwilling to let them defile it any longer. Nodens is manifested, and the old god emerges with a blast of purple thunder that tears the ogre army apart. Seeing them completely helpless, Belf could only watch in shock and awe. It was a good warm-up for the old god's creaking bones. Calling to the demon who bears his sigil, Nodens commends him for exhibiting his unwavering loyalty to Cecil. Now reunited, they can defend the castle together, if he can still fight. Standing back up, Belf acts all strong and takes command of the troops, telling them all to start the Lust Lord's counterattack. The ogres stand their ground and also charge in, but compared to before, their numbers have been whittled down by a ton. Mammon doesn't understand how they're being pushed back, and why the barrier is up and running again. Could it really be the humans' doing? A blade suddenly touched his neck. Apprehending him, Aisha says he'll never defeat that human he hates so much. Threatened with death if he moves, she asks why he guided the ogres there. The sharp assassin realized it was him the moment the barrier dropped during the attack. Telling him to state his purpose, she dragged the blade across his neck and questions if he intends to die standing. A terrifying presence then emerged from the side, saying it's her who's going to die. Her arm instinctively rose to defend, but one quick hit was enough to send her crashing into the wall far away. Already near death, she asks who he is, and quickly realizes that she was just attacked by the demon lord of greed. Guru called to Cecil and told her to wait, as he, the Great One, was coming to take everything from her. Isha has heard the name of the demon lord before. He's the greedy ruler of Kalzakan, who'll stop at nothing to get what he wants. Mammon was relieved to see him there, thinking he came to save him. However, Guru couldn't care less about such a useless little subject who can't even lift the barrier properly like they planned. Apologizing profusely and promising to lead him to Cecil right away, he asks what the Lord intends to do with the human in his hands. Still gripping her by the neck, he decides to handle her while they are it. He'll take anything he wants, and ditch everything that slows him down. He was infiltrating another lord's domain, and even among them, the gap wasn't so wide, just as Karna said. On the other hand, Cecil's reign and kingdom was much better, blurring the lines even more. Countless lives will be lost if she falls and the other lords march onto human land. Determined to stop that from happening, she takes an odd ball from her pouch and drops it. The item emits a blinding light as soon as it hits the floor, but Guru smiled as he stared at it with wide eyes. Despite getting kicked away by the human assassin, it was just a fit of amusement for him. Esha dashes past him with amazing speed, making full use of her hard-trained battle capabilities. Another flash bomb is released as she tries to hide and watch how her opponent moves. However, he appeared from the smoke, merely laughing at her pathetic attempt to blind him. A sonic vacuum pushes all the smoke away and cuts through the ground, leading to her. Dodging for now, it becomes clear that he's using a martial arts time seal, so she just has to keep her distance and be wary of his moves. Regardless of how thick the smoke is, they're just petty items in the face of a demon lord. More annoyed than hurt, Guru uses a different seal and blows everything away with a howling red gale. She's sent flying, shocked that he's using wind spirit magic on top of the martial arts sigil earlier. It was incomprehensible. A single being should only be able to have one engraving, so how was he doing this? Taking a look at Isha's items for himself, he's surprised to see that there's nothing special. In other words, she must be someone who reinforced her weapons with a gold seal. Her body moves under his firm grip, rendered completely defenseless by his power. He reveals the mark on her body and confirms his suspicions that she holds an incredibly rare mark. Unfortunately for her, the demon lord of greed wants it. As the images of those important to her flashes, she refuses to die in such a pathetic state. The human curses Guru, but he just laughs at her face and starts stealing her power. Esha screamed helplessly, unable to do anything despite it all. Her mark appears on his hand, basically ripped out of her skin, and she fell limp on the floor. It wasn't bad at all, and was much to his satisfaction. As always, the demon lord of greed feeds on the pleasure of taking. While the ring on her finger glowed, Mammon praised Guru, and essentially begs him to kill the human necromancer. The lord says they don't even need to step in, as he's already brought out his 3 generals to take care of the boy. With his army coming, they don't even need to worry about a little human. While he expects him to be dead by now, Karna was standing against the 3 demon generals, backed by the 2 old gods under his command. Present were Hans, the peerless samurai who was supposedly chosen by Val, Susha, the warlock who bears the evil eye mark, and Rai, the great archmage. Together, they form the threefold invocation as Guru's demon generals, and by his command, they'll be taking the life of the enemy in front of them. The trio unleashed their attacks together on one single human, but Karna just had to call for Vol's help. Her blazing fire raged and enhanced his staff with so much power that the 3 were immediately consumed by the red flames. Just like that, the demon generals were kneeling on the ground, with hands even serving as a chair for the god. They begged for their lives and profusely apologized, while the Vol burned the fake chosen one's head for taking her sword. The trio could normally defeat entire armies, but they were taken down in the blink of an eye. With this, Belf couldn't help but finally acknowledge Karna's unbelievable power. Hans, now bald from being burned, begged for mercy, and is then told to reveal the real reason for their frontal assault. Crying, he shares that they're meant to thin the defenses on the front lines, to allow Guru to infiltrate and kill the demon lord of lust without issues. Finally realizing what they're aiming for, Karna hurries to save her in time, but he notices Belf struggling with the ogres. No matter how many he took down, they just kept coming and coming. As such, the necromancer raised his staff and cast a spell on the fallen demons. Suddenly, they rose from the dead and were reinvigorated with his power. The servant doesn't understand what's happening right away, and is told that they've been reanimated to fight as fresh troops. Just then, a bunch of spirits rushed to Karna's feet and lifted him up. Belf is left in charge of the border, while he goes ahead and assists their lord. The demon understands and vows to defeat the stragglers, while he saves Cecil. As such, the human flew past the army and back into the castle, dearly hoping that he makes it in time. Urtal's barrier was keeping the additional enemies outside of the border. A subject rushed into the halls to report the enemy forces were being pushed back. The people cheered, and their trust in Karna's ability grew just like that. Of course, Cecil already expected as much from her chosen human. With that said, she couldn't shake the feeling of tension in her heart. If the raid fails, they'll have to strengthen the castle's defenses, and mustn't let a second attack happen. She then notices a ghost flying towards her from above. It seems like an ordinary spirit at first, but her eyes grew wide in surprise upon realizing that it's Esha, back as an incorporeal entity. Confused, she asks the human why she was in such a state. The news of Maymon's betrayal reaches the Lord, along with the fact that Guru was coming. In other words, Cecil must flee as soon as possible. Those who hear her are incredulous, refusing to believe that the demon general betrayed them. They're all silenced with one word, the human wrist becoming a ghost just to warn the Lord of what was coming. After Guru struck, she used a rare item to turn herself into a spirit, which is why she looks that way, but the demon of greed took her seal, meaning her form won't last long. As such, she encourages her to find Karna while she can, and allow him to protect her. She's right about this, but Cecil says she can still save her, if she fights now. Isha couldn't believe it, and shouts about her not owing a human such a service. The demons hear this and think they've been betrayed, but their lord does not care and wants to return the favor. Her race does not matter, and she will protect her precious subordinates no matter what. Their loyalty will be paid tenfold with her love. With this, Cecil, the demon lord of lust, blessed by the original god, Bastet, turned to her subjects and told them to follow her command. Again, she's discouraged from throwing her life away for no reason, but the idea of a human worrying and protecting her makes her chuckle, especially after being betrayed by her supposedly faithful kin. It is both clumsy and sincere, and it is exactly why she will protect Esha as well. A teleportation circle flashed right by Guru, and he's shocked to see Cecil appear right before him, rushing them onto the climax of the invasion. He's all fired up, as she came all the way there just to die in his hands. Unfazed, she commands the demon lord of lust to get out of her castle immediately. Cecil tells Guru to let go of her troops, unless he wants to get hurt as well. Seeing her again, Mammon accuses her of causing this entire battle, as she betrayed demonkind and sided with the humans. She finally understands why he sided with the demon lord of greed. Still, the ever-sympathetic master, she urges him to talk to her for now. After all, she loves every one of her subordinates, including him. Guru scoffs at her words and offers to share what the traitor said about her. He called her a coward who threw her pride away to serve humans and unfit to lead demonkind. The mere thought of him being a loyal subject was ridiculous. Cecil accepts his words with an open heart and won't blame him for losing faith in her. That said, she doesn't love all humans, only those who believe and will fight beside her. Her moral lecture is rebuked, and the Lord is reminded that humans are their sworn enemies. It's true that the original demons created by Bastet were branded with her hatred towards the race, but was that really all they could do? Questioned if she denies their progenitor's will, she argues that she simply wants her own path. As such, she asks Mammon why he bears such a grudge so deep that it carries over to her. He was hesitating, unable to give a straight answer, when Guru interrupted and called them out for whining about meaningless things. One just has to take what they want, and there's nothing more to it. Souls, hatred, and inherited will. None of that mattered to him, a real demon lord who just takes whatever it is he desires. Seeing him charge in, Cecil first summons a protective barrier around Esha's limp body. Mammon is surprised to see the same barrier around him. The power of the two demon lords clashed and howled in the air. Guru laughed and advised her to worry about herself before giving a lecture to her troops. As she sends his words back to him, the demon of greed disappeared from her sight, moving around and reappearing at her blind spot with a clenched fist. She was ready for this, of course, and protected herself with barely any effort. Her shield is so tough that he ends up damaging his own hand, but the thrill of fighting a powerful opponent only serves to excite him. Unaffected by his efforts, Cecil encourages the battle-hungry demon to try harder. Guru retorts, saying she should start hitting him for real, as they know she's strong enough to beat him with sheer force alone. Giving a glimpse of her real power, she tells him to say please, if he really wants to die. Mammon is in awe as he sees this for the first time, and asks where she was hiding it all this time. The 7 demon lords are split from the soul of Bastet, with each sin given a shape. When a demon lord dies, their soul reincarnates into the next vessel, and Bastet's magic within keeps fading each time. They've all experienced that, except for one. The demon lord of lust has never reincarnated and lost any of the original power. In other words, she carries divine ancestral magic and a direct lineage link. Their aura alone makes this difference apparent. When demon lords clash, the victor keeps the merged soul along with its power. This is the exact reason why Guru has come to challenge her. He intends to take every single drop of her overwhelming power and reign as the strongest of all. Despite being clearly outclassed, he foolishly continues to strike her barrier. To Cecil's surprise, the shield starts to crack under the force of his punches. Grinning and cackling like a madman, he hits one last time and completely breaks her defenses. Forced to dodge the next strike, she starts to use her power to stop him for good. The eyesore of a demon lord is sent back with a powerful blast, but a single hand is enough to defend himself from her magic. While she wants to put more magic into it, doing so would blow the entire castle sky high. Her fingernail starts to crack from stress, and Guru takes advantage of the momentary weakness. Driving the demon of lust's body into the wall, he laughs and says he likes her even more. Still gripping her neck, he warns her about burning through her magic too fast. Her vessel won't be able to keep up, and must already be ready to burst open. Knowing this, she's told to be a good girl and be his already. Not minding her opponent's quips, Cecil answers by emitting power from the finger with the broken nail, and sends Guru flying with another strong blast of magic. Her answer to his command is clear, but he has no problem with taking her divine magic by force. Esha checks on the Lord, and warns of the 2 seals on the back of his hand. One of them belongs to a hero from generations ago, who could shatter barriers with just his fists. It's the mark of the fist, and the second is the Spirit King's anti-magic, both of which counter her perfectly. This is the reason her spells seem completely ineffective on him. Saying it'd be ridiculous to fight her without a plan, he charges in again. Like before, their energies clash against each other, and Guru laughs as he already knows how this is going to end. As he thought, her barrier breaks as it did last time, but she does something unexpected and releases a smoke bomb, not unlike the one Esha used earlier. She makes use of the opening from the surprise attack, and sends him flying away with another burst of magic. Seeing him reach so far, Mammon worries and asks Guru if he's okay. There's no time for that, as Cecil was already preparing another attack, and it's much more concentrated this time, so much so that her opponent knows it'll be trouble if he gets hit directly. Fortunately, he knows just what to do, and breaks through her shield to grab Mammon's body and use him as a shield for her attack. The loyal and benevolent lord scowled at the petty tactic, but it works, and she forces herself to take the backlash of the cancelled spell, leaving her with an injured hand. It works exactly as Guru expected, and he's now free to attack because she's bound by her own karma. A punch hits her deep in the gut, sending the Lord of Lust tumbling on the ground. They are the manifestation of the 7 testaments of Bastet. Cecil, who was given the karma of lust, the love of the progenitor, cannot attack her own men. Cecil commands him to let go of Mammon, so he steps on the head of the foolish lord, who worries about her subordinates, even in this situation. Guru now understands that the reason she's been running away all this time is because she struggles to kill. Despite her power, this karma leaves her vulnerable in their world. Refusing to hit the floor, she orders him to stop calling it karma. After all, her ability to love is a valuable blessing from their progenitor. Since she's still so intent on sticking to her ideals, he's made up his mind to take her subordinates' souls right in front of her. Mammon becomes his first victim, and the traitor screams in pain as his soul is sucked right out of his body. She orders him to stop, but the deed is done. The limp body is tossed away, and when she will soon follow, after watching them all suffer the same fate, targeting her alone wasn't an option for him. After all, he'll take and do anything he wants by force. Such is the karma of greed. Esha watched from nearby, knowing humanity will be finished if Cecil ends up dying. She wants to help, but there's nothing she can do in her form. Suddenly, she feels a familiar presence rushing in from nearby. Gripping the demon lord tight, Guru held his hand up to claim her and her power for good. Suddenly, he finds his arm blasted away by the flames of Kagutsuchi. It's surprisingly effective, so he questions what in the world the magic is, but the distraction allows for the woman in her hands to be swept away. At a safe distance, Karna appears with the two old gods, coming just in time to rescue his beloved master. Finally on the scene, Karna checks on Cecil, who is fortunately okay despite the battle. On the other hand, Guru started laughing as he finally saw the human necromancer Mammon kept on mentioning. He now understands why, as the power he holds is definitely unreal, so much so that his 3 great generals didn't even stand a chance. Seeing his hand, Val informs the boy that he has a flame-resistant sigil, so Noddins goes ahead and takes the lead by unleashing his iconic purple lightning of despair. However, it's completely pointless as Guru swats the spell away, combining his seals to make him completely impervious to magic-based attacks. Seeing their attacks rendered ineffective annoys the old gods. Val asks the boy to give her some of his power, wanting to go all out, but is reminded that doing so would blow the castle away, along with countless innocent people. With Karna outmatched physically as well, Guru stepped forward, ready to end the boy and win the battle for good. He rushed in to take another powerful seal for himself, adding that the 2 ghosts beside him are decent enough to steal as well. The room shakes and shockwaves rage as the 2 clashed. While the gods do their best to defend against possible casualties, Karna bravely stood tall against the demon lord on his own. On the other hand, Cecil watched them with sadness in her eyes. Nodens remembers being with Bastet, and how she cherished humans more than anyone else, even befriending them. He could also remember how betrayed she felt when the humans sealed them. Filled with hatred, she vowed to reclaim what she lost, and never lose anything ever again. This is the essence of Guru, the personification of her greed. The old god tells the Lord to surrender, as he's just being controlled by Bastet's lingering will. He must not stain his soul any longer. Enraged, he tells the god to not talk down to him, the demon of greed who will seize everything in the world, with his own will. They see his body, and are shocked by the amount of sigils spread across his flesh. The demon's power rushed toward the human necromancer, who stood his ground and defended with his staff. Hearing Cecil worry, he assures her that he's fine, and was just saddened by the overwhelming amount of souls crying out. Guru is confused. Seals are etched into the soul, and stealing one means stealing the soul itself. Enraged, the necromancer demands to know how many he's taken. The Lord of Greed laughs out loud, amused that he figured out the secret of his power. Extremely intrigued by the boy, he deems it a waste to end such potential, and offers him a spot to dominate the world beside him. Karna flatly refused, saying a world ruled by greed would only breed more war. The world he dreams of is one free of malice and fear, and one where anyone can love whoever they want to. That is what he believes in. As such, he won't let him have his way any longer. With clashing ideals, the 2 rushed at each other to end their battle. The first hit comes, and several others follow, none of which actually damaged the target cleanly. However, Karna was physically outmatched as everyone expected. His opponent was too fast to keep up with, and he can barely come close. Just then, Isha, already fading, called to the necromancer and asked him to lend just enough mana for 1 hit. While he's stunned that she's already a ghost, she just insists on serving as bait. She curses it all, forced unto such a fate when she just wanted to care for cats. Left with no choice, she wants to help him one last time. Karna accepts her request and raises his staff to fight together. Feeling like she owes him one, she vows to strike back at least once, even if it shatters her soul. An odd fabric suddenly wrapped around her body, and the assassin is shocked to find herself in a totally new form. With the necromancer's power, Esha's magic evolved, and she's wrapped in the spirit of death. Karna apologizes, and explains that she needs to be his familiar for him to pour magic in. For now, she'll need to lend him her strength, so he can revive her properly later on. Seeing her turn into quite the specimen, Guru targets the half-dead enemy, certain that she won't be able to do anything without a seal anyway. He'd normally be correct, but the necromancer reached out to take her hand. As soon as he does, their power combines and the demon strike hits the floor, sending dust and debris everywhere. That said, Karna appeared, standing, lighting on his arm. With Esha's power fusing with his, he's turned into an assassin-type fighter, and he's finally able to trade physical hits and overcome the disadvantage. Guru is surprised as the heavier strikes somehow send him back, and things take a turn for the worse as even the boy's speed multiplied by a ton. His head jerked around, unable to even track his enemy's movement. Even if Esha's crest was stolen, her battle-hardened instincts would never vanish. Unwilling to give him a chance to launch a counterattack, Karna's hands moved ridiculously fast, retrieving the souls stolen by the Lord of Greed. He screamed in disbelief as the boy rapidly took each of the marks scattered on his body. It was impossible, but he was penetrating his magic resistance and reaching the souls. Reality was far from complicated, and the scale of their magic power was simply leagues above his, rendering him helpless. Now that they're connected, he understands that the hero and demon lord don't even compare, and that Guru is the real monster. Karna purifies each soul he retrieves, and all that has been forcibly taken until now has been saved by his hands. Incredulous, the demon Lord of Greed tries to remind him who he's dealing with exactly. He refused to let the boy take his things, and attacked with enraged force, moving his body. Karna's movements flowed seamlessly, allowing for a dodge to be immediately followed by a quick strike that drove Guru to the ground. Now, it was his turn, and time to be freed from his greed. He refuses as the boy puts his hand over his head, but is flatly told to stop committing any more sins in this life. With one final purification, the resentment in him was purified. The Lord screamed in defiance, refusing to lose to such a pathetic opponent after all he's been through. Soon enough, his seal finally popped out, signaling the end of the battle. The victor holds the seal of greed in his palm and purifies it into something more divine. It's returned to the old gods, who then profusely apologize to Bastet for what happened. They wonder what they're supposed to do, as it's too dangerous to leave out in the open. With the grudges purified, the seal was nothing more than a pure vessel of magic. He offers it to Cecil, who he's sure will find some use for the power. The sigil hummed along her palms and soon dissipated into the air, making her body glow golden while it absorbed the magic. Seeing it reappear on her hand, she couldn't be more thankful. Finally understanding more of Bastet's will, she then turns to Karna. While he's surprised to see her thank him in tears, he returns the gesture with a reassuring smile. That settles it all, and the only thing left is cleaning up after the huge mess. The two are already having fun, but Isha knew it was far from over. If the demon lord has been defeated, a new war will inevitably break out over his freed territory, and the backlash from it might even put the human realm in danger. The power that can stop it is Karna himself, and humanity's crisis isn't over just yet. After the fight with the greed demon, the demons are now busy restoring the demon castle. Belf oversees the process, patiently watching the demons move things around. He then notices Esha back in her original body, and is a little surprised that she appears completely normal, as if nothing happened. She assures him that she is already fine, and that she just went out to get some fresh air. The demons call out to Belf and ask for his help, and he immediately rushes to their side to offer his assistance. Esha watches him and reminisces about the events of the previous night. Cecil wanted to revive Mammon even though he betrayed her. After all, he was her precious attendant and subordinate. She wanted to give all her strength to protect him and was willing to overlook what he did to her, as she was adamant about forgiving him. Isha then sees Belf about to go and report to Cecil about the restoration process and warns him that he will regret going now, as it is not the right timing. Meanwhile, inside the demon lord's room, Karna and Cecil are sharing an intimate moment. Cecil keeps complaining about the pain she felt when her nail broke during the fight and asks Karna for a kiss. She tells him that the pain will surely go away once he kisses her finger. She pushes it into his mouth, and she immediately feels a surge of his magic flowing through her. In an instant, she is healed, and it feels as though countless hands are caressing her in all the right places. She continues to tease him, suggesting they try another way to heal her. They are so engrossed in their moment that they do not realize Belf and Esha are already watching them. Belf is shocked to see how intimate they look together. The embarrassment overwhelms him, and he collapses onto the floor, crying. Finally, the two notice them. Blushing deeply, Karna asks how long they have been watching, while Cecil adds that they should have called out to them instead, remarking that it is rude to just stare. Esha chimes in, pointing out that they are not even hiding it, so it is only natural that others would see what they are doing. Belf then reports on the status of the castle's restoration. He explains that the rebuilding is progressing smoothly and that the barrier is being properly maintained. He also adds that the castle's entrance has been relocated, which should mislead their enemies for a while. Seeing Karna's confusion, Cecil explains that the castle exists in the demon realm but is connected to several other spaces as emergency escape routes. This arrangement is convenient for her and helps ensure she will not be easily captured by her enemies. Belf suddenly raises his hand and announces that he has a proposal. Since Guru has already been defeated, his territory is now essentially undefended. Because of this, it would be beneficial for them to prepare for an invasion. This would be the perfect opportunity to use their momentum to crush the other demon lords and conquer the continent, elevating Cecil as the great demon lord. However, Cecil looks away and quietly says that she does not want that plan. Belf nearly chokes in shock. When he recovers, he pleads with her to reconsider, even if only a little. He knows she does not desire conquest, but he argues that if they continue fighting only to defend themselves, everyone will eventually be exhausted. For the sake of her followers, she must think long-term and adopt a more aggressive stance. He further points out that after the battle, the other demon lords must have noticed the defeat of the greed demon and may now see Cecil as a threat. They could become the next target, believing that her victory granted her 2 fragments of the progenitor god's magic. This would mean that she could surpass the power of the other demon lords. They must seize this opportunity and take the initiative, as war will be unavoidable one day. Cecil understands his concerns but reminds him to take a break, assuring him that she will figure out their situation and asking him to trust her. Belf then notices that the barrier surrounding the castle is stronger than before. Realizing that he doubted his master, he bows and apologizes, admitting his mistake. Cecil smiles and thanks him for thinking of her. She explains that she has no intention of wasting time and is fully committed to making their dreams a reality. Seeing his confusion, she reveals her lifelong dream for demons and humankind to coexist peacefully. To achieve this, she needs to immerse herself more in the human world and understand them better. With Karna's help, they eventually travel to the human world and enlist in the Adventurers Guild. They successfully receive their adventurer cards and are ready to begin taking on missions. Meanwhile, Isha waits outside the guild while they finish their registration. Karna excitedly shows his adventurer card and tells her that he has switched his job from sage to warrior. However, he cannot help but worry about Isha, who was initially listed as a deceased adventurer. She assures him that she has it covered and created a fake identity. She is now Arsha and shows them her fake ID card. Cecil also assures them that her demon mark is concealed using Guru's magic, so no one will know she is a demon lord in the human world. She is now the human Saria and has the abilities of a healer. She also shares that she and Karna were registered as a married couple while signing up as adventurers. Karna turns beet red and becomes flustered, saying that they only did it to keep their identities hidden. Even at only 13, this means Karna has officially reached adulthood. Other adventurers at a nearby table overhear this and voice their disagreement about Karna being married at such a young age, doubting that he has already planned out his life. They introduce themselves as Deneb, a warrior blessed with dark magic who uses a dark blade as his weapon, and Vega, a warrior blessed with the poison arts. Vega has a talent for poison techniques and has used them to defeat many demons. Just then, a girl chimes in and introduces herself as Altair, the 3rd member of the group. Together, they form a 3-person party. The 2 men confront Karna, telling him that he should not underestimate what it means to be an adventurer. With intense looks on their faces, they warn him not to die on his first quest and not to overdo anything. Their voices echo as their pitch rises, as if they are scolding him. Altair steps in and explains that the men are only concerned for Karna's safety since he is still young. Karna realizes that they are not bad people after all. They are just loud and rough, which is simply how they show concern. They offer to spar with him to show how the real world works and to teach him the ways of seasoned adventurers. Just then, Esha steps in and questions whether it would be fair for Karna to fight both of them, especially since Vega's sword is laced with poison. She calls them cowards for planning a 2-on-1 fight, but Vega declares that they will only use wooden swords, so Karna will not be seriously hurt. He then urges the boy to fight with whatever weapon he is best at. Karna understands his intention and draws his sword. On the sidelines, Cecil cheers for him as he raises his blade against the 2 older men. Vega moves swiftly and attacks using his snake fang blade. Karna easily dodges the strike but acknowledges that Vega is fast. As they exchange blows, Vega strikes every weak point in Karna's defense. Seeing Karna falter, Vega tells him that he does not want to keep hurting him and urges him to yield if he is overwhelmed. However, Karna refuses, saying that he is fine. He then counters by using his opponent's own technique, the snake fang blade. Vega is shocked that Karna is able to copy his move and is knocked to the ground by the attack. Deneb smirks and praises Karna for his excellent technique. He then raises his sword and attempts to overwhelm him. Karna blocks the attack with his own blade and, with a powerful swing, breaks Deneb's wooden sword by copying his technique. The 2 men are stunned by how easily Karna copied their skills. Karna then reveals his power as a necromancer and his ability to synchronize with his opponent's souls, allowing him to learn their skills during battle. The two men are in awe, surprised that such an ability is actually useful. At this, Altair rushes over and suddenly hugs Karna, asking him to join their party. Karna immediately declines, explaining that he already has his own party. Altair accepts this, saying she simply had to ask while she had the chance, and gently pats his head. She expresses her admiration for his necromancy. Having been rejected before because of his abilities, Karna thanks them for being kind to him. He recalls being kicked out of the hero's party and looked down upon by many. Now, he has found people who truly appreciate him, even among strangers. He realizes that being an adventurer might be a worthwhile experience after all. He is especially grateful to Cecil, who was the first to trust him and recognize his worth. Suddenly, she hugs him from behind and teases him, causing the trio to shriek at the public display of affection. Meanwhile, Esha observes from a distance, thinking that the three adventurers could be useful allies in the long run. She then interrupts their cheerful banter and informs them that scouts have spotted remnants of the Greed army along the main road leading to the Central Lands. In response, the guild offers a suppression mission to intercept them in the lands of Eskal. Isha proposes that they take on the quest and team up with the trio. Upon hearing this, the trio is surprised that she is considering them. Esha aims to show Cecil about making peace with humanity. She hopes that, by going on a quest with adventurers, they will realize the potential of humans. She adds that the guild is paying 1 million gold if they rescue the captives, and they can split the reward among the members. Hearing this, the trio agrees, also noting that as virtuous adventurers, they cannot turn their backs on people in trouble. Karna also gets fired up by their determination and asks Cecil to help them. The group later arrives at the Berry Isles Mountain Road, where they witness cages full of slaves. In one of the cages, an ogre drags a slave out. The woman begs for her life as it mercilessly pulls her toward her death. She is feisty, and the ogre cannot wait to devour her. Angered by this, Karna becomes furious and is about to attack the monsters, but Esha stops him from acting recklessly. She tells him that he is not working alone now and that he has comrades he can rely on. Just then, the trio attacks the beast, dragging the woman, punishing it for hurting her. After seeing one of their kind slain, the other ogres leap into action and attack the trio. Vega and Deneb overwhelm them, slaying one after another. The leader starts to grow irritated with his underlings. Just then, Altair steps in and entices the ogre with her body as she pours honey over herself, inviting him in. The ogre almost faints from her allure. Falling for her captivating magic, the beast follows her orders and attacks the other monsters with them. Meanwhile, Karna and Isha free the other captives inside the cages. He promises to help them until the end to secure their freedom. He escorts them outside and thanks Isha, crediting her for the successful rescue of the captives. She explains that she planned to use the trio to distract the enemy while they rescued the rest of the captives. She wants to teach him how to cooperate with his comrades using wisdom and ingenuity. She hopes Karna learns from this and gains a clearer picture of what humanity truly is. Karna thanks her for being so considerate. She reflects that if she had Karna's strength, she could probably solve most things by simply forcing her way through. She hopes to make him realize the power of a party, something he likely did not see in the hero's party. In this way, peace between beasts and humans can be restored and their current peace policy protected. Somehow, her plan is working, and she is satisfied. Just then, the trio is suddenly overshadowed by a looming danger. A giant slowly makes its way toward them, baring its sharp teeth at the humans. It expresses its disdain for them for interrupting its meal, declaring that they deserve to die 1,000 deaths. The trio gathers together and acknowledges that they cannot handle something that big. As the giant is about to attack, Cecil takes action and activates a barrier shield to protect them from the onslaught. As she holds the shield, she looks back at Karna, trusting him to do the rest and finish the giant. The boy wields his sword and activates a spell, teleporting near the giant's face. He uses to his advantage the skill he learned from Esha, called Assassin's Revelation. He combines it with the sword style he just learned and strikes with the maximum power he can muster. With this, he swings his sword and slashes the giant. The beast receives a fatal blow, loses its footing, and crashes to the ground with a heavy impact. Aisha and the trio are shocked by his display of power. While Cecil is delighted, the boy happily strides to Isha and tells her that he now understands what she meant by working with a team. The receptionist in the guild welcomes them with the heaping reward for defeating the remnants of the Greed army, making the trio almost pop their eyes out. They are rewarded with a 1 million gold bounty. They quickly inspect the gold bags and cannot help but feel ecstatic at the amount of treasure in front of them. As they celebrate, the receptionist adds that there is still a celebratory feast prepared by the guild for all the heroes who saved the town. The trio looks back at the long table filled with food behind them, completely shocked. Feeling guilty that they are the ones enjoying the rewards, Altair tells the receptionist that it was all because of Karna's group that they were able to defeat the beasts, so they cannot enjoy the rewards by themselves. At this, the receptionist reveals that she received a letter from Karna and his team. She hands the letter to the trio, and they read it. The letter explains that Karna was previously banished, and although it is a great honor, he cannot accept the reward without drawing too much attention. He commends them for doing their best during the rescue and for helping with the aftercare of the captives. He was deeply inspired by their heroic actions and believes that the reward truly belongs to the three of them. He wishes for them to accept the reward and divide it among themselves. Altair feels saddened that Karna and his team did not even say goodbye. Since they feel it is unfair to keep all the reward, she suggests using Karna's share to cover the prisoner's medical expenses. The receptionist is surprised by their decision, but the team insists that they will keep only enough gold to live on. Altair hopes that someday Karna and his team will feel that they belong in the city and, moreover, belong with them. They then share the feast with everyone, announcing that it is from Karna and his group. As she watches the people feast, she wishes that someday her path and Karna's will cross again. Meanwhile, Karna and Cecil discuss the other adventurers. Cecil fears that if people start recognizing them in the city, it will be dangerous, but she hopes that there are still good humans who will side with those who have good intentions, even if they are demons. She then promises to pay Karna handsomely for his hard work. This excites the boy and reminds him of when Cecil was bouncing around the bookstore earlier. He realizes in that moment that she is truly fascinated by humans and their world. After discussing the reward, Cecil suggests that they take a break and go on a real date this time. She grabs his hand, making him blush profusely. He follows her lead but is extremely nervous about his first date. In the end, they eat at a restaurant, watch a fire show, and see a movie together. After the movie, Cecil expresses her happiness, while Karna turns red from embarrassment. She asks where they should go next, but the boy suddenly runs away, telling her that he will go get them drinks. While running, he asks his familiars where old people usually go on dates. Nodin suggests a moonlit date where they can look at the galaxy together and pour love into the stars. Volthan chimes in and suggests taking a walk in the blazing inferno instead. Suddenly, Karna remembers something. The next day, Esha lies on her bed enjoying a peaceful moment with her cats. She does not want to do anything and just wants to stay in bed and cuddle them all day. While enjoying her rest, Karna suddenly speaks to her telepathically. She wonders how they are connected through their minds and reprimands him for bothering her during her day off. Embarrassed, he confesses that he is on a date with Cecil and does not know where to take her to have fun. Esha sighs and tells him that she has no experience with love and swore it off long ago. Karna admits that she is the only one he can talk to about this. Esha sighs again and tries to help him as best she can. She suggests classic date spots like a cafe, but Karna says they have already done everything, including eating and watching a movie. Esha thinks again and agrees that the city does not offer much else. Despite her lack of dating experience, she suggests a classy cafe. Karna jokingly judges her taste, and Esha snaps back, saying she was born in the slums, trusted no one, and lived on her own. Embarrassed, she ends the conversation and flops back onto her bed, calling Karna rude. She reminds herself that it does not matter where he takes Cecil, but who he is with. Meanwhile, Karna feels hopeless, thinking he cannot make Cecil happy. As he walks back toward her, he senses a familiar aura. Turning around, he sees the chief of the succubi tribe. The woman asks if he is with Cecil, and Karna admits that they are on a date. He confesses that he does not know where to take her and only wants to make her smile but feels like he is failing. The woman smiles upon seeing his sincerity and concern. She decides to help him and suggests visiting a nearby shop run by the Lust Demon Lord's army to treat Cecil together. Since Karna also fought to protect the Lust Demon Lord's castle, she has wanted to repay his heroism. Hearing this, Karna recalls the moments when Cecil reached out to him and openly shared her emotions. He realizes that he must be honest with himself as well and do his best to make Cecil happy. Cecil enters the cafe and is greeted by the maids. She is surprised and delighted to see Karna, one of them, dressed in a maid outfit. There, they continue their date, with Karna serving Cecil as her maid and presenting a love omelette rice for her. They even take a photo together, all with Derek's help. Later, Cecil expresses that she had so much fun with Karna. He is happy to hear this. Curious, she asks why he was a maid at their shop. He confesses that he really wanted to make her happy on their date, so he consulted a succubus he met. Cecil feels special upon hearing this, knowing that Karna fought so hard for her. Because of this, she could not be happier. Karna smiles at her, pleased that she is happy. Cecil then thanks Derek for helping Karna and checks on the succubus' welfare. She has not been able to check on her realm since the battle with the demon of greed, so she wants to hear from her personally. The succubus' mood shifts, and she suddenly becomes emotional. She recounts that after the greedy demon died and the battle for his territory began, the number of adventurers visiting her shop plummeted. Even her daughter, who cannot use mimicry magic for sales, has left. They are running out of customers, and at this rate, they might have to close down. Hearing this alarms Cecil. She did not know they were facing such a huge problem at the shop. She realizes she must come up with a solution, or else, if the shop goes under, she will no longer be able to pay Karna's salary. This statement catches Karna off guard. Derek wishes that she could use lewd spirits. The shop has been passed down to her by her ancestors, and she cannot afford to lose it. Karna's attention shifts to a bottle of alcohol in front of him, and an idea comes to mind. He asks Derek if she can bring him more bottles of alcohol. She reprimands him for asking for alcohol while he is still a minor, but he assures her that he is not the one drinking. Derek then brings him different kinds of liquor. He performs a spell and offers the bottles as a sacrifice in accordance with the new covenant. The liquors are absorbed by the magic circle, and the two demons are surprised by Karna's knowledge of summoning magic. After the ritual, a girl with pink hair appears. She is the ancestor of the succubi race, the Dark Mother, Tasha. The succubi are all beyond shocked on the appearance of their creator. Nodens greets the Dark Mother and can tell that she is still a drunken mess, even though the store's finances are quite tight. Karna also greets her and thanks her for answering his summoning magic. Hearing him call her grandmother, she insists on calling her mother instead. Karna was hesitant at first, but he relents to the wish of the succubi mother. Derek humbly asks for their creator's assistance and help to save their shop. Tasha assures her that she will now take over and she doesn't have to worry about it. Tasha then gives her a kiss on the cheek and she instantly felt the surge of power pumping throughout her body. Tasha just gave her a destruction mark that casts mimicry magic, and if she gives the other girls a kiss, she can transform the other girls too. In addition to this, she also give her an extra boost of charm spell so she can attract more customers. In this way, they can up their sales in no time. This renewed the hope of the girls and gets fired up to start working again. However, Tasha notices that there aren't a lot of girls in the cafe to serve customers. Derek replies that due to their lower sales, some of them has already left the shop to look for another job. She is even trying to find a partner to create more children succubi. However, it isn't going too well. Since they look confused, Nodens explains that the succubus race is born with magic that can combine the magic of succubi and demons to create children. Tasha assures Derek that she can also help solve the problem. With her dark magic, she can create more children that can help them answer the problem on staff shortage. Hearing this, Derek immediately gets emotional and starts crying out of relief. Meanwhile, Cecil shifts her gaze to Karna and asks Nodens if she can use the same spell to have a child with a human. She can do it the normal way but wants to know her options. This question caught Karna off guard, but she seems decided with it and even asks the Dark Mother to teach her the spell. She confirms that she wants to make babies with Karna, which makes the boy blush with embarrassment. Tasha finds having grandkids adorable, but looking at Karna, now isn't the right time yet. Karna is about to say something to Tasha, but she then disappeared. Cecil wonders why the succubus creator won't tell her the spell, but figures that even if she fumbled the chance now, she looks forward on making babies with him in the future. This makes Karna blush again out of sheer embarrassment. Meanwhile, in the former lands of the greedy demon, Carcazan region, the demons and the humans fight to death to claim the territory. The humans look like they are losing the fight. Just then, a man in an armor riding a horse breaks up the fight and declares that from now, he will be the demon army's greatest opponent. He is the former hero, Cress. Cress summons a divine army, and they fight against the demons. The beasts immediately notice that the divine army is stronger than the one before. Knowing that they are fighting a losing battle, the demon army retreats before things get worse. Meanwhile, on the sidelines, Zeta, a knight of the Royal Order of Prince Plin, watches as the hero Cress and his army easily push back the demon forces. While resting with her comrades, she wondered when the curse war would ever end. Since the greed demon Guru had died, many had perished trying to claim his territory. She overheard other knights talking about the relic of greed that Guru had hoarded over the years, and about how Hybert and Comorium were already occupied by the demon army. The battle was only going to grow fiercer. At this rate, other cities would be occupied as well. They had no real support from the royal city, and the nobles' armies seemed to be in it only for the loot. The knights wondered if having the hero there would change the outcome. Zeta recalled the moment she had begged the hero for help in the past. She had never imagined that the hero could fall so easily. She wanted to fight back and reclaim her hometown, Comorium, and hoped that someone strong could lead them all to victory. With this thought, she remembered someone and rode her horse with urgency. There was someone who could lead them, and she hoped that she would not fumble this chance. Later, she arrived at an enormous estate and was greeted by a respectable man who turned out to be the former hero, Cress. He told her that he already knew the situation and had decided to help save humanity. If he stayed retired any longer, his wife in heaven would surely scold him. He then mounted his horse and vowed that, as the remaining hero, he would lead the human army and wield his blade one more time to protect humankind. At present, Crest states that since they are only 1/3 of their original numbers, advancing on the Greed Demon King's castle now would be impossible. Additionally, the recovery of the treasures left by Guru will be handled by them, while the remaining forces should focus on liberating the occupied cities. He reminds them that they are not to touch any relics they recover, and that all of them must be handed over intact. The army heeds his words and vows to follow his orders as their commander. He then asks Zeta to deliver a message to the Allied command, and then march with them to reclaim Komorium. She is honored that he is thinking of her hometown, and rides the fastest horse to deliver the message to the command center. The two ride off in different directions, both determined to save humankind and put an end to the war. Later, at the Allied Lord's encampment, Zeta delivers the message to the commander, explaining the hero's plan. The commander continues eating his meal and finds it advantageous that the former hero has joined the war. To him, it is reassuring to hear that the hero will recover the treasures, as this will allow them to reclaim new lands. Zeta is shocked by this, as their original aim was to free the captured cities. However, this is far from what the commander is planning. He now intends to claim the Greed Army's territory for himself and turn it into new colonies. Alarmed, Zeta begs him to save Komorium and its people. Instead of listening, the man grabs a bottle of liquor from the table and pours its contents over her head. His frustration is evident as he tells her that if she wants to do it, she should do it alone. He is not willing to command the royal army for her pathetic whims. He calls her a disgrace and pities her. Although rejected, Zeta refuses to give up and vows to fight until the end for her hometown and for Cress's will. She decides to save it herself. Later, in the town of Komorium, Zeta swings her blade against a horde of beasts. Although she displays exemplary swordsmanship, she is clearly outnumbered, making her mission nearly impossible. The demons eventually overpower her and call her a fool for fighting alone. One of them grabs her by the hair and plans to feast on her, as they did to others. He opens his massive mouth, ready to devour the helpless knight, when Karna suddenly appears and slices the orc's arm. Esha carries her away while Cecil offers to heal her injuries. Shocked by their presence, Zeta asks who they are. Karna replies that they are just passing adventurers who came to Komorium to enjoy its hot springs, but it seems they will have to put that on hold for now. The war between humans and demons intensifies over the legacy of the fallen demon of greed, Guru. Meanwhile, inside a noble house in Komorium, Nezel, another demon general, claims the treasure located in the town. He also takes Lady Thelma, the eldest daughter of the Count of Komorium, hostage. Now that the treasure is in his possession, she demands that he liberate Komorium immediately. However, the demon general refuses, as the town is poised to become the new stronghold of the remnant Greed Army invading their lands. He then mocks her, asking how it feels to have her magic drained by the top-tier legacy of greed, the Jar of Plunder. She begs him and asks him not to hurt the townsfolk. He replies that this depends entirely on her, because to fulfill their grand cause, they must consume magic. At the moment, every drop of her power is gone, and they will capture the surviving townsfolk and turn them into slaves. He aims to carry on Guru's will and thrive. The demon general continues to humiliate her when Karna appears from behind and strikes him with his blade. The sword cuts deep, and the demon remains still moments later. Karna assures her that everyone is safe now, and that the other townsfolk are receiving help as well. Outside, Tasha annihilates the remaining demons, displaying powers that have been sealed for a long time. Vol throws a tantrum and tells her not to steal his thunder, but she dismisses his childish behavior, and they continue to dominate the other demons. Back in the castle, Thelma thanks Karna for saving her land. He remains humble and tells her that they simply happened to be there and helped. She offers to grant him any favor in return as thanks for what he did. However, the group has no idea what to ask for. Instead, she offers Guru's coveted treasure. Since it was not theirs to begin with, she reasons that it would be fair to consider it a war prize instead. Both Karna and Isha are glad at the offer. Karna's attention then shifts to the townsfolk being interviewed by Zeta. He realizes that he should take the treasure and donate it to the cities damaged by the war, much to Esha's frustration. On the other hand, Cecil immediately agrees with his idea and suggests that they use everything except the magic stones and magic items for the reconstruction of humanity. Isha interjects, saying that they must leave something for themselves. However, Karna points out that their top priority should be restoring the cities destroyed by the war and that they can deal with other matters later. Observing this, Thelma can tell that Karna is a kind and noble person. He and his group are, without a doubt, heroes. Meanwhile, in the demon realm, the demon lord of gluttony, Ruki, and the demon lord of envy, Baya, wonder who could have taken the treasure. Ruki remarks that if she had that kind of money, she could have eaten a lot of food. Baya scolds her, telling her that she is being indecent. The younger demon cries, saying that she is hungry. Baya reprimands her further, saying that she is ruining their reputation with her behavior. She then tells Ruki that she will reclaim the treasure herself and raise her status in the demon realm. They soon spot Cress's army and go after him, believing that he knows where the treasure is. The army tries to escape from the two demon lords. The knights are alarmed, knowing that at this rate, the enemies will surely catch up to them. Cress assures them that he can handle it and orders the knights to retreat from the front lines in the meantime. The knights express concern about him fighting two demon lords by himself, but he convinces them that he can survive the fight and asks them to trust him. The knights wish him well and retreat. Cress serves as a distraction as the knights escape the front lines, while the two demon lords pursue him. Ruki releases flying insects at him, while Baya demands that he reveal the location of the treasure. Cress easily annihilates the insects, but Baya remains unfazed and tells him that struggling is pointless and that he should surrender to them. Suddenly, the two demon lords stop attacking and listen to someone speaking to them telepathically. They hear that the treasure of greed is in Komorium. Doubtful of their informant's intentions, Baya asks what he will gain by leaking the information. Satisfied with the answer given by the demon who calls himself Sloth, they head straight for Komorium, threatening him that if he is deceiving them, he will regret it. Cress overhears this and becomes alarmed, thinking of Zeta's safety and the others in the town. With this in mind, he decides to head straight to Komorium to stop the demons from wreaking havoc on humanity. Meanwhile, at the border, the commander is reprimanding a knight for his incompetence. However, the knight argues that many people in other cities still need rescuing. The commander ignores his plea and states that he doesn't need to waste time and resources saving mere commoners. What matters to him is retrieving the treasure. He then decides to give orders himself, grumbling that he should have brought a more competent crew. As he steps out of the tent, a ball of fire comes barreling from the sky toward him. In an instant, he is burned to ashes, leaving no trace behind. Above, Bel, the demon lord of pride, smirks after killing a human. He despises them so much that he finds joy in simply annihilating them. He commands his general to head toward Komorium, noting that their intel indicates the treasure is there. Meanwhile, Karna's familiars report that they have been monitoring three demon lords heading to the town to claim the treasure and the throne. They are the demon lords, Arrogance, Envy, and Gluttony. Zeta warns that at this rate, her hometown will become a battlefield and many of her people will be in danger. Just then, one of the spirits informs them that the three demons are near the border. Karna declares that he knows a way to protect everyone. He tells them they should build a dungeon. With it, they can safely hide the people from the demon lords and conceal the treasure's location as well. Cecil praises him for thinking of using dungeons, since they are nearly impenetrable. If set up as a barrier, it will block most magic. Esha, however, is alarmed and doubts they can construct a dungeon from scratch in such a short time. She points out that it won't fit, and there's no suitable place in the town to build it. Karna assures her that she doesn't need to worry. There is a mountain range that touches Komorium, which they can use as the base for their dungeon. Esha sighs, thinking this all seems impossible. Sure, Karna can build a dungeon, but it will be too late for them. Besides, the plan will drain his magic, and there won't be time to recover it before the three demons arrive. Just then, they feel that the nearby magic pot is draining their energy. Thelma confirms that it is indeed a magic pot that saps energy and power, as she had been trapped in one earlier. An idea suddenly strikes Karna, and he grabs her hand. He asks her to help him by becoming the dungeon master, much to her surprise. Meanwhile, Bel and his aide fly over the town but cannot find any villagers, as their forces have already been eliminated. Froy spots a dungeon on the outskirts and suspects that the townsfolk and the treasure are hiding there. Bel finds it impressive that humans are so cunning, but he vows to burn them all and claim the treasure for himself. Froy volunteers to retrieve the treasure personally. Bel allows him to go, along with his aide, reminding him never to betray him. Froy swears loyalty and proceeds to scout the place. He is surprised to find the dungeon disguised as a hot spring. He expresses annoyance and uses his ice magic to try to break the entrance. However, he is shocked to discover that the barrier repels his attacks. Even more surprising, he realizes that a human inside is using magic of the same caliber as his own. He smirks, finding this intriguing and exciting. Froy then commands the other demons to charge in and retrieve the treasure, ordering them to eliminate anyone who gets in their way without mercy. The demons are taken aback when an odd-looking monster rises from beneath the hot spring. The blob-like creature splashes them with boiling water, causing them to shriek in pain. Froy watches from behind, finding it absurd that humans can create new monsters. He wonders who might be behind this trickery. Meanwhile, inside the dungeon's command room, Thelma and Karna watch their guests and entertain them. The three girls are enjoying their bath inside the dungeon's hot spring. At last, they can finally experience the famed Komorium hot spring. As they soak in the relaxing water, it warms their bodies and relieves the aches they feel. Not only that, their mana helps maintain the defense and stability of the dungeon. Karna enters the hot spring, along with Thelma, and thanks everyone for their hard work in maintaining the dungeon's defense barrier. Upon seeing him, Cecil invites him to join her, but the boy refuses, clearly embarrassed by her teasing. She winks at him and suggests that they do it after the battle, further poking fun at him. Meanwhile, they see on the monitor that the townsfolk are also enjoying the hot spring, even commenting that their defense mission feels like paradise. Seeing them happy, Thelma and Karna both feel relief. Esha never thought such a thing would be possible. They have turned the mana-draining urn into a massive hot spring. The citizens soak, sharing their mana in the process, which is then handed over to Thelma, the dungeon master. Fortunately, she has a vast mana reservoir, making her the best candidate for the role. Aside from this, her family's magic is deeply connected to the Komorium hot springs, so she can essentially control them. Who would have thought that such a peaceful talent could shine in battle? With a dungeon born from the combination of the hot spring and the mana urn, they become nearly unstoppable. Meanwhile, Froy and his underlings are having a hard time inside the dungeon. The monsters express regret at entering and suggest that they retreat. This angers Froy, who calls them useless for giving up so easily. Frustrated, he decides to handle the hot spring monster himself. However, to his surprise, the monster melts his ice instantly and flushes the demons out of the hot spring. The townsfolk celebrate upon seeing this unfold on the monitor, while Karna praises Thelma for being incredible as the dungeon master. Esha interrupts their celebration, reminding them that over Komorium's skies, Bel, the demon lord of pride, still lurks, and is observing the situation. She adds that the previous hero, Cress, is fighting the demon lords of gluttony and envy, so they should also be thinking about their next move. Zeta observes the group from the sidelines. She believes that if the three demon lords attack at once, their chances of defending will be greatly reduced. Even if Karna's group protects the relics, as long as the nobles oppose using the treasure for the city's revival, the war will not end. She then realizes what she must do to help end it all, and seeks Karna's help. Meanwhile, at the Komorium border, the demon lords, envy and gluttony are fighting the human army. Surprised, Cress asks why they are back on the front lines. The army tells him that as the elite unit, they refuse to retreat and leave him behind. They want to fight together and stand by him until the end. Even though the army is a big help, Cress's mission still stands. He needs to retrieve the treasure himself. Their presence frustrates Bea, who decides to punish them. If they crave death that badly, he will grant it. They attack the human army, declaring that it will be the end. Meanwhile, over the skies of Komorium, Bel is ashamed that humans were able to defeat him. Humiliated, he asks the demon lord under him for another chance. However, Bel mercilessly removes him from his command, saying he is too incompetent to be his right hand. He can only trust his flames from now on. Bel activates his celestial inferno, burning everything to ash. His blazing flames sweep through the skies of Komorium. Just then, he senses a presence behind him and sees Vol, who instantly recognizes him. Meanwhile, Noddens arrives to help Cress and his army against the two demon lords. He tells Cress to head to the Komorium hot spring dungeon immediately as he deals with Riku and Baya. Cress and his army ride their horses toward Komorium. In the sky, they see the demon lord of pride clashing with Vol. He recalls his encounter with Noddens earlier. He was confused by the dungeon that the old spirit had mentioned, but Noddens refused to explain the details in the middle of a battle. He had only handed Cress a letter from Zeta. Cress reads the letter. Zeta immediately apologizes for her mission's failure and explains that she later infiltrated the town alone and was saved by Karna's group. She also describes how strong he is and that he would become the new hope of mankind. Despite this, they still need his help to bring the war to an end. She promises to explain everything once he arrives at the town and states that she will be waiting for him at the Komorium hot spring. They finally arrive at the town, and the army tries to warn him of the danger and the traps that the demons have laid out. However, Cress ignores their warnings, decides to take the lead, and steps into the entrance. Just then, one of Karna's ghosts appears, angering the human army and causing them to reach for their swords. Cress stops them, and the ghost delivers Zeta's message through its hologram ability. Finding it odd, Cress asks if she is alright. She explains that it is an illusion created by Karna's ability and assures him that she and the remaining townsfolk are safe. Since they need to discuss strategy and the treasure, she asks him to proceed alone to the dungeon's core. Cress agrees, but the human army attacks Zeta's image, refusing to believe that she is not a product of the demon army's magic. Zeta attempts to reassure them that she is no demon and is an ally of humans. The army resists, claiming that only demons can create dungeons, and that anything tied to demons must be purged and destroyed. Meanwhile, inside the command center, Karna and Cecil find it strange that members of the human army are acting this way. Esha explains that they must be extremist followers of a doctrine spread by the Heroes' Church. The doctrine calls for the extinction of all demons and believes that humans are exploited by demons and must be saved through their destruction. They distrust anything remotely demonic, even other humans. If they hate someone, they will not hesitate to kill. In the past, they tortured refugees under the guise of demon hunts, burned slums, and stirred chaos. Although the king who supported dungeon exploration disbanded them years ago, rumors suggest they still lurk among citizens, adventurers, and even the army. As long as they exist, true peace between humans and demons is impossible. They can instigate rifts, and it seems someone is pulling the strings behind it all. Cecil interjects, saying she has someone in mind who could be behind the grand scheme. It must be the mysterious demon lord no one has ever seen, Taro, the faceless demon lord of sloth. Cecil is sure of it. If the Extinctionists have infiltrated the Royal Knight's army, it could cause another problem. This would divide human sentiment, making peace talks between the two worlds difficult. Back at the dungeon's entrance, the knights call Zeta a traitor and advance to tear down the dungeon. Cress stops them, telling them not to let their hatred blind them to the truth. He orders them to hold their ground and stay behind. He bravely walks toward the entrance despite his subordinates' warnings that it could be a trap. He assures them that he will be fine since he is speaking to a previous hero and shows them his hero badge. With a determined look, he strides to the dungeon's entrance, hoping that his choice will save humanity. As Cress goes deeper into the dungeon, he encounters the monsters guarding its entrance. He unsheathes his sword and easily slays them, proving his prowess as the former hero. Zeta apologizes because she forgot to turn off the dungeon's defense system. He assures her that it is not a problem, saying that he must prove his strength as well. As he passes through the defense system, he unknowingly activates it to the maximum level, demonstrating that his strength and power are no joke. The hot spring blob attacks him, but like the others, he easily slays it using his divine power. Watching him, Zeta realizes that he is truly every inch a hero. Cress opens the final door and is shocked to see Karna and his group welcoming him. Zeta walks over, impressed that he conquered the dungeon so quickly. He sees familiar faces and instantly recognizes Karna and Esha. He lays eyes on Cecil and senses that her power is no ordinary magic. He demands that she reveal herself. Cecil, impressed by his ability, reveals her true form as the Demon Lord of Lust. Cress grips his sword tightly, ready to attack. Karna steps in and tells him that Cecil is not a bad person. He explains that he works under her as her demon general and shows him his demon mask. Zeta is shocked to realize that Karna is the Black Demon. Karna apologizes for hiding it, claiming that he never intended to deceive them. Cecil states that she seeks to unite the human and demon worlds and live in harmony. Zeta feels betrayed and lashes out at her for gathering information about humans that could be used against them. Thelma steps in and reminds her that while Cecil is a demon, she also saved their town along with her group. She adds that they saved Zeta as well, so they should at least hear them out. Zeta grits her teeth, apologizes to Cress for her insolence, and chooses to remain silent. The hero demands that she state her purpose. Cecil explains that her goal in helping humans is to strive for peace and coexistence. She traveled to the human world to learn more about them. In her short stay, she witnessed cities flourishing with culture and abundance, while others were ravaged by war and suffering. She has seen both mankind's glory and corruption, yet she still adores humanity. She admires their creativity, vulnerability, bravery, and their ability to care for others until the end. She also learned from her human companions. Karna taught her to fight for what is right, and she learned from Esha how to grieve for the weak and voiceless. Along the way, she met other humans she can call friends. Through these experiences, she realized that she wants to protect humanity and build a territory where both races could coexist without conflict. Cress finds her cause absurd. Since the creation of the world, humans and demons have been natural enemies, and the two races have a long history of battles. He finds it impossible that she wants to end a bloody feud that has lasted 1,000 years in a single generation. Unfazed, Cecil confirms that it is her grand vision. She knows it will be difficult, but she wants to fight for what she believes is right. That is why she asks Cress for a favor. He must duel Karna and lose to him. She wants him to challenge Karna to a duel and lose to him. Although it will damage his honor, it will benefit everyone. After all, he would not have entered this dangerous and unknown dungeon if his heart did not also yearn for peace. Hearing this, Cress recalls part of his past. He once spoke to someone who longed for peace, pointing out that even the demons they slay had families. As soldiers of the royal army, their hands would be stained with blood. Cress could not even stay by his ailing wife's side. The man told him that despite this, they had to keep fighting for their wives, waiting for their safe return, and for the loved ones others hold dear. Even if they could not see it through themselves, one of their missions was to keep hope alive for the future. The two watched as the sun set and vowed to keep burning, to live long to protect those they cared about. The scene shifts, and Cress' friend lies on the ground with a fatal injury. Before taking his last breath, he gives his crest to Cress, who weeps for his friend. In the present, Cress demands proof that he can believe. Thelma claims she has something to show him to prove that Karna and Cecil truly aim to unite the two worlds. She shows him the grand bath, where all the humans are gathered and safe. Cress is surprised to see everyone relaxed and well cared for. Thelma explains that they are bathing in magical water that recharges their mana and energizes their bodies. She points out that their compassion for the weak and their will to protect people is genuine, and they seem fitting to lead the next generation of heroes. She is confident that if they join hands with Karna and Cecil, something good will come of it. Cress's eyes shift to Karna, and he asks if he hates humans after being exiled and defamed by his former guild. Karna answers honestly that he does not. He originally needed to send money home and became desperate enough to consider becoming humanity's enemy. However, Cecil accepted him and helped him become a better person. After meeting Cecil, Esha, and others, he realized he had come to love being among them. Both humans and demons have loved ones they need to protect. In essence, there is not much difference between the two races. Karna is tired of seeing needless deaths and wants to end the conflict with one final fight and seek world peace. He aims to become the one who will forge peace between humans and demons. Cress has heard enough and vows that as long as he lives, he will dedicate himself to peace on Earth. In this way, when his time comes, he can face his wife and his friend peacefully. Cress states that they need to deal with the demons near the dungeon first. Karna volunteers and demonstrates his power. He wants to prove to the hero that he can protect everyone. He communicates with his spirits and declares that he will go all out. The spirits are fired up and thrilled by this. Receiving Karna's words, Nodens becomes serious in his fight against the two demon lords. Frustrated, Envy declares that she will no longer hold back and will show her true power. She calls forth her serpents, bares her fangs, and prepares to drag the old man straight to hell for provoking her. She lunges at Nodens, who recognizes that she is far more formidable than he had expected. She is shocked that he can even move after her attack. She commands Gluttony to finish the fight while he is still preoccupied. Gluttony opens her mouth wide, ready to devour the old man. Nodens finds her power pathetic, since she is merely a manifestation of humanity's negative emotions, driven to consume anything to survive. Nodens activates his power, intending to free them from their karma and put them at ease. He strikes them with purple lightning of despair. Envy protects Gluttony from the attack, which surprises the old man because it is a selfless act. Envy barks at Gluttony, saying that she is still useful for her plans, so she saved her. She aims to become the strongest among the demon lords, the kind that everyone will envy. For now, she will retreat to survive. She grabs Gluttony and escapes, vowing to kill Nodens the next time they meet. Meanwhile, back in Komorium, Pride attacks the god Vol with flame lightning. Vol counters with his own fire, but to his surprise, his magic is easily deflected. He realizes that Pride is a superior fire user, even surpassing those who inherited the power of the outer god Volvados. The god laughs and tells him that he is Volvados himself. Pride does not believe him, pointing out that the Flame Emperor is considered the strongest of all fire users, and they cannot be the same person. Vol understands his doubts and decides to show him her true power. Vol surrounds herself with flames and transforms into her true form, the goddess Vol. She states that her magic depletes quickly in this form, so she normally does not use it. However, since this is a special encounter, she will use it for now. As the creator of fire, her power warms the earth and all its creations. She refuses to allow her power to be defiled by a monster like Pride. Pride smirks, determined to prove that his power has already surpassed the creator's. He is the demon lord of Pride and the man destined to ascend to great demon lord. He attacks Vol with all his power. However, the creator of fire easily extinguishes his flames and reaches him. She performs a ritual, breaking the curse that made him the demon lord of Pride, and commands him to return to his true form. Bell screams in pain, and after a blinding light, he transforms into a woman. Pride is shocked by the transformation. She is now a woman, and no longer the demon lord of Pride. Suddenly, Froy arrives and scoops her up. They escape using a teleportation item. Vol scratches her head and tells Karna that she failed to contain the enemies. Karna reassures her that it is fine since Pride has been purified. Meanwhile, he and Cress prepare for the final battle between humans and demons. Together, they exit the dungeon, where the royal army is waiting for Cress's arrival. Upon seeing him, the soldiers immediately check his condition. They notice that he is accompanied by an enemy because of Karna's demon mask. Cress tells them that he has something to say to the humans. Karna projects himself in front of the soldiers and declares that, under the demon lord Cecil's wishes, he will protect them and bring them to safety from the demons. The soldiers do not believe him at first, but Karna insists that their goal is to end the war between the two races and create a world where humans and demons can coexist peacefully. He vows never to harm the people, impose unfair taxes, or abuse them. Additionally, they plan to create a dungeon system that will benefit both races. This will provide humans with additional sources of income, allowing them to start businesses around the dungeons. Some humans recognize the potential benefits, but others are opposed to working with demons. Karna points out that this system will also be beneficial for demons. The soldiers turn to Cress and tell him that they cannot accept a proposal involving demons, as they will surely betray humans. The hero recalls the moment Karna promised him peace for both humans and demons. Karna only wishes for humanity's happiness and nothing else. To convince the humans that demons can coexist peacefully, Cress challenges Karna to a duel. Karna accepts and unsheathes his sword. The humans are shocked but hope that Cress will win, demonstrating that humans are stronger than demons. The two warriors stand facing each other, each determined to do what is best for humanity and to end the long-standing war. In this fight, Karna is meant to win. This is the only way for humans to accept help from demons. The two exchange attacks, displaying their true power. As the clash continues, Cress realizes that Karna's talent is extraordinary. His power did not come solely from divine revelation. It was honed through effort and practice. They continue to swing their weapons at each other, and Cress is amazed beyond imagination. He thinks that if someone like Karna leads the peace effort, it will all be worth it. The humans cheer, hoping he will emerge victorious. While looking at them, Cress reminisces about his wife, who smiles brightly at him, giving him courage. The people continue to chant his name. He tightens his grip on his sword and swings it toward Karna. The air sizzles with their powers, but ultimately, Karna comes out as the winner. The humans cannot believe that their hero has been defeated. Karna extends his hand to Cress and thanks him for trusting him. They shake hands, sealing their agreement. Cress will rely on him to bridge the two worlds. Despite their agreement, the soldiers and townsfolk feel as if humanity's fate has ended. However, Cress assures them that they should not be afraid, as this is the beginning of a new chapter for both worlds. He will continue to devote himself to protecting the people. Cecil and the others walk toward the dungeon exit. She greets him and warns that things are about to become busy now that their dream is starting. Karna agrees, and the others give him warm, hopeful smiles. This is officially the start of a new chapter in their lives. 1 year after the battle with the three demon kings, Lai, one of the three greedy generals once slain by Karna, fights alongside Deneb and Vega. The two show their prowess, giving their best to defeat the demon. Lai attempts to attack them with his poisonous breath, but Altair blocks it with her magical rope. As a final strike, Vega uses his dark/fang technique and brings the demon down. The trio wins the battle and is declared by Vol to be the first to conquer the Hellfire Mid-Zone. They are initially surprised, thinking the entity might be a new boss. Just as they feel threatened, Vol introduces himself as the Guardian of the Flame Emperor and asks if they are ready for the next challenge. Although cautious at first, the trio decide to dive deeper and conquer the next stage of the dungeon. However, to Vol's surprise, they run in the opposite direction, prioritizing their safety. They feel that Vol may gain their trust and betray them later, so for now, they choose to flee. Vol transforms and comments that humans have become much more intuitive and tougher. Later, the trio celebrates their achievement after conquering the Hellfire Mid-Zone. They feel they deserve a cold beer after their ordeal and cheer as they receive the Hellfire Badge as proof of victory. Altair cannot believe it has been almost a year since Cecil conquered the Zeal Arna region. Meanwhile, Karna, wearing his mask, addresses the people in town. For their safety, he instructs them to explore only their assigned dungeons. He encourages them to venture into dungeons in exchange for rewards. Doubtful, the townsfolk worry it may be dangerous, especially for those without skills or power to fight demons. Karna assures them that the dungeons are designed to fit different abilities. There are zones for beginners, mid-level adventurers, and top-tier adventurers. He personally oversees the hard level, which is the most challenging. Beginners can safely explore the surface and reach the middle part. Once conquered, they receive a badge. Those who collect all 5 dungeon badges will receive a personal invitation to Cecil's castle, where any wish can be granted. The trio becomes fired up to continue exploring. They observe that much has changed after humans agreed to coexist with demons, noting undead casually walking on the streets. People from different regions now come to explore dungeons for a chance at fortune. Businesses around the dungeons are booming, providing significant learnings to the townsfolk. However, Deneb is concerned about Karna, Cecil, and Esha, whom they have not seen since the peace talks succeeded. Rumors say the demon army may have captured them. Though they did not know them long, they treated them as friends. They raised their glasses, cheering to their goal of conquering the hardest part of the dungeon and meeting the demon lord. After this, they hope to reunite with their friends. Meanwhile, a spirit watches over them. In the castle, Cecil observes the trio, worried they are overexerting themselves. Esha assures her that they are fine and that Vol has reported they have grown stronger since the last encounter. This confirms that their mission to train humans using the dungeon is working. Cecil is pleased to hear this. Esha adds that the trio could easily defeat an average demon general. Cecil smirks and wonders if they could take down an above-average general. Both look at Karna and agree that he is far beyond their league. Esha asks Cecil what she plans to do with the trio. She replies that she will wait for them to reach her. By then, she will reveal her true identity and let them choose. For now, she must check on each dungeon and monitor the progress of human adventurers. After calling the overseers of the 5 great dungeons, Cecil and Karna begin the Demon General's Council meeting. Esha, now the Chief Demon General, steps forward and updates them on the progress in the Eternal Coffin dungeon. Since it serves as the gateway to Cecil's castle, many adventurers pass through the dungeon every day. Some manage to break past the entrance guardian, the dragon zombie. After that, the adventurers face her monster cats, which effectively drive them back every time. The cats have the power to steal memories and store them, which later benefits Esha. Ertl reports that, due to the increase in visitors, illegal settlements have spread around the dungeon. This causes issues such as disturbing public order and affecting the peace of legal merchants nearby. Karna takes note and ensures proper countermeasures are implemented. Belf reports next about the Sky Demon Castle dungeon, which he guards. Since the dungeon floats in the sky, it poses a challenge for adventurers without the ability to fly. Karna realizes the complication, remembering that he designed it, though only now recognizing the full extent. The Sky Fortress also collects heavenly mana, which could become a larger problem later. Belf agrees but is gathering data for further study. Cecil notes that their mana balance sheet is still in the red. Belf adds that, although the fortress is challenging, it has become an effective amusement area where humans can ride flying monsters for a fee. Nodens, the guardian of the Sky Fortress, agrees, noting that it has become a mix of battlefield and playground. Despite this, no one has successfully breached the mid-layer, and he commends Belf for the solid defenses. Belf humbly downplays his contribution, but Nodens points out his potential, saying he could rival any Demon Lord's general. He tries to give the credit to Cecil, but she also praises him. Belf promises to strive harder so he will not disappoint them. Cecil then turns her attention to Karna and promises to support him as his wife. She gets close to him, feeling embarrassed, much to Belf's frustration. Next, the Orc Warfront Guardian reports that their dungeon reuses abandoned human fortifications to protect Orc settlements, farmlands, and ranches. Many humans still attack, seeking to reclaim what was once theirs, and without Karna's help, their survival would be impossible. The Orc Warfront Mid-Layer Guardian thanks him for making them his subordinates. With no further issues, they move to Derek, the guardian of the Hot Spring Labyrinth, with Zeta as her unwilling human relations advisor. Derek reports that the dungeon is guarded by succubi and sahuagins, who dislike fighting. Instead, they set imagination-based traps that expose adventurers' inner desires. For the middle layer, Karna is impressed that the dungeon harvests the second highest volume of mana, after the Eternal Coffin. Derek also explains that the dungeon has a section where adventurers can find love, which guarantees high mana output. Zeta comments that managing human and demon coexistence is exhausting. Cecil assures her she will help every step of the way and promises to send her own proper defense unit soon. Derek checks on the intelligence division and notes that Tasha has helped gather information, creating a data network spanning almost the entire human realm. They have received intelligence about forces plotting to eliminate Cress after his defeat by Karna, though others resist these plans. Cecil orders Cress to be protected at all costs, as he is key to their mission. Derek adds that low-rank adventurers and thieves are flooding in, raising serious local security concerns. Isha is alarmed and suggests implementing serious countermeasures. Karna volunteers, claiming he has a secret plan up his sleeve. Late at night, Karna performs a ritual, calling forth ancient spirits. After the spell is complete, legendary heroes, adventurers, and nobles from the past rise from the dead. Esha is overwhelmed to see faces from history books. Karna seeks their help to restore order and protect the local population. He reminds them that they need rest and magical energy, but otherwise they will remain mostly inactive. Esha cannot believe the audacity of his actions but remains casual. Cecil praises him for solving another problem so brilliantly. Vol reports on the latest progress. He announces that a team has cleared the mid-layer of the Hellfire dungeon, which is fascinating and hard to believe. He shows the trio, Deneb, Vega, and Altair on the screen. Cecil says, "This is the perfect moment to discuss the coming-of-age system." Dungeon badges are crafted from magical relics, salvaged from the legacy of the Demon of Greed. While the badges do not grant powers directly, they store magical energy. Humanity grows stronger through steady training, discipline, and gradual accumulation of mana. When a skilled individual earns a badge and continues to fight, the badge amplifies their mana, allowing them to evolve further. The Orc Chief asks what they hope to achieve by strengthening humanity. Cecil explains that for both worlds to coexist, they must stand as equals. Humans need to be trained to grow as strong as demons, sharing control over the world's order. She envisions a bond of respect and trust between the two races, holding Karna's hand as a symbol of possible human-demon cooperation. Derek expresses concern that humans might grow strong enough to overthrow demons. Cecil points out that demons must train just as hard to prevent falling behind. With enough mana, demons can grow even stronger, and they are living proof. Belf becomes fired up and agrees, vowing to become stronger to protect Cecil. Cecil and Karna exchange smiles, proud of their achievements. Later, as they prepare to rest, Cecil notices that Esha is not around. Karna explains that she returned to her room to tend her cats. Cecil flashes a naughty smile, implying that it is just the two of them, which embarrasses Karna. She apologizes for making him work hard and reminds him that the path to coexistence is difficult. Peace does not come easily. The demon clans remain divided, and humans are still greedy. Nobles and royals continue to profit from endless war, while many suffer without hope. Even if peace comes, uprisings against the ruling class could cause civil strife. Until humanity can save itself and fight on equal terms with demons, the path will be difficult. Cecil reassures him that, as long as they stand hand in hand, they can help humanity survive. They will support each other toward their ultimate goal. She thanks him for being with her, and he expresses his appreciation for her helping him realize his dream. Just then, Belf enters the room with urgent news. Gluttony, envy, and pride have attacked. In Pride's domain, blazing volcanoes rise over a scorched land. A demon general urgently questions if their demon lord has awakened already. A helper responds softly that she has kept herself locked up in her chamber. The soldier is worried that morale will suffer if Pride doesn't get her act together despite Froy's efforts to cheer her up. Frustrated, he proposes to replace the demon lord until a powerful force shakes the castle. A swarm of locusts suddenly invade the domain, darkening the sky as they surge forward. A blazing beam erupts to stop the invasion, blasting forward as fiery projectiles chase the swarm. However, the locusts are unscathed, triggering the demon soldiers to panic and retreat in fear. Inside the castle, another demon soldier reports the invasion, triggering the general's fury as Gluttony betrays them. The demon soldiers pause in shock, seeing Envy and Gluttony mock them as they enter the castle freely. The soldiers are in disbelief after seeing the two demon lords join force in betraying their domain. Envy continues to mock the general and explains that the 7 demon lords are destined to feast on one another when one rises too high. Gluttony expresses her confusion, but Envy explains that there can only be one true demon king, prompting the demon general to question her logic when there are 2 of them currently. Pride silences him with a furious glare, forcing the soldiers to the ground under the crushing pressure of her presence. Gluttony suddenly makes her move, transforming into a massive monster as she prepares to eat the soldiers. After devouring them without hesitation, Gluttony returns to her cute form and thanks them for the meal. Still craving for more, Envy reassures her as they move on to the next course. Her excitement displays as she prepares to cause even more chaos within the castle. She quietly reveals her lingering fear that the old gods might strike again after a year of silence. She declares her resolve to stand above everyone else, vowing to become absolute as fear drives her toward overwhelming power. Meanwhile, Gluttony worries and admits she is better suited for support magic, rather than direct combat, prompting Envy to conclude that they must strengthen their best fighters and face the situation head-on. Gluttony hesitantly asks if they are still talking about food, prompting Envy to explain that she plans to feed Nodens to Gluttony to empower her. Realizing this involves overwhelming magic, she reacts with excitement and loudly demands strong magic to eat. Silently, Envy smirks calmly and explains that Gluttony can consume anything and convert it into magic. Envy outlines the plan clearly, stating that Gluttony will eat Pride to strengthen her vessel before devouring minions one by one to absorb their power. She then declares her plan to kill Gluttony and absorb her strength so she can take everything for herself, calling it a flawless path to absolute victory. Satisfied with her strategy, she urges Gluttony to advance, slamming the door as they reach Pride's room. Helpless, Pride lies in bed and tells the intruders to stay back, but Envy mocks her by calling her current form small and weak, claiming her strength and karma were split in 2. She ridicules her loss of confidence and transformation, dismissing it as pathetic. Without warning, Envy restrains her, insisting she must understand hardship before being allowed to serve, causing Pride to struggle and cry out while Gluttony can't wait to devour her. Pride panics as her thoughts fracture under pressure. At that moment, freezing magic surges in, slamming into the 2 demon lords and interrupting their control. Froy finally appears to rescue Pride, shielding his demon lord and apologizing for the delay, as the locusts took longer to subdue than expected. Pride realizes it is too late, until Envy slams the ice with her foot. She scoffs and mocks the weak attack, and Gluttony taunts Pride's frozen state. Pride curses the traitors as Froy holds her tightly. Meanwhile, Derek and Esha finish their report to Karna and Cecil. Derek explains that they have not tracked Pride since she lost her base and assumes she is still on the run. Vol wonders if releasing Karma was a mistake, but Esha states clearly that she is still an enemy and does not deserve mercy, while Cecil adds that she wiped out the aristocratic army and remains dangerous even if she is absent. Esha also confirms that demon generals like Belf have grown stronger and suggests that they should attack other demon lords' territories, but Cecil's response is firm that now is not the time to act. She explains that many humans are focused on the 5 great dungeons, fewer are entering demon domains, and with limited magic and civil unrest, Karna realizes that the demons will weaken on their own. Cecil suddenly declares that their time is limited and suggests completing one important task first. After an urgent matter is announced, Esha is surprised since she believes everything has been settled already. Cecil insists this issue is the most important of all and admits she has waited too long. Esha reacts in shock, realizing how serious this sounds, before Cecil suddenly proposes they visit Karna's family home. Karna is stunned that he can go home, while Cecil recalls that in human society, visiting family is essential when considering a future together and says she wants to do it properly. She adds that she has prepared many souvenirs for his family. Meanwhile, Cecil internally admits that she cannot relax around them and sees this as a chance to finally rest. Her eyes suddenly widen, until Esha suggests that since it is a good opportunity, Karna and Cecil should take time off and enjoy themselves. Esha volunteers to handle defense while they are away, but she really plans to use the time to rest and cuddle with her cats. Karna begs Esha to come with them, but she loudly refuses and insists he is ruining her cuddle time. Despite his pleading, she resists until he explains that his grandparents would feel more at ease if she were present. He suddenly plays cute and acts pitiful as he tries to convince her, flustering Esha all of a sudden. She finally agrees but demands he stop looking at her that way. He thanks her enthusiastically as Cecil notes how effective Karna's pleas are. Meanwhile, at Karna's family home in the remote region of Jalarana, a giant chicken named Coca for laying a massive egg as Grandpa cheerfully thanks and praises her, wondering how surprised Karna would be to see it now. The eggs are revealed to sell for a large sum, which makes Grandma question if they should be living comfortably like this. Suddenly, the earth shakes and causes shock and panic among them. The ground suddenly trembles as something massive approaches. A red dragon crashes into the area, roaring as everyone freezes in panic. Karna's grandparents shout in alarm, realizing a heavy dragon has appeared in the mountains and is heading straight toward them. The dragon looms over the barn until Gaia's massive hand ascends from the ground and commands the dragon to be still. The creature is seized effortlessly, frozen mid-motion, and then flicked away into the distance. The grandparents stare in stunned silence as the danger vanishes. Grandpa remarks that it was a surprise, while Grandma notes their neighbor seemed to be in a bad mood. Suddenly, another towering figure looms over them, revealing the arrival of Uru, who is carrying Karna and his friends. He appears excitedly, calling out to his grandparents and proudly announcing that he is home. Karna's grandparents look up in excitement as they can finally see their grandkid. Meanwhile, a sealed mountain of ice comes into view as Gaia states that someone has touched the fragment of her that remained on Earth. She identifies the cause clearly, saying it was love and power, and concludes that it was that child who made contact. The figure confirms that the child connected with Bastit's fragment and defeated her, declaring that this same child is the one capable of stopping her from breaking the seal. Meanwhile, Uru calls on the earth to gather steel as divine power surges around him to create a skillet and a stove. The eggs are cracked first, milk and seasoning are poured in, then Nodens vigorously stirs everything together, while Vol channels scorching fire and commands it to manifest beautifully. The heat rises as the cooking continues, leaving the dish half-cooked before it is refined further. Nodens carefully stirs the glowing mixture until it solidifies into a shining golden omelet. The finished dish is presented to everyone as Triss's egg omelet, drawing amazed reactions from Karna's grandparents. Cecil playfully feeds Karna, teasing him as he reacts in embarrassment. The grandparents marvel at how Karna brought such a wonderful woman home, noting how much he resembles his father. When asked about Karna's father, they begin recalling his past and reveal that he is an adventurer. Grandpa explains that Karna's dad was born and raised in their home before leaving to attend school in the capital and wanted to see the ends of the world. He left Karna as a baby to their care and departed with his wife in search of the farthest reaches. Esha is shocked and explains that the farthest reaches are described as a legendary land beyond the continent, an uncharted realm no one has ever reached, making the journey reckless even for top-tier adventurers. Karna calls Esha as the meal continues, catching her off guard as he feeds her. She reacts in surprise by the taste and clearly overwhelmed by how good it is. The grandparents explain the dish was made with special farm ingredients, proudly stating that it is truly delicious and even extends their lives. Isha also notices her skin becoming smooth, and the grandparents joke that they look younger, comparing it to when they first met. Karna happily announces he has another present for them, turning to Uru for help. The dragon responds immediately, activating teleportation magic as a magic circle forms beneath him. Cress and Thelma arrive, greeting Karna and Cecil after a long time. Karna introduces them as work colleagues. Thelma politely introduces herself, while Cress reveals himself as the former hero, thanking Karna for the invitation and acknowledging how much Karna has changed. Karna apologizes for summoning them so suddenly, but Thelma responds that it is not a big deal. Cress expresses gratitude for being invited, and Karna says he is glad the former hero is doing well. Karna then asks Thelma to begin, and she confidently agrees, activating healing spring magic and summoning a powerful surge of water that erupts into the ground. The grandparents react in amazement as the hot spring forms and call it a wonderful gift. Karna smiles and says he really wanted to make them happy now that he is back home. They quietly watch him, until reassuring Karna that he made them really happy. The grandparents reflect that there is no greater joy than seeing Karna loved by his companions and caring for them. They thank Karna sincerely and say they are happy. The moment ends with Karna running forward and embracing them warmly. Cress notes that even the strongest demon general who once saved the world is still just a child, prompting Cecil to agree quietly with the observation. As Cress continues to watch Karna cling to his grandparents, he remarks that he is strong and cool, but also has a childish, mischievous, and cute side. Karna beams with a bright smile as he hugs his grandparents. Steam rises from the hot spring as the tension in the air slowly eases. Chris exhales deeply and feels every muscle in his body loosening as he relaxes. The fatigue from the long journey is clear, and the grandparents tell them they must be tired, so they let them use the hot spring before them. Cecil notes that this bath is a gift for Karna's family, and they kindly let them go first. Still soaking in the hot spring, Cress wonders how long it has been since he last felt peace, while Karna acknowledges that things must have been tough for him lately. Cress shares that since the alliance was formed, the human territories have been in constant chaos. Kingdoms that lost their armies were forced to rebuild by collecting wartime taxes. He explains that poor civilians who could not afford the heavy taxes had no choice but to flee their homes. Cress shares that he now manages the border between himself and the king, since the royal knights have lost trust and are limited to security duties. Cecil realizes that this is why humans have been steadily flowing into the Demon Lord's territory. Thelma and Esha share that there are even reports of humans becoming official citizens of the Demon Lord's territory and receiving protection. Cress says that's still not the only issue, because the human extinctionist church is exploiting the chaos to stir up fear of demons and stop people from fleeing into the Demon Lord's territory, adding that Cecil has shut the border and even the capital has been cut off from the royal territory. A map shows other northern lands being liberated, with refugees being redirected toward the border connected to the Demon Lord's territory, since it's the only route still open. In the northern demon territories, weakened pride, envy, and gluttony are fighting, and there's a high chance a human kingdom will try to invade the Demon Lord's land while the region is in chaos. Cress warns that, at this rate, another war between humans and demons could break out and insists they must stop it at all costs. Cecil looks serious and says that things are finally starting to get dangerous. Thinking about the faceless sloth, Esha shares a story about a mysterious demon lord lurking in human territory, which Cecil confirms that he is aiming to sever the ties between humans and demons while manipulating politics within the kingdom. Karna immediately suggests gathering information about Sloth by investigating the faceless one. Instantly, the group reacts in shock as Karna announces that information about a new demon lord has just been received. Esha immediately asks where the information came from. Karna explains that it came from the old gods' grandpas who are currently sleeping, saying it's from their place next door. He explains that one of the old gods, the goddess of earth, will reveal information about the new demon lord if they clear her trial. He confidently adds that the goddess of earth will tell them everything they need to know about the new demon lord. Karna excitedly suggests that they conquer the hidden dungeon together and gather information about Sloth. The group reacts in disbelief and realizes that the place being mentioned is the old god's hidden dungeon. A massive pillar crashes down as the ground trembles, revealing something enormous emerging from below. The group arrives before a colossal skull-shaped structure that Karna identifies as the entrance to the hidden dungeon. Cecil marvels at the dungeon's appearance and asks how Karna managed to build something like this, while Karna casually admits he broke it here before. Karna confirms that he broke the seal before, which is why the dungeon reacted the way it did. He cheerfully explains that since the old entrance was broken, he simply made a new one and asks if it's safe. Val warns that if the old gods are allowed to sleep, their magic will fall into trouble, while Isha insists things are already bad enough. Cress states that even he, despite conquering countless dungeons, finds this one impossible to clear because it is far too dangerous. Karna brushes it off, saying they are only exploring a small part of the dungeon this time, repeatedly emphasizing that it is just a small section. Nodens introduces the hidden dungeon known as the Great Tomb, explaining that it is responsible for sealing the souls of the old gods. He clarifies that each old god is individually sealed inside a dedicated dungeon tied to the Great Tomb, all connected across space and time, which is something that breaks normal rules. Vol excitedly announces that this dungeon is specifically the Goddess of Earth's dungeon. Seeing the massive entrance, Esha panics and asks if they are really going inside, admitting she is not mentally prepared yet. Karna steps forward and declares that he will open the gate himself without hesitation. A massive magical gate activates as layered magic circles flare open in front of him. As the energy surges, the others are pulled in and react in shock while noticing a sword forming within the light. Karna turns back and reassures them to trust him as the gate fully stabilizes. The group follows behind him, agreeing to move forward while Esha warns him she will be angry if anything goes wrong. The group advances to approach the purple portal with confidence, until the scenery shifts as they arrive in a frozen land filled with towering ice crystals and drifting snow. They silently take in their unfamiliar surroundings, until Cecil recognizes something ahead, witnessing Gaia's gigantic form, the goddess of Earth, lying on the ground. Upon mentioning her name, Gaia awakens with immense force. Cecil explains that among the elder gods who slumber beneath this land, the Earth Goddess is the most shrouded in mystery. As they stand before her, Chris feels an overwhelming presence, while Thelma describes Gaia as if a mountain range itself has come to life. Cecil notes that Gaia is worshipped for water and bountiful life, while Karna thinks she actually wanted to come along with them. Even after shrinking herself down, Vol notes that she is still absurdly huge, and they remember her loudly insisting she was coming too, creating quite a scene. Suddenly, Gaia warns that she can hear everything clearly and calls out Vol by name as the group stiffens. She sharply tells her not to speak so casually in front of mortals, saying it damages her divine dignity. Vol loudly demands that the transport be activated already and points out that they are wasting time talking instead of moving. As they look up, Esha questions whether they are really supposed to climb the colossal goddess's fingers. Karna casually confirms that this is exactly how they climbed before when they first came to break the seal. Even with time frozen from the outside, Nodens realizes that the climb must have taken years. They started from her toes and slowly climbed upward, making their way past her shins to her thighs. They continued past her waistline and crossed the twin peaks that rose beyond her navel. Karna kept climbing without stopping, pushing himself higher and higher. In the end, he reached what they called the summit, leaving others stunned as they questioned where he actually ended up. Thelma questions whether he really climbed the goddess herself, while Cecil stares at him suspiciously, prompting Karna to act defensive. He panics and explains that she was so massive he could not even tell what he was climbing, quickly denying what it sounds like. Esha cuts him off sharply, saying it does not matter and accusing him of planning to do the same thing again, and insists they only came for information on the new demon lord. The goddess speaks calmly, saying that this time she summoned them herself and that this is exactly what they were hoping for. As the surroundings shift, she offers a slight compromise and suggests another trial instead. After declaring that they must overcome this trial, a powerful presence begins to descend before them. Gaia manifests Sval, her own daughter and the goddess of nights, and declares that she will grant what they seek once the trial is cleared. Karna stares in confusion as Nodens recognizes Sval. Kresh shares that he has already heard of her before, recalling that Sval is ordained by the Church of the Royal Capital as the guardian deity of nights and revered by mankind. Gaia calmly confirms the truth, stating that Sval is indeed her daughter, and that what stands before them is only a recreation of her former self. Gaia speaks her daughter's name with solemn weight, explaining that Sval was once a strong and sincere knight with a pure heart and an unshakable spirit. But during the war with humanity, everything changed. The truth is revealed as Sval is shown bound in chains, captured by mortals long ago. She states that in their arrogance, humans turned Sval into a god and worshipped her, vowing never to lose someone dear again. She says that if they swear an oath to her as part of her sorrow, she will reveal information about Sloth. She adds that she will only do so if they prove themselves worthy through her judgment. As the tension rises, the old gods eagerly volunteer to join in, asking Karna to supply them with mana. However, a magic circle activates before them, signaling the trial's start as one of them reacts in surprise. A massive barrier activates around them, throwing the old gods off balance and slamming into shock. Gaia coldly orders the gods to stay back and not interfere with what follows. Karna realizes that this trial is meant for humanity and everyone who lives upon the earth. The glowing sigil is revealed as the Divine Aegis Seal, an absolute defense that nullifies all spells and abilities. The group braces themselves as they are told that no magic and no divine aid will be able to break through it. Gaia declares that they must rely solely on their own strength and commands them to prove it by defeating her daughter. Without warning, Sval lunges forward and Karna shouts a warning as her strike comes crashing down. The blow slams into the ground with overwhelming force, sending shockwaves through the arena as they barely evade it. Esha charges ahead, deciding that if magic does not work, then physical force will have to. She activates her flame stone at maximum output, unleashing a blazing attack as someone desperately calls out for magic stones. Sval calmly withstands the flames head-on, showing no sign of damage as the attack crashes into her. Watching closely, Esha realizes and states that she is completely immune to elemental attacks. Despite that, Karna charges through a violent vortex of swirling fire as the assault continues to intensify. Karna yells and forces himself forward through the flames, pushing his body to its limit. Sval counters instantly, slamming him away in a blazing exchange that overwhelms him completely. Sval's massive shield trembles as impact marks appear on its surface. Karna declares that if everyone works together, they will not lose to anyone and reaffirms his resolve. He charges forward with his sword raised and confidently shouts that he will put her at ease right away. Gaia looks at him calmly as Karna calls out her name. Gaia seals the battlefield shut, trapping everyone inside the arena. Cress immediately charges forward with Legion Revelation, his holy power flaring as he attacks head-on. Aisha and Karna react at once, while the former releases divine threads to intercept the strike. With her towering form, Sval steps in with her shield raised as she prepares for their attacks. The threads wrap around her head, while Karna flips away as he catches the end of the thread and commends Esha. Sval looks up, until Karna slashes her armor with his sword. Esha continues her support by using threads of the divine spider, restraining Sval. Karna charges forward without hesitation, using his speed to entangle Sval completely. The old gods observe outside the barrier after the three team up to fight Sval, finding their strategy impressive. However, Nodens expresses his hesitation, while Gaia confidently notes that their little strategy is not enough to defeat her daughter. Sval pulls out her gigantic sword, cutting the threads that once entangled her. Karna is stunned as Sval stands confidently, while Esha is in disbelief after the Lady of Nights sliced through her spider threads instantly. Sval prepares to make her move, launching a powerful slash in her way, but Cecilia blocks her attack without hesitation to protect her comrades. Karna and Esha are stunned after Celia shields them, while Esha thought she could not use spells, but Celia clarifies that she is not using magic. A powerful blast erupts as Celia explains that she is releasing all the mana the people of the Lust Demon Realm have gifted her. She manages to successfully counter Sval's attack, but she is uncertain if she can still block their opponent's next attack. Thelma suddenly chants an incantation, asking the mighty earth to bless her revelation. Sval is stunned when ice bursts from the ground. Thelma urges Karna to make his move while the goddess is off balance. Cress tells everyone to finish the fight in one strike. Karna charges without hesitation, flames training behind him. Karna slashes the goddess with his holy sword, and the battlefield falls silent. Karna notes that he doesn't want any human or demon to suffer or be hurt anymore. His sword suddenly breaks, promising to find the goddess of nights if she still suffers somewhere, and continues to fight for Gaia, prompting the earth goddess to smile in approval. Sval suddenly disappears, while Gaia extends her hand and notes that Karna's resolve has reached her, giving him the permission to take her hand. As promised, Gaia is ready to tell him what she knows about the new Demon King. Looking at Karna and his comrades, Gaia is confident to entrust the world's future to them. Gaia summons a bright light, while the group praises the beauty of the world the goddess sees. Gaia quickly shifts to business, presenting a floating projection that shows the current state of the world. As the crowd gathers below, she announces the beginning of a new chapter and signals that something momentous is about to unfold. The scene cuts to a dark hall where robed followers begin a summoning ritual. The crowd realizes a divine presence has finally manifested, asking her to guide them. The angel of the gospel descends and warns that the demon king of wrath and humanity are about to clash, declaring that this confrontation will decide humanity's fate. She urges everyone to pray, calling it the final moment of salvation. The followers continue chanting, until a massive magic formation appears above a church. The sigil expands outward, shaking the surroundings and carving itself into the terrain. An enormous sword rises violently from the ground, signaling the activation of an ancient, large-scale ritual. Gaia reveals that only the church was entrusted with this power. She explains that a demon king of wrath, long sealed by heroes and the church in ancient times, has returned. The crowd learns that this demon king was once forgotten entirely, erased from common knowledge, while Karna points out that she looks just like the goddess of the nights. Gaia confirms his observation, explaining that Tricilia was captured by humans, and her soul was shattered by the church itself. That shattered soul was divided, destroyed, and fused into a single being, creating what is now known as the Demon King of Wrath. The cruelty of the act shocks the group. Gaia asks if they understand the origin of revelation. Cress responds that revelation is an imprint granted by the church, falsely labeled as talent or profession. Gaia reveals that Sval gave revelation to humanity, shocking the group. The goddess also shares the truth that the church implanted fragments of Sval's shattered soul into selected humans, creating heroes and knights, and this manipulation is revealed as the real origin of revelation. Cress reacts in disbelief as the goddess explains that while most recipients were controlled, there were exceptions. Gaia points out that Cress was protected by gods outside the church's influence, while Thelma was blessed with the hot spring talent and revealed to have been protected directly by the earth goddess herself. Meanwhile, it is revealed that Sval's true soul resides beneath a specific altar, guarded by remnants of an ancient civilization. Esha concludes that the same imprint was used on both humans and demons, meaning their powers share the same origin, leaving Cress shaken after thousands of years of meaningless conflict. She then reveals an important truth about how different Karna's revelation is. His power is directly connected to the secret of his immense magical strength and traces back to a fragment of a creator god that once landed on Earth and was bestowed upon the ancestors of the Necromos family. Over time, the sages refined necromancy from that fragment, turning it into a formal profession. Karna learns that this power awakened within him naturally, which explains why he is ridiculously strong. Karna expresses his astonishment after finding out his origin. When asked what he intends to do with such power, the goddess presses him directly, asking whether he plans to use it to rule the world. Karna answers without hesitation and says he wants to protect his family, friends, and comrades, and to make the people he loves happy. He declares that he will use his power for that purpose alone. The goddess listens closely, clearly moved by his answer. Gaia offers to be Karna's familiar and fight alongside him so that he can end the war and live happily. Satisfied, the goddess promises to bestow blessings and rewards upon the group. She explains that defeating the demon king of wrath will bring them closer to confronting the true mastermind manipulating events from the shadows. She asks Karna to save the world she loves. Karna answers with conviction, promising that he will. Deep within the demon lord of pride's final dungeon, the last defensive line collapses as envy and gluttony break through. The demon lords celebrate wildly, convinced victory is assured now that only the ice general is left. With this, envy and gluttony cheer that pride's head is finally within reach. Suddenly, a demon soldier orders his forces to stop the intruders before they reach their lord, but envy boasts that gluttony's overwhelming magic makes defeat impossible. Gluttony charges in gleefully as she transforms into a giant head. Inside the dungeon, Pride is visibly terrified, begging Froy not to leave her alone. Froy reassures her that he won't go anywhere, while Pride is ready to give up everything just so they won't hurt her, as she slowly loses her hope. Froy responds that it's useless and declares that envy and gluttony will consume them all, triggering Pride to spiral out of control. Cornered and broken, Pride begs Froy to end her life and inherit her soul. She reveals that she was blessed by the outer gods and cannot die normally, desperately asking him to kill her and inherit her soul, saving her from a worse fate. Froy steels himself and pushes her against the ground. Pride closes her eyes and begs him to make it painless. Suddenly, a drop of tear falls into Pride's face, revealing Froy crying and hesitating. Froy recalls that he once revered Aragane as a parent after creating him, shocking the demon lord as the general starts to speak like a human. She reminds him of nature's law that the strong devours the weak, but Froy angrily calls her pathetic, reminding the demon lord that he looked up to her. Froy becomes emotional after feeling betrayed by his own parent and demon lord. Pride rejects the general's plea and calls him a foolish child. She declares Froy no true demon and strips the general of his title, stunning him. Pride orders the remaining forces to stand down and surrender so they can spare their lives. Froy falters as Pride reveals that becoming Gluttony's meal frightens her. However, the thought of her child dying frightens her more. She notes that after being blessed by the flame god and turned divine, her maternal instincts awaken again. Suddenly, Froy gently pushes her away and imprisons her inside a protective barrier. Froy thanks her and resolves to fight as the Ice General alone, even if he must fall here. Pride shouts for him to stop, realizing he is ready to throw his life away. Froy kneels and swears to protect her, calling it a form of honor greater than glory. She freezes in shock as he moves forward despite her pleas, leaving her unable to stop him. He locks the gate with his ice magic, prompting the enemies to act surprised after seeing him. The demon lords mock him as he becomes Gluttony's meal, but Froy smiles in response, prompting envy to question his reaction. He calmly declares he is not fighting for fate, demons, or generals, but only for his parent, sharpening his conviction as power gathers in his grasp. Froy unleashes his strength and declares that his feelings for his demon lord are the source of his power. Froy raises his hand as torrents of freezing water spiral outward, flooding the chamber with overwhelming pressure. The demon lords reel in shock as the sheer scale of his power becomes clear, realizing a single demon general is resisting forces meant to crush armies. Ice surges around Froy as he steps forward, calm and resolute, acknowledging that even a faint echo of Bastet's power still lingers within him. Froy declares that all his strength exists for one purpose only, and that is to protect his demon lord. Envy and Gluttony choose to retreat, deciding there is no need to risk themselves against a cornered opponent who will burn himself out. As they pull back, Froy presses forward relentlessly, while a massive magic circle forms, signaling a teleportation magic for the Demon Lord's escape. Froy strains as exhaustion catches up to him. Barely holding himself upright, he calls out weakly to Pride and declares their success. The Demon Lord reaches for him through the ice barrier and calls his name, asking if he is safe. Froy tries to reach Pride, while the Demon Lord can't wait to reunite with him. As they reach for each other, a sword suddenly pierces through Froy's chest. Pride is stunned in disbelief, while Froy drops to his knees. The Demon Lord begs him to stay with her while he apologizes through labored breaths. Froy weakly asks her to be safe as he breaks apart like a broken ice. Pride screams his name as the barrier violently collapses, throwing both of them apart. The Demon Lord blames a new figure appearing amid the chaos. Faceless Sloth, another Demon Lord, smiles coldly and amused by the despair before him. While Pride questions him why he is laughing, she ignites in fury and screams that her child's life is not a joke. Flames erupt violently around her as she launches herself forward in rage, vowing retribution. Sloth tries to escape her wrath, as the Demon Lord unleashes an overwhelming inferno and declares herself the goddess of flames, demanding her enemy to feel Froy's pain. Fire rains down in a devastating barrage, engulfing the battlefield in scorching destruction as the attack consumes everything in its path. Sloth is thrown away from the impact, but he manages to summon a teleportation circle, mocking the Demon Lord with a cold-hearted smile, narrowly escaping as flames tear through the area. A distant shift in scenery reveals the human realm's royal capital cathedral, the place where Sloth teleports to. He skips inside his mansion as if nothing happened. Sloth announces that everything has gone exactly as planned. He mocks the situation as a dull game and lacks excitement. He transforms into another figure and expresses his appetite. He transforms into another figure again and as a composed old man and declares the stage an altar of sin, all for his lord's entertainment. The final host sits down, introducing his real identity and declaring the beginning of the final act. Addressing the unseen audience, he invites them to enjoy the show until the very end. Under a focused spotlight, he kneels theatrically and begins invoking the Lord of the Outer Gods, who is the primordial one. In a peaceful countryside, Karna asks Cress if he is leaving already, to which the former hero confirms. Cress presents the divine artifact called the Ring of Life, explaining it is a gift from the Earth Goddess that can revive the dead, meant for his fallen comrades. Cress reflects that he could use the ring to bring them back, including the subordinates who worshipped him, revealing there is someone he wants to see from the bottom of his heart. Yet when Karna asks if he will use the ring, Cress refuses. The former hero says they lived their lives fully, even if briefly, and he cannot bind them again for selfish desires. He declares his mission is to create an era of peace so that people can live fully when reborn, calling this his duty. Karna praises his resolve and tells him to discipline himself and fulfill his duty as a hero, assuring him that his wife is watching over him. Cress quietly hopes so. A memory surfaces of his wife waving to him, as he admits she was too good for him and always gave him peace even while he lived in constant war. He explains that because she was there, he could be a hero. Though he wants to live with his wife again, he states he cannot abandon his pride as a hero. Cress asks Karna to hold onto the ring, vowing to see his path through to the end. He asks Karna to promise to save as many lives as possible and protect the kingdom. As the ring is passed to Karna's hand, he tells Cress to let him know if he ever wants to use it, while Cress prays that day never comes. Cress activates teleportation magic, saying he has talked too much and is being carried away. He announces he is returning to the kingdom to prepare for the great war against the Demon Lord of Wrath. As he departs, the group admits that even together they cannot defeat the Demon Lord right now. Nodens reminds him that the Demon Lord of Wrath possesses the souls of Bastet and Sval, making him an exceptional being on par with an outer god and stronger than the 7 great demon lords. His territory expands, spawning high-difficulty dungeons and increasing danger. Cress reassures them not to worry, declaring that humans and demons will unite against the Demon Lord of Wrath by forming a united front. He promises to fight with them until the end to realize the future they promised that day. A teleportation circle activates, lifting the group away as Cecilia states that to defeat the Demon Lord of Wrath, they must become stronger and learn more about him. Isha asks how exactly they will do that. Cecilia says she has an idea. She questions whether everyone will cooperate. The scene shifts to the former territory of the Demon Lord of Greed, Western Carcazan, where a Demon Lord army commander, Doba, scoffs at the idea that a mere human could challenge him. Doba notices Esha approaching and demands to know who she is. She steps forward confidently, identified as a demon general normally formidable but currently weakened. She draws her sword and releases the First Order phase, unleashing a devastating strike that cuts Doba down as he screams. She remarks that Doba is trapped and fighting improperly, stating that the Earth Goddess granted her powerful authority and entrusted her with a divine item. She turns to Thelma for her purification magic, prompting her to invoke the Goddess of Heaven and Earth to bless the withered ley lines. A massive pillar of light erupts skyward, restoring the land. Thelma is astonished that she can now create forests and plains and stabilize the land, though she admits she is still getting used to it. She asks if this is good enough, and Karna praises her, calling it perfect. Cecilia thanks her as magical energy overflows. She vows to pacify former demon territories and absorb Earth's magic to grow stronger, while resolved to protect every new life, and declares she will become stronger as well. A calm breeze swept across the land as Cecil reflected on how Karzakin's rebellion had finally been crushed without bloodshed. Karna celebrated the victory, crediting Esha and Thelma's efforts for making it possible. Cecil then admitted that truly mastering Bastet's power would require expanding her mana capacity even further. She revealed that beyond absorbing fragments, she would also need to take in the Demon Lord's souls as well. As the weight of that realization settled in, she recalled how absorbing a shard of the Lord of Greed had briefly made her feel like she was no longer herself. Cecil wondered aloud what would happen if she absorbed the remaining souls, questioning whether she would still be herself afterward. She feared losing the version of herself that loved Karna, asking if she would still remain the same. Karna reassured her gently, telling her that she would always be herself, no matter what changed. Smiling through her doubts, Cecil accepted his words. Overcome with emotion, she embraced him, comforted by his promise that his feelings would never change. Cecil thanked Karna quietly as the moment lingered. She explains that the 7 demon lords and fragments of the same god had fought each other for ages. With the Lord of Wrath rising, time was now running out, making unity essential. Cecil resolved that humans and demons must stand together to stop the faceless sloth, who thrived on chaos. She proposed fighting side by side for a future where both races could coexist, and Karna eagerly agreed. Hearing her conviction, Cecil notes that perhaps the timing truly was perfect. Suddenly, Gaia appears before them, reporting a disturbance that caught her attention as a massive mana clash erupted within the Pride Demon Lord's territory. She confirms that the battle between gluttony, envy, and pride was rapidly intensifying. In a hellish battlefield, the land burns under overwhelming power. Gluttony and envy escape from hurling attacks as they realize that scattering the cursed fog was a bad idea. Gluttony and envy describe the situation as spiraling far beyond control as they experience Pride's fury. Driven by vengeance for her child, Pride unleashed a devastating assault, declaring that this was not even Freud's full strength. Envy attempts to interrupt, but Pride begins her final payback. However, envy taunts Pride and mocks her as her stomach's sounding the war trumpet. Pride snaps back furiously and screams for silence as flames engulf the battlefield. Envy drags Gluttony away from the inferno, ordering her to get over there as the situation worsened. Envy admits she had completely miscalculated, never imagining she would be so helpless even with numbers on her side. Suddenly, Gluttony demands to know why Envy has been protecting her, accusing her of acting strangely. Gluttony bluntly points out that she was always shielding her, reminding her they were falling back for now. Watching in disbelief, she questions whether Envy likes her or something. Envy explodes in rage, screaming in disbelief as she berates her companion cruelly, reminding her that she had only kept her alive because she was useful. Suddenly, Gluttony tells Envy to eat her instead without hesitation. Realizing the battlefield could not sustain them both, Gluttony acknowledges there is no choice but to merge into one demon lord. She urges her to consume her, grow stronger, and continue the fight. Though conflicted, Envy expresses her confusion since she is Gluttony herself. The latter admits that eating her would fill her stomach but leave her soul unbearably lonely. Gluttony, shaken, begs Envy to eat her instead, unable to accept such an outcome. Envy lashes out emotionally, accusing her of joking at a time like this. As energy surges violently between them, Envy screams that a demon lord's throne was not something to be given away. Envy shouts back that winning meant taking everything, including what was theirs. A massive surge of demonic energy erupts as the demon lord's souls resonate with each other. Pride realizes that even demon lords can feel compassion, but rejects the idea, screaming that no bond can surpass hers. She launches a furious counterattack. Envy responds and declares she fights only for Pride. Just before they clash violently, Gaia's massive hand appears from the volcano, followed by her towering form, stopping the children of Bastet. The Earth Goddess finally intervenes, descending with divine authority and declares a ceasefire in her name, while Karna stands confidently on her hand with his staff. Gaia descends, prompting Envy to instantly question why she has appeared in the battlefield. Karna explains that he felt their magic clash and rushed over using teleportation with Gaia's avatar. Envy accuses him of scheming while everyone is exhausted, reacting with open hostility. Karna calmly introduces himself as an envoy sent by the Demon Lord of Lust, correcting her assumption. He asks for strength to end the endless feud between demon lords. Speaking with clear resolve, he offers a deal, proposing an exchange involving the seals of the outer gods. She hesitates, clearly displeased, tightening her grip as she considers his words. Both demon lords erupt in anger, rejecting the idea outright and refusing to be ordered around. Karna is clueless and questions whether the outer god seals are truly stronger than current powers, but Envy furiously replies that it's besides the point. The demon lords declare her pride, insisting strength should come from one's own might alone. Pride observes from afar, until Karna notices her. She watches in shock, recognizing his figure as someone similar to the one who killed Froy. Pride explodes in rage, accusing him of daring to stand before her after killing Froy. Karna displays his confusion, but Pride charges forward and orders the other demon lord to deal with him first. Envy responds furiously and declares she will kill him with her own murderous intent. Gaia watches calmly, until Karna declares that the negotiation failed, but she asks him to hold back a little. Karna acknowledges her command without resistance. He launches forward, unleashing a focused strike aimed directly at the enemy. Pride is hit first head-on, her body thrown back by the impact. Barrages of muddy bullets fire into the ground, but Gluttony simply devours each strike. Envy scoffs, mocking his magic as weak and unworthy. She declares the seal of Gluttony devours even creation itself, dismissing compatibility. Gaia calmly interrupts, suggesting a different solution. Karna looks up in surprise after a glowing sword descends from above and radiates a cold blue light. Gaia confirms that it is Vol's sword, recalling its past burden and sacrifice. She asks him to use it instead, while power surges through him as he thanks her and grips the sword firmly. Envy charges forward, announcing this will be the final blow. Gluttony expands her form and counters with a class-level devouring technique. A burst of blue light flashes as Karna cleaves through with a single decisive slash. The demon lords are separated by the strike. Stunned and overwhelmed, Karna instantly activates multiple seals, asking the goddess to rest while he finishes things. Crystals scatter across the battlefield as the seals stabilize. Karna moves through the lava field, stating it's cramped but under control. He steps closer and clarifies he did not come to fight the demon lords. He extends his hand, saying he came in friendship and not hostility. Pride looks at him silently, her expression conflicted as the flames continue to burn. Pride asks if he came to join forces while standing amid the scorched ground. She scoffs and attacks in anger, declaring it is for Froy. Karna blocks the flames effortlessly, insisting he does not even know who Froy is and has done nothing. She accuses him of mocking her grief, shouting that he dared say that after killing her child. Confused and firm, Karna says he truly does not know anything and believes she has the wrong person. She falls silent for a moment, staring at him with conflicted eyes. Power suddenly erupts around her as a violent aura surges upward. Pride screams in shock, unable to understand the magic overwhelming her body. Karna calls out to the Lord of Wrath as he rushes forward through the air. Gaia identifies the magic as Sloth's work and confirms the Faceless is involved. She declares she will track the magic through the Earth's network since it is in her control. Both of them tense as the ground reacts to her authority. A massive monster bursts out in flames, roaring as it charges. Gaia questions why a giant monster is here, suspecting it is a minion of Sloth sent to stop them. The goddess explains that any life on Earth daring to challenge her will face judgment as the monster charges forward. Gaia calls out to Karna and asks him to lend her strength. He answers eagerly, telling her to send it and claiming he will take one of the old gods' magic. She gathers power and invokes the wrath of the Mother Star. A devastating beam erupts as heaven and earth seem to collapse. The attack crashes down in a blinding explosion. She admits he overdid it and apologizes for trying to hold back. The battlefield settles as Sloth's power completely vanishes. Gaia warns Karna that their movements are now more active and urges him to be careful. He promises to return to Lord Tigua and hand over the 2 seals they obtained. The scene cuts to a distant cathedral where Sloth resides. Pride wakes up weakly, groaning as she lies on the floor. She looks around the unfamiliar hall, wondering where she is and what happened to her. Sloth arrives and notes that she is awake as she struggles to sit up. Startled, Pride demands to know who the person before her is. Sloth takes a new form, introducing himself calmly and tells her she may call him the Pope. Sloth explains he has long worked in the shadows, manipulating humans and demons alike, until Pride finally realizes that he is the demon lord of Sloth and asks why he reveals himself now. Sloth says he could not remain hidden anymore and chose to show himself. He thinks about Karna and identifies him as the abominable child of God. Defeated and trembling, Pride admits that Karna is far too strong and she could not win. Sloth states plainly that there was no other possible outcome, but he reveals that there is a way to defeat him. Sloth confirms that such power does exist and prepares to reveal it. Pride kneels as he says he can bestow it upon her. a blazing seal appears, revealed as the hero oracle executed long ago. Sloth reminds her she abandoned gods and humanity and was branded with heresy, yet he claims that as a mother who lost her child, pride's pain and desire for revenge are justified. She declares the demon lord worthy of receiving a new hero's oracle. Two souls manifest, bound by a mother's rage and hatred toward humanity. Sloth vows to lend her strength so she can avenge her child's death. He asks if the demon lord is prepared to accept the power he will bestow. Pride reaches out, clenching her hands in resolve. She shouts that she wants the hero's oracle and demands it be given to her. Sloth smiles calmly and agrees. Golden light engulfs the demon lord as the oracle is finally transferred. She collapses in pain as Sloth orders her to surrender, promising the pain will soon fade. He states bluntly that even now, she is still not strong enough to defeat Karna. Gritting her teeth, Pride insists this is not what she was told and admits she still cannot defeat him. Sloth calmly tells her not to worry as she struggles to rise. With a twisted smile, he explains that to make her stronger, they simply need to add another soul. Sloth notes that the answer is to get Cress, the hero of humanity, revealing that he has already cultivated an oracle and that it is too late. At the human realm's royal capital, Cress walks through the hallways. Suddenly, reports mention that the Wrath Demon Lord subjugation party has been completely annihilated. In the council chamber, officials argue that if even their strongest heroes have fallen, defeating Wrath is no longer possible, as the surrounding area has become an impenetrable dungeon fortress. Morgan, an archmage from the former heroes' party, orders the evacuation of citizens, the gathering of food and supplies, and the establishment of a defensive line. Another council member objects angrily, warning that doing so would cut off the kingdom's primary breadbasket. Another lord furiously asks where their prince is while humanity stands on the brink. The empty hallway reveals as the official tells them that their prince is taking a nap instead. One of them hesitates but confirms that he skipped the council meeting. Inside his chambers, it is revealed that the prince silences his attendants and berates the council for their incompetence. He complains that despite following every order, they still blame him for the defeat. Irritated, he demands to know why the girl is making those faces. He explodes in rage, accusing them of questioning his authority and calling one woman a filthy wench. Furious, he orders her thrown out of the harem and fed to the monsters. Before the order can be carried out, his wrist is suddenly seized mid-strike. Cress restrains him effortlessly, greeting the prince with respect. Cress coldly instructs him to leave the rest to him and keep this incident secret, noting that the prince did not change a bit. Furious, he questions Cress what is the meaning of his sudden appearance. The prince accuses him of treason for sneaking into his harem and threatens punishment. Laughing arrogantly, the prince declares he will disband the royal knights and execute him for his insolence. Cress kneels, stating he came knowing his actions would be seen as disrespectful. He declares he has a plan to save humanity and defeat the demon lord of wrath. The prince mocks him, asking how an old man could possibly defeat that monster. Cress explains that the prince right now lacks strength, but proposes using the enemy to defeat the enemy. He formally presents his proposal, suggesting Sicilia's demon army be treated as a peace force to jointly defeat Wrath. The prince reacts in disbelief, shocked by the suggestion. He shouts that exterminating demons is humanity's mission and refuses to cooperate with them. Cress calmly explains that demons oppose Wrath and that even demon infighting creates exploitable weaknesses. He declares that he will be the one to unite them. The prince hesitates, worried that if he delays, his younger brothers may rise and challenge him. After a pause, the prince agrees but warns there will be conditions. He states that Cress will bear full responsibility and threatens him if he fails. Cress accepts calmly, acknowledging the risk. Resolute, he vows to fulfill his mission even if it costs his life for the future of humanity and demons, asking Karna to wait for a little longer. Suddenly, a purple energy surges, hitting Cress instantly. The prince panics, but a voice announces itself and reassures His Highness. The Archbishop of the Royal Palace arrives, stating he came to punish the traitor and see Cress personally. The prince questions why the Archbishop of the Royal Palace is inside the harem and confirms an oracle was given. The Archbishop accuses Cress of conspiring with demons and betraying humanity. Cress denies it, declaring he will save the country and humanity. The heretic mark suddenly manifests on his hand, reacting violently. The Archbishop watches closely as the mark activates. He announces that God has abandoned Cress and declares him no longer a hero. He is seized by soldiers as he realizes he has been framed. In the shadows, Sloth thanks someone and praises the deception. Cress is shocked and realizes that Sloth hid among humans just as he thought. Inside the Holy Bastille prison, Sloth greets him coldly, calling him the former hero. Cress asks calmly what his goal is. Sloth extends his hand and proposes making a deal. Meanwhile, at Cecilia's castle, she politely invites everyone to enter. Inside, she cheerfully comments that it is a beautiful day while Thelma admits she feels nervous. Cecil checks on Karna, but he quietly reflects on today's ritual and wishes Cress could have come as well. He wonders aloud if Cress will be okay by himself. She reassures him that even when they are apart, they are still fighting together, and urges him to believe in the temporary separation. Karna smiles and agrees, saying she is right. As they walk forward, he adds that she is sure Cress will be fine since it is a three-man job. The hall resounds with cheers as the crowd praises Cecil and celebrates the pacification of Calcazarn. Spectators call out encouragement, urging everyone to cheer for the heroes as they step forward. The group advances toward the altar while nobles and citizens watch in solemn silence. The priest formally addresses Thelma as a representative of humanity. He invokes the name of the god beyond the veil and demands a vow that the demon lord will cede her lands and serve as a subject. Flustered, Thelma answers yes and admits she feels honored but unprepared. Karna and Cecilia watch closely as the ceremony continues. A massive heart-shaped sigil manifests, radiating powerful magic above the altar. Cecil declares the pact sealed by her name and formally recognizes Thelma as a demon general of humankind. She addresses the crowd, stating that many may question her dream of human-demon coexistence, but that belief matters more than doubt. Cecilia proclaims that judgment is not based on race, but on the worth of each heart. She explains that humanity is fighting desperately and is searching for a new homeland. She states this belief is the reason Calcazarn was pacified. She recalls that Calcazarn was once a wasteland, fit only for goblins and ogres, but is now healing under the Earth Goddess's blessing. Thelma promises that humans will settle the land, build a nation, and one day challenge the demon lord's domain. Cecil adds that to satisfy the demons, humanity must let their magic test them as well. She affirms this calmly, confirming the condition without hesitation. Cecil warns that demons of pride must grow stronger still, even to surpass humanity. She defines this balance clearly as coexistence, vowing that they will protect, fight, and continue evolving together. Karna and Cecil clasp hands as magical energy surges between them. Cecil announces that thanks to the demon feast's triumph, 2 new seals of ruin now rest with her. She formally declares her title as the Demon Lord of 4 Crowns. The crowd erupts as the sigil beneath the altar shines brighter. Far away, the Wrath Demon Lord's fortress of rejection looms in silence. On the battlefield, a warrior is struck and cries out as monsters close in. A fighter realizes in shock that even the monsters on the upper floors are absurdly strong. A spiked weapon crashes down as combat intensifies. A blazing slash cuts through the air, splitting the battlefield. Warren, a great warrior from the former hero's party, counters with iron knuckle steel fist, charging head-on. Another attack detonates as flame palm blazing impact erupts. Suddenly, Cress is finally free and returns to the battlefield. From a distance, the adventurers recognize their saviors, calling them the members of the former hero's party, humanity's strongest. Cress looks at them and tells them to leave the rest to them. In a flashback in the dark chamber, Cress asks if this was truly a deal. Sloth confirmed the terms, offering to restore the ruby bearer and release the seal of ruin in exchange for him facing the demon lord of wrath. Cress admitted the offer was not bad, but hinted there was more he can do. When asked how he knew this, Cress recalled the day it happened. He revealed he was the one who implanted the hero's revelation into Karna and no one else. Sloth admitted plainly that it was him. Cress demanded to know what he was trying to do. Sloth explained that divine revelations existed to help one surpass their limits. She forced Cress to choose, asking if he would end here bound by the seal of ruin or stand once more as a hero. Cress declared that his choice was clear and vowed to be a hero until his final breath. Sloth stated that the contract was now complete as the seal burned into his hand. Presently, Cress commends his comrades and apologizes for dragging retired men back into the fray. Morgan tells Cress it's nonsense since they are comrades. Warren calls him out for leaving without telling his teammates as he supports Morgan's statement. Cress looks ahead calmly as he feels thankful for his comrades. Cress hands over a relic to the adventurers, saying it is the labyrinth key that will return the entire party to base. The group reacts in shock as the girl realizes how priceless the item is. Cress assures them they have the spares they need and tells them not to worry. He adds one final condition before parting ways. He turns serious and reminds them to protect humanity's future. Cress urges them to build a new age free from hatred and endless conflict. The key is placed in her hands as he tells her to decide the path herself. Cress kneels and declares this choice will lead to a radiant future. The group answers in unison, fully accepting the responsibility. They charge forward as the battle resumes. Morgan silently confronts Cress for lying after giving away a rare artifact. Cress calmly confirms it and admits he has been ready for this moment for ages. He stands and signals that there is no turning back now. The book is released, entrusting the future to humanity as they walk on in hope. With resolve set, they declare they still have one duty left. The former hero's party surges ahead as the conquest of the Dungeon of Wrath begins. The former hero's party charges straight into the battlefield as explosions erupt ahead. Spotting an opening, Warren shouts that he has a plan. He slams forward with a knuckle strike, detonating the enemy line head-on. Enemies are knocked back as Morgan praises his toughness after so many years. He shows his technique confidently to show off. A sudden burst of power erupts as Morgan unleashes a heavy strike. Meanwhile, Cress surges forward, activating Heroic Revelation as his blade glows. He unleashes Double Brave, cutting down a full line of charging foes in one sweep. He clicks his tongue in frustration after seeing the enemies move despite being decapitated. The group braces themselves that even more enemies are still coming. Blades clash as Cress tells them not to falter under pressure. Flames explode across the field as he shouts for them to keep moving. Thinking about Karna, Cress apologizes quietly as he prepares to act. A memory slate activates, promising that all gathered information will reach him. Cress warns that the revelation will only be completed after his death. In a flashback, Sloth revealed that the battle's end would finalize the divine will. He calmly addressed Cress, challenging him to show how he chose to live. Presently, Cress raises his sword and vows that he will not die in vain. Golden light surges as he swears to engrave his way of life here. He activates the army revelation, flooding the battlefield with radiant power. Cress raises his blade higher as lightning-like energy gathers around him, until his sword breaks. With no hesitation, he leads the charge forward. His companions watch as the demon god of wrath finally reveals herself. The ground splits after she lands her massive sword on the ground. At last, the demon king of wrath stands before them. Cress locks eyes with her and declares he has waited for this day. Without hesitation, she charges forward with murderous intent, but Warren dodges her attack and prepares to counterattack with his fist. His disbelief displays by her immense strength. Warren roars and unleashes a knuckle impact barrage. Wrath raises her shield to block the assault as sparks scatter violently. She swings his shield aside, smashing Warren with her massive sword, ending the hero's fate. Without hesitation, Morgan strikes from Wrath's back, but flames engulf the hero as another devastating blow lands. The hero is blasted away, tumbling through fire and debris. Cress forces himself upright and charges forward, as his other comrade meets his end as well. A crimson sigil pulses, as Cress declares trust in the next generation, hoping for humanity and demons together in harmony. Cress raises his sword and names the world he fights for. He activates Heroic Revelation again as he cries out for the future. His double brave skill erupts as he swings with everything he has left. A violent clash of crimson and gold fills the battlefield. A barrier shatters under the overwhelming impact. Wrath's shield cracks from the impact, as the final explosion sends Cress's body flying through the air. He exhales calmly, asking the goddess to rest assured, promising that his comrades will come to save her. Her grip tightens as she delivers the final blow, while Cress's body is hurled upward. With his eyes closed, Cress asks them to be patient just a little longer. In his final moments, a vision of himself meeting his wife in a flower field displays. He stands quietly, framed in soft light, his armor now calm and still. He wonders to himself if he was able to remain a hero until the very end. Her wife's gentle voice answers him with a simple yes. Her hand rests over his own, assuring him that he did enough. She smiles warmly and welcomes him home. He looks forward, eyes steady as petals fall across his chest. Light washes over him as his figure begins to fade. Hand in hand, they walk through a field of flowers as he finally says he is home. Inside the Grand Cathedral, Sloth declares that Cress's divine revelation is now complete. The seal expands and pulses with violent, unstable energy. Multiple red seals erupt around the arena, stacking their power as Sloth is delighted by the scene. Pride realizes the seal draws power meant for the gods themselves. She struggles as the seal locks onto her body and restrains her movements, until it bores into her chest as she screams in pain. Sloth releases a surge of dark power in response. Meanwhile, at Cecilia's castle, the tablet with wings finally arrives. Karna receives the tablet as light gathers around him. His eyes widen as he learns about what happened to Cress. Karna collapses to his knees, his tears falling into the table as he utters Cress's name. Karna breaks down as Cecilia tries to comfort him. He admits his regret over failing to help Cress, but Cecilia reassures him that their bond remained until the end. Gaia's image displays, reminding them of Cress's will. Karna reflects on the shield and helm Hakers destroyed, while Isha questions whether the Ring of Life can be used to bring him back. Karna recalls Cress's final instruction regarding the tablet. He resolves to honor his friend's last wish, agreeing not to let his sacrifice be wasted. Karna steels himself and declares his resolve to continue the fight against Wrath, while Cecilia and Esha express their full support. A demon soldier suddenly rushes to deliver the news, revealing that the John party finally arrives at the Eternal Coffin, standing before the final dungeon. Cecil is pleased that they managed to reach the point. Karna lifts his demonic helm and equips it as urgency hangs in the air, urging everyone to move forward immediately without wasting time. At the Eternal Coffin, a dragon blasts a powerful fire breath, prompting the party to advance while debris rains down around them. Altair shouts in alarm as they realize their attacks are not working. Deneb finds the danger worsening when the boss shows no sign of falling. Vega yells at the others to stop hesitating and keep moving. He charges forward, resolved to overcome the trial. He is determined to blast through with his good old spirit. A dark, skull-shaped energy surges outward with violent force. The attack crashes into the enemy in a powerful collision. The dragon staggers back from the overwhelming blow. The party cheers as they finally break through the threat. A massive door appears ahead, marking the mid-level boss chamber. Without slowing down, the group bursts into the next area. Envy and Gluttony watch them calmly from above, awaiting their approach. The former demon lords mock them for making it this far. An explosion suddenly rips through the orc field camp in an instant. Twin red sigils activate amid the spreading chaos. Pride scans the battlefield, searching for Karna. The demon lord declares her intent to kill as the battle intensifies. A glowing red sigil ignites on her forehead, signaling the awakening of her newfound power. Envy laughs loudly, declaring it a rare honor for mortals to stand in her divine presence. Gluttony excitedly chants about food, clearly thrilled by the situation. The boys react like fans, except for Altair, who is immune to the former demon lord's beauty. Suddenly, the group recognizes the twin demon lords from the guild's wanted board and questions why they are here. Envy proudly announces that she and Gluttony have ascended to a higher stage. However, Gluttony admits that she surrendered because Karna was overwhelmingly strong, triggering Envy to choke her for embarrassing them. She tries to redeem herself and dismisses the demon lord title as pitiful and beneath her. A brilliant dragon-shaped emblem forms, radiating intense golden light. Envy reveals her new revelation granted by the Genesis dragon, summoning the Dragon King Valusha. While the party braces themselves, they stare in awe, realizing the summoned creature is an enormous dragon. Envy commands everyone to witness her true power as energy surges violently. A massive multicolored dragon cannon blasts fire straight toward the party. The attack slams into the ground, sending shockwaves and debris flying. Altair is shocked by the sheer strength of the attack. Envy laughs cruelly, savoring the screams as music to her ears. Gluttony moves forward through the chaos as the battlefield crumbles. A divine omen rises from the earth itself, forming a glowing tree of light. Gluttony observes the party closely, intrigued by their strong magic. Gluttony struggles to restrain her power as blue flames erupt uncontrollably. A massive wave of blue energy crashes outward, called the World Eater. The party is thrown back violently, barely maintaining their footing. Altair questions whether victory is even possible as they retreat. Vega urges Altair to escape while there is still time. However, Altair refuses, clutching a glowing item and declaring she will not run. Altair vows never to give up, swearing to grow stronger no matter what. She leaps upward, shouting for herself to wake up and soar higher. The glowing artifact shatters into fragments midair. A blinding white space opens as Altair questions where she has arrived. Altair falls gently through the sky, remarking that the place feels strangely peaceful. Altair awakens suddenly, calling out in confusion and panic. She sits up in a grassy field, wondering what happened to everyone else. A voice explains she is in the netherworld, where lost souls drift. Altair insists she is fine and completely okay despite the situation. A smiling girl approaches Altair, asking if she understands. Altair notices the girl looks exactly like herself and reacts in shock. The girl introduces herself as the ancestor of all girls. Altair recalls her mother comforting her with makeup, explaining the power's origin. The ancestor explains that Spirit gave her courage to fight proudly, and she has been waiting for this very moment. She announces she is now granting that power onward. Altair's eyes widen as a divine revelation activates within her. A heart-shaped sigil forms, glowing intensely. Altair transforms, surrounded by radiant pink energy and confidence. The crowd stares in disbelief as the overwhelming glow fills the room after Altair's revelation awakens. She descends gracefully, fully awakened and empowered. A massive pink barrier forms as Altair confronts Envy directly. Vega and Deneb surge forward, empowered by her presence. They shout in unison as their power synchronizes and rises sharply. The group charges together, committing fully to the counterattack. Envy screams in fury as the battle reaches a decisive escalation. A decisive clash erupts as the party's attack lands cleanly, ending the confrontation in a single, overwhelming strike. Envy is sent crashing down the hall as the party stands their ground below. Vega celebrates as he realizes all 5 great dungeons have finally been cleared. Deneb urges the group to move on, declaring that the Demon Lord's castle is all that remains. Karna appears from above, revealing that the heroes have been awaited as harbingers of the apocalypse. The party freezes as they recognize a familiar voice calling out to them. Karna steps forward and speaks calmly, saying it has been a long time since they last met. He reveals himself at last, drawing shocked reactions as the party calls out his name. Vega panics as he realizes Karna is standing right in front of them, despite believing he was captured. Karna looks calm and composed, revealing that he was not the only one to see them. A portal opens as Cecilia and Esha step out, greeting the group after a long absence. The party erupts in shock as they recognize the two. Cecil apologizes sincerely, admitting she deceived them the entire time. Alsha stands beside her, revealing her role as Cecil's advisor, and Karna as the demon general of lust. The group reels as the truth sinks in that Cecil is the demon lord of lust. Cecil explains that the 5 great dungeons were created to strengthen humanity and create new heroes. Celia declares that those who conquered all the dungeons have now been chosen as heroes. She asks for their strength to help bring peace between humans and demons. Vega and Deneb pause for a moment, until they declare that they do not care about demons or titles and will protect his comrades first. Altair agrees, refusing to stand by while her friends are in danger. Esha dismisses the group as kind-hearted but inexperienced. Cecil observes them closely, amused by their good nature. An emergency alert echoes through the hall, interrupting the moment. The alarm announces the appearance of the Demon Lord of Pride. Cecil orders all units to deploy, fully expecting this outcome. Karna turns sharply, realizing where the battle is heading. Pride stands before the castle as she prepares to conquer them. Belf appears, mocking Pride's plan to attack the main castle alone. Furious, Pride is filled with anger as she looks at Belf. Pride whispers in anguish, calling out for her child. She demands Froy back, fury burning in her eyes. A violent collision erupts as the two forces clash head-on. She unleashes a devastating surge of power. The explosion engulfs the battlefield in blinding light. Both sides are thrown apart as the shockwave tears through the ground. Pride confronts Belf, demanding his identity. He steps forward, declaring himself the demon general of lust and blocking her path. Pride scoffs, claiming Belf stands no chance. He responds calmly, acknowledging her confidence. Belf declares he has no reason not to resist. He vows to protect Cecil, even if it costs him his life. Pride releases a powerful flame technique, engulfing the area as he calls for her child's name. Belf tries to dodge her attacks, but he is driven back by the impact. Pride notices something wrong with Belf's state of mind, triggering her to hesitate as she unleashes a massive inferno. Pride releases her powerful strike, while Belf sits on the ground helpless. Suddenly, a pair of hands reach forward to block Pride's attack. Cecil intervenes, unleashing her power to stop the strike. Pride freezes in shock as she recognizes Cecil. She stands between them, shielding Belf from further harm. He calls out to Cecil, stunned by her sudden appearance. She praises Belf's efforts as the battlefield falls silent. Cecil steps forward calmly and tells him to leave the rest to her. Belf is shown recovering on the ground as the battle momentarily pauses. The others gather together, bracing themselves as pressure fills the air. Hovering in the stormy sky, Cecil warns Pride that she is losing control. The Demon Lord reacts sharply, visibly irritated as Cecil continues to restrain the situation. Pride silences her, unleashing a burst of power against Cecilia. Karna rushes in and strikes Pride mid-fall, flames and force colliding violently. With his blade raised, Karna declares he will not let Pride escape this time, triggering her anger to raise after seeing him. Karna charges forward, but Pride reaches out with a fierce glare, power surging from her hand. A spiraling wave of fire erupts and rushes straight at him. Karna slides back while holding his ground, eyes locked on the attack. Pride watches closely, momentarily gauging his response. Karna realizes her power comes from the curse placed on her by Sloth. Pride confirms it and stands tall, flames gathering again. He speaks up, trying to reason with her, insisting that the curse controls her from within. Pride rejects his claim and raises her voice that she is no one's puppet. Pride declares her resolve and lets her rage explode outward. Flames roar higher as she commits everything into the attack. A massive inferno crashes down toward him. He steadies himself and prepares a counter. He lunges forward, cutting through the flames. Fire engulfs the space as her expression twists in shock. The explosion swallows everything, forcing her to scream. Smoke clears, revealing her wavering stance. He calmly questions the limits of her strength, but Karna admits his own weakness and regret. He begs her to stop, refusing to lose anyone else. She trembles, anger cracking under the weight of his words. She lashes out emotionally, clinging to her hatred and questions if he knows how it feels to lose a child. Karna reaches for the artifact at his side. A strange light begins to form as he makes a decision. Karna activates the power, calling forth something unseen. Dark shapes burst out and surround the battlefield. Voices echo as painful memories surface around her. A shadow accuses her of an unforgivable act. Pride collapses as the heat and guilt overwhelm her. A small shadow calls out, leaving her frozen in place. More shadows rise from the ground, closing in. She sees a familiar face and falters. Karna explains these are the souls tied to her past actions. Pride is confronted with the truth she tried to deny. Memories from long ago resurface, showing her confusion then. She recalls learning love and responsibility too late. The shadows question her choices without mercy. Tears fall as she finally breaks. Cecil steps forward, asking if she has changed, affirming that Pride learned to love. She acknowledges it but reminds her of the loss. Karna exposes the lie she clung to, but this only angers Pride. She accuses him that the cursed face was Karna, but he only looks at her with compassion. Suddenly, Sloth's cold smile flashes in Pride's head, prompting her to pause in silence. Sloth's sinister image takes over her, triggering her to struggle as the power restrains her. The glowing seal tightens, signaling something powerful. Dark energy twists upward as a massive shadow fully takes shape from Pride. The group recoils in shock, unable to believe what they are seeing. A giant eye opens at the center, radiating an oppressive presence. Everyone turns toward it as the air grows heavy and distorted. Cecil steps forward, recognizing the threat immediately. Nodin's voice echoes as he acknowledges Sloth's appearance after not seeing him for a long time. Esha realizes the truth and calls out its name in disbelief. Sloth finally reveals himself at last. The massive eye hovers in silence, its presence pressing down on everyone. The group advances cautiously, realizing they are dealing with Sloth. Erdal is revealed to be born from the same soul and blood as the prime deity of Sloth. Nodens and Vol explain that he is a spawn of an outer god they once fought. The memory ends with their defeat, showing how overwhelming he was. Vol confronts the floating eye directly, demanding its next move. Sloth slowly opens wider, gathering dark energy. Tendrils spread as he seizes Pride and lifts her into the air. Multiple crimson symbols ignite at once, reacting violently, prompting the group to realize several powers are resonating at the same time. The energy spirals out of control as she starts to self-destruct. The others panic, knowing the entire area could be erased. Karna steps forward without hesitation, until he urgently calls out to Thelma for help. A grand sanctuary manifests as she activates the Ring of Life. She begins her prayer, responding to his resolve. The spell reaches the bound soul and answers its suffering. A surge of light pours down, granting new life. A massive vortex forms and pulls the raging power inward. Suddenly, a familiar voice cries out to Pride and calls her mother as the light surrounds her. Freud tells her to finally rest in peace. Pride reunites with her child, tears flowing as she smiles. She calls out his name, grateful to meet again. Freud moves to halt the self-destruction at last, prompting Pride to leave everything to him. She quietly thanks him, while he promises to save her no matter the cost. A frozen chant is released, sealing sorrow itself. Meanwhile, Esha flashes her blade as she prepares to strike, throwing her dagger with a decisive force. The weapon pierces through Sloth's core, while Karna rushes in close and draws power into his hand. Violet lightning surges as he unleashes everything upward. The attack tears through the darkness in a single strike. The faceless one is blasted away, its form collapsing. Meanwhile, Pride is sealed inside a massive block of ice, prompting Cecil to thank Freud for his help. He looks at her quietly, until he kneels before her and surrenders. Freud begs for Cecil's mercy and asks to heal his mother, who is unconscious inside the block of ice. Cecil offers compassion and promises no further punishment as Pride has already suffered enough, stunning Freud. Cecil then offers to remove the sealing mark and have Pride step down from her throne. She also promises to keep her safe and understands that Sloth is all behind the chaos. Meanwhile, Karna shares that he has seen the soul resonance structure and certain that there's only one source, prompting Esha to conclude that it is no other than the demon Lord of Wrath. It's revealed that the Wrath Lord was once a seraph, and when his divine call merges with Gaia while the seal exists, a dangerous resonance is formed. If two powerful souls resonate again, their combined force will amplify uncontrollably and crush everything in its path. Lightning surges as the scale of Wrath's power becomes clear, enough to wipe out an entire continent and bring the world to its end. Hearing this, Cecil steels herself and declares that now is the time to challenge Wrath, pulling Karna forward as he agrees without hesitation. Just as they move out, a voice calls after them, stopping them in their tracks. The rest of the group steps forward, saying they heard everything and refuse to stay behind, ready to fight for the world and the people they care about. Cecil turns to them in quiet surprise. She gives a small and calm smile, turning to the group and reminds them that they were chosen by humanity, acknowledging them as the brave ones who stepped forward. Cecil and Altair clasp hands as light gathers around them, and she declares that they will fight together. Before they can move, a warning rings out as he shouts that trouble is coming, catching everyone's attention. A sudden projection of Thelma appears, and Karna reacts in shock as he sees her crying. She panics and reports that the leyline network is overloading, draining mana directly from human lands. As the message continues, the gravity of the situation sinks in when it's revealed that the capitals are collapsing and every city is now in critical danger. A massive magic ring forms above the royal capital, casting an ominous glow. Cultists gather beneath it as they chant toward heaven in unison. Sloth descends in their human form, declaring the time for salvation has arrived. The crowd is urged to offer their souls to the true God, proclaiming that justice demands the demon king's defeat. Countless floating eyes spread across the sky, surrounding the capital. The group rushes into the castle instantly given the urgent situation. Karna asks Thelma for an update while civilians suffer in the city. Reports show people collapsing as magic is drained from above the church. More monsters appear one after another across the city. The team reels as the scale of the disaster becomes clear. The old gods realize the monsters will keep coming unless the source is destroyed. Cecil turns serious, silently weighing their next move. Karna meets her gaze, ready to follow her lead. She declares they must protect the country with everything they have. He steps forward and agrees without hesitation, slamming his blade on the ground. Light surges around him, preparing a ritual as he calls for the old god's true form. They gather around him, prompting the others to freeze in shock. Gaia suddenly ascends from the ground to join the fight. Meanwhile, the group realizes enemies are swarming from beyond the mountains. Altair warns that they are closing in fast. With fury in Gaia's eyes, she condemns the invading beasts. She unleashes a devastating attack, refusing to let them enter her domain. The battlefield erupts as the old gods charge with all their might. Val calls out to Karna as the fighting spreads, asking him to leave the human realm to the old gods and ask them to deal with the god of wrath instead. Nodens apologizes, admitting old grudges were passed down on humans, but Karna reassures him that it is already settled. Both humans and demons stand together at last. The old gods give them a reassuring look, while Karna reminds them this world belongs to everyone living in it. Thelma is instructed to defend from the ground with support from Blef. Karna leads the advance, while the group rides together toward the dungeon of the Demon King of Wrath. Far away, Wrath kneels in a ruined domain. She mutters her identity as rage and confusion clash within her. Voices echo in her mind, accusing humanity and traitors alike. She grips her head, unable to decide her true wish. A memory surfaces of Cress, whom she killed, who once healed her soul. A massive magic circle ignites beneath her feet. Power spirals upward as the seal reacts violently. She looks up in shock, realizing her control is slipping. Tears fall as the pressure overwhelms her. The circle blazes brighter, signaling that something is about to break. A massive sword slams down from above, shattering the ground on impact as the shockwave spreads across the arena. As the light cascades down, Karna steels himself and vows to find and save the goddess of nights no matter what. Wrath freezes in shock as Karna calls upon her with conviction, shouting that he has come to save her, keeping the promise he refused to abandon. Wrath looks at him in shock, questioning whether he truly came to save her. She suddenly senses something familiar as old memories resurface. Wrath recognizes Karna as someone tied to a power once close to the gods. However, she raises her hand and declares her mission is to end humanity. Flames erupt as she calls down her wrath. Her crest ignites as she challenges them to withstand the attack. Wrath steps forward, fully armed, shield raised and sword ready. Esha reacts as her gear suddenly restores itself. Her blade slices through the air at high speed, causing a destructive strike that shatters the earth. The impact smashes into the ground, carving out a massive crater. She emerges unharmed, mocking the strength of the attack. A heavy pressure spreads as an empress-like presence descends. Wrath turns calmly while the atmosphere grows oppressive. The group realizes she was not even scratched. She notices her strike was avoided by Karna and senses teleportation magic. A glowing magic circle forms as he teleports above her. Wrath watches him closely, her expression steady. Karna responds by gathering his power and charging forward. Their weapons collide in a violent clash of energy. She counters immediately, sending him flying backward. The group regroups and rushes her together. Wrath declares that no trick will ever work on her, prompting her to question why they continue to fight at all. Karna thinks about protecting the world as it is now. Karna and his allies stand united, placing their faith in him. He clenches his resolve, knowing their hopes depend on his choice. He surges forward, declaring this is why he fights. Wrath acknowledges his resolve without concern, unleashing her full power to crush him. A demonic sword manifests as dark magic erupts. The blade expands into a massive force that pulls everything inward. The others panic as the suction intensifies. They realize the sword drains all magic in its vicinity. She announces this is the end for Karna, but Esha confidently declares that it is her end instead, claiming her weakness lies too close for sword or shield to block as told by Cress. A hidden stone is revealed, drawing a shocked reaction from the god of wrath. He realizes the source of her power. Mana floods her body as she roars. Cecil activates her spell at once as the counterattack begins, while Vega and Deneb leap in, releasing powerful magic together. Wrath receives a critical strike, while Vega tells Karna to deliver the finishing blow. Without hesitation, he invokes a power tied to ancient souls. His focus sharpens as his soul, and will clash within him. Esha supports him, urging him forward. They move together, combining their techniques. Necromancy and assassination merge into a single strike. Karna releases his ultimate technique in a blinding explosion. Karna and Esha hit the God of Wrath from both sides, landing the finishing blow together. The two watch closely while holding their stance, until the ring tightens and begins to activate. The light shines through the field as Wrath's weakened body falls into the ground. Cecil senses a violent stirring within her body and realizes the soul inside is collapsing fast. The group reacts in shock as the truth sinks in, knowing there's almost no time left. They understand that this suffering has lasted for thousands of years, and this may be the only way to cleanse that cursed hatred. Altair admits it's heartbreaking to witness. Karna agrees with her, so he takes action immediately. He raises his sword and the core begins to glow brighter as energy gathers. He watches closely as the power condenses into a single form, hovering between them. Cecil and Karna hold the core together with care. Cecil closes her eyes and admits she can feel everything tied to it, including guilt and lingering fury. Karna reaches out, recognizing that power as something divine and dangerous. The energy stabilizes as it flows into her, wrapping her in light. Wrath transforms into a tiny soul similar to the old gods, followed by a gentle symbol blooming that signals the end of the process. Cecil cradles Wrath as she fades, her expression soft and relieved, her hands clasped together as the last traces disperse into the sky. The group looks upward as Cecil declares that her soul has finally returned. She adds that the spirit can now breathe as one, if only until her final breath. Karna thanks her sincerely, believing the night's goddess is finally free. Cecil refuses praise, brushing it aside calmly. They exchange grateful words, acknowledging they couldn't have made it this far alone. However, Esha cuts the moment short, reminding them this isn't the time for sentiment. With urgency, she orders everyone to move, warning that the capital awaits. As they step forward, she notes that an enemy still remains, pertaining to Sloth. The group advances together as they approach another danger. Meanwhile, explosions erupt in the distance as a dungeon collapses under the god's overwhelming power. Vol observes that Karna and the others manage to stop the chaos in time. Gaia's thoughts pause briefly as she gives quiet thanks for saving Sval. A roar interrupts the moment as Sloth urges them onward without hesitation. Gaia launches forward, declaring she won't allow Sloth to continue. Her strike crashes down with immense force, tearing through the battlefield. Sloth recognizes the power behind the blow, identifying it as divine. The ground shatters under repeated impacts as the attack lands. From above, they regroup and shout for everyone to head to the capital immediately. Storm clouds loom over the capital, its towers already scarred and crumbling. The group arrives to see widespread destruction across the streets. Shock spreads as they realize the scale of power involved is far beyond normal. Karna clenches his teeth, questioning how anyone could act with such cruelty. Cecil warns him that their enemy is likely already aware of their arrival. Cecil warns them to stay alert from traps, until a dark presence swells nearby, twisting the air with malicious energy. Karna calls out to her, and she responds without hesitation. He blocks the strike with his sword, but the dark energy devours Karna instantly. Cecil shouts his name as the darkness condenses into a massive void above them. The group stares up in alarm as the swirling core expands, signaling the true battle is about to begin. A massive black vortex churns above, stunning the group after devouring Karna. Esha and Vega instantly charge forward, striking powerful attacks as they attempt to save Karna. Seeing Karna lying on the ground, Cecil screams in terror. She rushes to his side in panic as he gasps, realizing his soul itself is being attacked. They recognize the spell as the same necromancy Karna uses, confirming that it is Sloth's doing. Cecil realizes he can't maintain his form much longer under this attack. Turning urgently, she asks Isha for help and says she needs her power. Cecil suddenly recalls how Karna has saved her countless times. Karna struggles from pain, while Cecil steels herself and declares that this time, she will save Karna. Meanwhile, Karna awakens somewhere unfamiliar. He sits up in confusion, asking where he is as he tries to walk around. He wanders through the capital streets in a daze, questioning whether everything was a dream. Memories resurface as he recalls being banished from the hero's party and left alone. He remembers having nothing, no one, feeling cold before losing consciousness. As he walks, hunger and thirst overwhelm him and his body feels wrong. He suddenly stumbles, prompting the strangers to snap at him angrily and tell him to watch where he's going. Karna looks up, startled, as colorful confetti begins to fall around the city. He turns to see a crowd cheering loudly near the castle. Banners fly as an announcement declares the demon lord of lust has been defeated. Norris and the others stand proudly as the crowd celebrates humanity's victory. Karna freezes in shock after hearing about Cecil's defeat, finding the news impossible. He recalls her and notes that he has to defeat her, until darkness takes over his mind as he questions his consciousness. Karna suddenly pauses as his memories of Cecil flashes in his mind, Suddenly, Sloth's spirit appears in his mind and tells Karna that everything was just a dream, convincing him that no one loves and knows him. Sloth's shadow looms closer, declaring that he is empty and unnecessary. He circles him slowly, repeating that he has no value. Karna clutches his head as accusations pile up around him. He is in shock as he reminds himself about wanting to give his grandparents a better life. Sloth mocks him, saying he used others as an excuse. The darkness claims he has no desires and is only pretending to matter. A violent surge of red energy erupts as Karna screams in denial. The voice roars that he is worthless and unworthy of reaching true good. A blinding force hurls Karna backward as the command echoes to be reborn. His body is flung into a vast purple void as everything goes silent. Karna drifts helplessly in the darkness, barely conscious. A distant voice calls his name as a radiant light appears below him. He looks down and sees a glowing figure reaching upward, surprised after seeing Cecil's ghost. Their hands move toward each other as Cecil manages to reach out to Karna inside a nightmare. Cecil calls out to Karna, prompting him to stare at her in disbelief as he realizes she is alive. She confirms this is his dream and explains she entered it by briefly leaving her body. Even so, she warns that the connection will not last long. She senses that the dream cannot be broken by magic alone, revealing that the seal can only be shattered by his own will and not by outside force. Karna hesitates, questioning if he can truly do something like that. He shields his eyes as doubt overwhelms him, calling himself ordinary. He admits he has no grand dreams or selfish desires. He reflects on drifting through life, always doing what others expected. He calls himself pathetic and unworthy of standing beside her. She listens closely and questions whether living for others is truly wrong, affirming that relying on someone blindly is not good. Cecil tells him that helping others is not weakness but part of being human. She insists that no one is inferior for lacking a personal dream. She asks him if he has a wish, to which Karna replies that he desires the feeling of wanting to cherish and make his loved ones happy. Cecil smiles and calls his wish beautiful. She promises she will be waiting for him. As Karna watches her ghost fade, the dream begins to collapse as Sloths interrupts. He mocks him, declaring his time is up and that escape is impossible. Karna steadies himself and decides he will not hesitate anymore. He declares he no longer wants to live in a false world. He clenches his fist and shouts that he will fight for his people and friends. Power surges as he resolves to stand for them in return. The dream shatters as Karna awakens in the real world. His companions rush to him in relief, confirming he is unharmed. He smiles calmly and assures them that he is completely fine. Esha interrupts him, reminding that even though he is strong, he should not forget that they will always stand by his side. Karna thanks them sincerely. He turns as Cecil calls his name and suddenly embraces him. She welcomes him back without hesitation. He apologizes for worrying everyone as the group gathers around him. Suddenly, an urgent report from the succubus unit cuts the moment short as monsters attack and reinforcements are requested. Without hesitation, the group decides to help and move out together. Morale rises as they trust each other completely. Suddenly, Karna remembers the time when he was kicked out of the hero's party, realizing he is no longer alone and now surrounded by true comrades. Karna steps forward and tells everyone to move with Cecil and Esha, saying he will handle the rest. When they ask about him, he explains he only borrowed some power from the old gods and will return soon to settle things. He turns to Cecil and Esha, calling their names calmly. The group watches as he reassures them with a light tone. Karna reflects that everyone is precious to him and that he wants to protect them all. Thinking about the people who are evacuating and fighting, he declares that they are important too, so Karna decides to protect them without hesitation. Dark clouds gather as Karna walks alone through the ruined streets. He looks ahead calmly as Sloth mocks him for coming alone, calling his move bold and reckless. Karna stops before a towering structure, while Sloth reveals himself and smiles as he calls Karna by name. Karna recognizes him immediately, then Sloth raises his staff and calls for witnesses as something stirs. A massive creature covered in countless eyes descends, which Sloth calls the 100 Eyes of God. Karna grips his staff and steels himself, saying he stands here because someone precious is behind him. He declares he will never lose again. Power surges around Karna as divine energy erupts upward. Sloth launches himself straight toward Karna without hesitation. Suddenly, Nodens appears to join the clash, lightning crackling around him as he advances. He apologizes to Karna for keeping him waiting, urging him to close the distance as thunder crashes down. The battlefield fractures under the impact, but Sloth smirks as he is unscathed by the impact. His eyes glow as he activates the divine power, unleashing another rebirth-like surge while he maintains control from above. Surprised, Karna is in disbelief that his divine revelation has been copied, while Nodens admits he never intended to fight fair. Suddenly, Val charges with a fiery energy as she attacks without restraint. She warns Sloth that they will beat him to paste, but Sloth remains composed and watches through his floating eye. The eye lights up as Sloth clones Envy's power, using her absolute hierarchy skill as gravity pushes Vol down. She strains under the pressure, her body growing heavy. Karna realizes the power belongs to the demon lord of Envy, while Sloth calmly explains that every revelation and doom mark system is under his control. Karna watches in disbelief as Sloth demonstrates overwhelming mastery. He questions where such terrifying power even comes from. While blocking attacks, Karna notices something unusual and realizes that Sloth is siphoning the planet's leyline energy and begins moving to counter it. Gaia suddenly takes over, declaring control of the leyline as her domain. The floating eyes scatter under the sudden shift. Sloth unleashes divine spirit, rebirth, and attacks directly. Karna charges forward as Gaia condemns Sloth for defiling the domain. Gaia also accuses Sloth of wounding her daughter as well, calling upon the judgment of the earth itself. She causes a massive collapse of terrain, but shock fills her face. Sloth responds by activating yet another rebirth. More eyes replicate around the battlefield. Sloth reveals replication as the attack continues to multiply. The eye bites into Gaia's leg, siphoning her magic and prompting her to condemn the insolent act. Sloth smiles coldly, revealing that this exchange is far from over. The 100 Eyes of God swells with red energy as its presence intensifies, signaling another escalation. Karna reacts in shock as Sloth reveals the doom seal of the demon lord of greed. Sloth explains that the power of greed has decayed over countless ages, yet its true strength lies in seizing another's soul. Invoking the Earth Goddess's divine authority, the monstrous eye closes in and declares its intent to take everything from its target. Gaia watches calmly and recognizes the move as clever, until Karna suddenly dives down with his blade as the 100 Eyes of God rises beneath him. Karna shouts for Vol urgently, and she answers with a blazing spell, unleashing scorching heat. Flames wrap around him as he charges straight through the air. Fire gathers tightly in his palm, compressed and unstable, until Karna brings down a holy strike, cleaving through the flames. Sloth steadies himself as the attack devours him, but he uses his skill to clone the attack again. Purple lightning crashes down as Nodens blasts his divine thunder, yet Sloth snarls back and mocks the old god. However, Nodens is confident that he will not be defeated by Sloth. The explosion tears through the ground, forcing Karna to brace himself as the shockwave spreads. Dust settles as Sloth resets his footing. Without wasting time, Nodens calls out to Karna, prompting him to respond without hesitation. Blue lightning erupts as Karna raises his weapon, summoning Urtal behind him. The power swells as the dragon roars, revealing its connection to Karna's lineage and homeworld. Sloth calmly explains the summoned being as a creation dragon while noting that constant summoning only leads to regeneration. Suddenly, a familiar voice declares that she will stop Sloth from causing chaos. Floating before the moonlit sky, Tasha reaches for a glowing star and claims it as her focus. With cold resolve, she declares she will cut him off from this world's ley lines. Green beams descend as a huge spherical barrier forms, trapping Sloth inside. He realizes he can no longer rely on reincarnation as the opposing forces combine their powers. He concludes that their goal clearly, to capture the planet itself and reshape it anew. Karna steadies himself, accepting this as the only way forward. He shouts that he will protect this world, unleashing a condensed burst of purple lightning from his blade, triggering Sloth to laugh nervously. The attack tears forward in a straight line, cutting through space with blinding force. The strike hits Sloth with precision, sending violent ripples across its surface. Karna is thrown back by the recoil as Sloth suddenly turns into a spirit form, realizing he has been hit and calls for his master for help. Karna stares in shock, recognizing his familiar form. Nodens notices the emergence of a spiritual division, revealing that Sloth is a contracted spirit and demands to know who forged such a pact with him, but he avoids answering. In the distance, Vol and Tasha look on as the moment stretches toward an uncertain outcome. Suddenly, Sloth decides to tell Karna one thing. He smiles darkly, wishing safety upon Karna's grandparents. Karna's expression hardens as they think about them, followed by scenes of destruction spreading across his grandparents' land. Smoke and fire rise as their neighbor lies unconscious on the ground, defeated in an unexpected outcome. On the ground below, the resemblance becomes impossible to ignore as Karna's grandparents look up in fear. High above the towering structure, a figure stands in silence. From behind a dark helm, they are certain that their son, Gray, has suddenly appeared. At the top of the tower, Karna's grandparents shout in panic as they question what their son is doing. They confront Gray for abandoning Karna, but he ignores them with silence. With a powerful look from Gray, a spiritual energy distorts the space below that causes Karna's granddad to collapse and clutch his chest. Gray lowers his head as the grandparents struggle on the ground. Grandma looks up in disbelief. Recognizing Gray, he gives his parents a cold gaze and reveals a third eye on his forehead. Meanwhile, a massive green barrier encloses Karna in the city. Karna grabs Sloth tightly, demanding to know what will happen to his grandparents. Nodin steps forward and orders Sloth to state his demands, prompting him to reveal that Gray has just cleared the hidden dungeon beneath Karna's family estate, while Sloth mocks the gravity of the situation, triggering the gods to panic as it means it will release the seals on their true bodies. Nodin explains that the world's balance was maintained by seals bound to the Great Tomb, warning that breaking them would cause total collapse. Karna realizes the stakes, prompting him to request the release of his grandparents since they have nothing to do with the situation. Suddenly, Sloth casually proposes a deal. Sloth demands freedom in exchange for Karna's grandparents, admitting he cannot allow the world to be destroyed either. Karna pauses and clenches his fist, until he agrees on one condition and demands his family's safety, undoing the self-destruct curse on Pride and the surrender of the Sloth sigil. Karna orders Sloth to swear on his divine name to seal the pact. Sloth agrees with amusement and notices that Karna is used to striking deals with gods. A golden light erupts and the contract is finalized as he starts with undoing Pride's self-destruct curse. In the distance, a curse shatters as the seal begins to break. Pride crashes down, stunned and disoriented. She struggles to understand her identity as power gathers in her chest. Her eyes sharpen as she senses the returning divine presence. The goddess's soul begins to release as multiple demon souls merge into one. Freud declares his role in returning her life, prompting her to vow the goddess's soul will be restored. With a command, divine light surges and strikes downward as the last of the 7 great demon lords' seal has been released. A golden beam pierces the barrier, signaling the contract's completion. Sloth declares that Cecil now holds 2 souls before departing with a promise to meet again. He turns as lightning flashes, while Karna and Nodin rush toward the former's grandparents' home to ensure their safety. Gaia raises her hand and activates a ground pulse jump, launching them away from the tower. From above, Sloth reunites with Gray and confirms the orders have been carried out as he watches the scene unfold in silence. Sloth casually gestures as the scene shifts, until his form changes, and he lands lightly with a cheerful expression. He clings to Gray as golden light erupts from the Great Tomb, announcing that its seal has finally been broken. Explosive divine energy surges upward as the power of the outer gods have been awakened. Bathed in golden light, Sloth excitedly declares the awakening, and proclaims the arrival of those who serve their lord, revealing the descent of the three-eyed god. The Great Tomb trembles as massive stone pillars crack and collapse. From above, Gray stands calmly with Sloth in his arms, watching the awakening unfold in silence. Ertal snarls as a declaration is made, Genesis complete and Revelation X fully unfolding. Enormous chains stretch across the land as Gaia unleashes the Earth's dominion. She grips the chains tightly, shouting that she will back them up as the energy surges violently across the ground. The chains tighten around the splitting Earth. As Ertal warns Karna, they are only seconds away from total collapse. Gaia yells that even their might cannot hold this for long and urges them to repair the Great Tomb while they still can, urgently asking them to steady their forms. Karna answers without hesitation, agreeing as the light intensifies. Karna launches himself toward the summit, declaring they will storm it together. From a floating rock above, Gray observes calmly as Sloth notes that they intend to stop the collapse. He rests casually in Gray's arm, dismissing their efforts as futile, before reacting when Gray's attention shifts. Carrying a menacing smile, Karna reaches the peak and announces their arrival. He calls out for everyone to lend him their strength, declaring he will use necromancy to quell the roused souls. The old gods respond immediately, unleashing their full power without holding back. Nodin narrows his eyes, vowing this is for the land itself. Vol declares her power is for Bastit's children, while Tasha swears to protect them all. 3 divine symbols rise and align as radiant energy gathers. Karna looks up and calls out to the gods above, channeling everything into the ritual. Karna forces the power to stabilize, insisting it must hold. A massive golden barrier forms as the Great Tomb is sealed once more. Tasha confirms the souls have returned to slumber. Below, Gaia admits all they can do now is barely hold it back. Ertal senses the end and asks if they are finished. Karna steps forward and declares he will summon one more. He reaches out desperately, calling for Cecil as a glowing summoning circle forms above him. She answers without hesitation, pleased by being summoned by Karna. Cecil calls upon the great Bastet, divine progenitor. She declares that the 7 souls shall unite and rise again. Cecil manifests fully, radiant and composed, then gently invites Karna to come closer as she reaches for him. Cecil takes Karna's hands as soft light spreads outward. She reveals the blessing as the healing grace of Bastet. Below, Karna's grandparents regain their strength, with his grandfather realizing his chest feels light again as the danger finally passes. Ertal feels its strength surge once more as Gaia declares she will close the shell and shroud. She calls on Ertal to tend to the Great Tomb as the ground tears apart beneath her. The dragon gathers power and declares that the law of creation will be set right once more, forming a glowing core as a massive purple barrier expands outward. The great tomb slams down and settles into the earth, leaving behind a shattered crater. Vol confirms that the god's seals have been restored, and that there is peace for now. Karna rushes through the air toward his grandparents as they call out to him, while he lands and urgently tells them there is something they must address immediately. Karna's grandfather admits he wishes they could celebrate, but insists they need to talk first. He looks toward the floating figure in the sky and says it is hard to believe that man is gray, yet there is no mistake. He reveals the truth at last, stating plainly that Gray is Karna's father, explaining it is because he is their son. Karna freezes in shock, staring up and calling out in disbelief.